This guy gets clowned at demon school for being a nobody, but turns out he's the actual Demon King reborn and casually drops the most busted magic anyone's ever seen. Now everyone's shook as he solos exams, resurrects enemies just to flex, and proves he's the real top dog. The tale begins 2,000 years ago, during the mythical age. A fearsome man emerged, one who annihilated nations of humans, reduced the spirits forest to ash, and even felled the gods themselves. Known and dreaded as the Demon King of Tyranny, his rule pushed domination to its extreme, obliterating reason itself in his gaze. To honor that legacy, the Demon King Academy, Delsgade, was established to nurture the descendants of the founder, selecting a new Demon King from their ranks. Now, 2 millennia since his death, a prophecy declares that the founder himself will awaken. This year's incoming class, containing members of the so-called Generation of Chaos, stirs whispers that the Demon King may indeed have reincarnated. Death was just part 1 of his 5-step plan. On the day of the entrance exam, the aspiring students gather at the academy gates. Among them is Misha Necron, who enters under the watchful and encouraging eyes of her parents. She catches the attention of Zepes Indu, a boastful member of the Indu family, who mocks her. However, Misha pays him no mind, walking quietly alongside a polite yet mysterious young man. Zepes fumes at being ignored, but his attempts to provoke are swiftly silenced when the young man effortlessly deflects his magic, dismissing it as too weak to even register. Zepes, the only noble who can be mashed smoother than boiled potatoes. Soon after, the practical skills test begins, a duel where losing means immediate disqualification. The candidates are informed that all weapons and tools are fair game. Once inside the arena, fate pits Zepes against the same young man who reveals his name as Anos Voldegode. Zepes returns, armed with Zephyrid, an ancient magic sword passed down through the royal Indu lineage. Yet even with such a relic, he watches in disbelief as his flames are extinguished once again. Anos stands unmoved, declaring he won't take a step, won't wield magic, and won't even channel power into his breath or words. Despite such restrictions, he vows victory. Zepes, unable to comprehend such confidence, attacks only to find himself collapsing, blood pouring from his mouth, his life snuffed out in an instant. His strength is so faint, even shadows refuse to follow. With a mere snap of his fingers, Anos resurrects Zepes, curious how it feels to die. As Zepes recoils in shock, Anos kills and revives him repeatedly, exploiting the rule that resurrection is possible within 3 seconds of death, so long as the soul's root remains intact. The spectators look on in terror, while Zepes, stripped of pride and will, finally bows his head and yields. Zepes is a noble name, but power as hollow as an empty throne. The next phase is the magic power assessment, which sees candidates displaying their strength. When Anos steps forward, his sheer power shatters the crystal used for measurement, leaving Misha astonished. She admits her demonic eyes allow her to perceive his immense energy. Then comes the aptitude test, designed to measure knowledge of the Demon King of Tyranny. Few even dare speak the founder's name. Yet, when asked, Anos declares it Anos Voldegode. The examiners pose difficult moral questions about the founder's decisions, such as why he burned his homeland, Dilhade. Anos gives a detailed answer without hesitating even once. For Anos, every test is less of an exam and more of a casual warm-up, whereas Misha answers that it was done to reincarnate those too weak to endure the endless wars. Later, Anos invites Misha to his home to celebrate.
Something fishy's going on.
Though she initially suggests using flight magic, she takes his hand and they teleport to his house. His mother greets them warmly, stunned that her son, just a month old, has already brought home a girl. She grows emotional, jokingly assuming Misha is his bride. Over dinner, Misha admits that it is Anos' kindness that drew her in. Much to his amusement, as kindness was never a trait attributed to him before, Anos is a man whose heart is forged in power, yet tempered in kindness. During their walk afterward, Misha clarifies that the man she lives with is not her father but her guardian. She mentions her parents are alive but preoccupied. She is raised by duty, not by affection, yet her soul remains untainted. Anos reflects on her perception of him as kind, a notion he finds unexpectedly refreshing. Their conversation is interrupted when a barrier traps them, set by Leorg Indu, Zepes' elder brother. Leorg, disgusted by his siblings' humiliation, kills Zepes without hesitation, declaring that purebloods of the Demon King's lineage must not suffer such disgrace. Leorg's pride blinds him as he threatens Anos, mocking his mongrel status. Yet, Leorg's magic backfires, his own power spiraling out of control as his body rebels in fear of Anos' overwhelming presence. Despite this, Leorg rises, determined to uphold his royal pride, and casts a forbidden spell only to see Anos unscathed. Anos reveals that such origin magic is meaningless against him, for it can never affect the origin itself. He even resurrects Zepes, this time as a zombie burning with hatred for his brother's betrayal. Anos suggests the two brothers reconcile and fight together, yet Leorg refuses, horrified at the idea of siding with his undead sibling. Zepes, consumed by rage, lunges to kill Leorg. Anos intervenes, urging Leorg to call out to his brother by name. As Leorg does so, a surge of magic freezes them both into statues. Observing their petrified forms, Anos laments the fragility of familial bonds in this era. With a wave of his power, he restores the scene and revives both brothers. 1. Recognizing how much weaker demons have become over 2,000 years, Anos advises Lior to return stronger if he still seeks a challenge. The elder brother arrives, yet the outcome feels like déjà vu, another family reunion destined for defeat. Before leaving, he declares his identity plainly. He is their founder, the true demon king of tyranny, Anos Voldegod. He made a declaration sharp enough to slice through history itself. The demon king of tyranny stands reborn. The room trembles not from magic, but from the weight of a truth that no one was prepared to carry. The next day at the academy, Anos walks into his classroom, casually greeting his peers and warning that defiance will be met with massacre. His words earn nothing but cold stares. He takes a seat next to Misha and asks her opinion on his humor, to which she quietly notes that everyone misunderstood him. He soon notices the lingering glances directed at him. Misha explains the rumors circulating, particularly about the symbol on his shoulder. This mark reflects the results of the magic power and aptitude tests, and Anis's symbol is unprecedented within the academy. It labels him as something no one expected to see, that he is a misfit. In a world of fragile standards, the strongest are always labeled misfits. Misha continues to explain to Anos that only descendants of the founding ancestors are permitted to enroll in the Demon King Academy. No one from the Demon King's bloodline has ever been branded unfit to become the next Demon Lord until Anos, the first misfit. When power writes its own script, the title of misfits is just the first page. Anos finds it peculiar. He doesn't recall making any mistakes during the aptitude test. Out of curiosity, he asks Misha if she knows the name of the founding ancestor. She nods but admits they're forbidden from speaking it aloud. Resting his hand gently on her head, he tells her to simply think it. Misha's mind conjures the name, the Demon King of Tyranny, Avos Stilhevia. When memory serves a fraud, the real king sharpens his patience. Anos phrases. That name means nothing to him. Misha is puzzled. After all, there isn't a soul in the demon realm who doesn't know the Demon King's name. Yet to Anos, it is clear. For 2,000 years, the world has remembered the wrong name. He knows that the history may lie, but power never forgets its origin. He asks Misha what people believe about this so-called Demon King. She recites that he was known for being both ruthless and benevolent, forever prioritizing the demon clan above himself. A selfless warrior, they say. Anos finds this depiction suspiciously idealized. She continues, explaining that the closer one's thoughts and emotions align with the founding ancestor, the higher their aptitude to become the Demon Lord. She was just about to reveal who's currently considered the closest match when a girl passes by, interrupting the moment. Later, their homeroom teacher, Amelia Rudwell, introduces herself to Class 2. She announces that they'll first be forming teams and invites anyone with the confidence to lead to step forward. The leadership isn't just symbolic, the leaders must be capable of casting the troop magic, Guise, which amplifies a team's overall strength. The king, who casts it, supports the team but is left vulnerable alone. Amelia informs them that in 1 week, they'll be tested in a team battle using Guise. When she calls for volunteers, Anos raises his hand alongside the girl from before. Yet Amelia immediately rejects him, claiming that white uniformed hybrids aren't eligible. White uniforms, fabric of peace worn in halls stitched with hate. It is like when a uniform becomes a target, ignorance becomes the archer, and Yanya stands unfazed. If that's the case, then he'll simply prove that hybrids are not inferior to demon royalty. In a world stitched by bloodlines, a white uniform bears the stain of prejudice. He proposes sealing the claim with a zect, which is a magical contract. Amelia agrees but warns that if he fails, he must apologize and withdraw from the academy. The zect is drawn up, and Anos quickly spots a flaw in it, a flaw that's existed unnoticed for 2,000 years. With a small alteration, he doubles the spell's potency. Amelia is stunned, left with no choice but to allow his candidacy. The students begin to whisper, questioning the identity of the so-called misfit who just outclassed a teacher. When power speaks, even the most stubborn teachers find themselves outclassed. The girl introduces herself as Sasha Necron, descendant of the 7 elder demon emperors, also known as the Witch of Destruction. Misha quietly tells Anos that Sasha is her older sister, though Anos finds it odd that siblings should both be purebloods, yet Misha wears a hybrid's white uniform. She answers simply that it was a family decision. 2 sisters, 2 uniforms, one draped in nobility, the other wrapped in prejudice. When Anos introduces himself, he states his name plainly as Anos Voldegod, the Demon King of Tyranny. He declares that the Demon King everyone believes in is a fraud. Pretenders may borrow the name, but the heir itself remembers the true Demon King. Emilia then instructs the class to choose their team leaders. Misha joins Anos immediately. Sasha soon approaches, amused to see Anos with only one teammate. She mocks Misha, claiming she's not a demon nor human, but a doll brought to life by magic and an empty vessel without soul or will. Anos dismisses Sasha's insult, remarking that anyone who thinks magical constructs lack soul or life clearly doesn't understand magic well. She says Misha an empty vessel pretending to be a person. Enraged, Sasha activates her demonic eyes of destruction, but Anos remains unaffected. Staring directly into her eyes, he comments that her power isn't half bad and invites her to join his team, suggesting she might get closer to Misha that way. Sasha snaps back, stating that she has never once thought of Misha as her sister. A doll molded by spells holds no place in noble bloodlines. Later, after class, Anos and Misha encounter Sasha again. She challenges Anos to a duel with a wager. The loser must obey any command the winner gives. If she loses, she'll join his team. If he loses, she intends to own him entirely. Sasha has confidence as sharp as a blade, whereas Anos is confident in his victory, so he accepts. A week later, the team competition begins in a dense jungle. The match ends when a team's king is defeated or loses control of guys. Anos and Misha, just a two-member team, face Sasha's well-rounded squad. Misha, as a guardian class, suggests setting up defensive positions, but Anos opts for outmaneuvering instead. Sasha is alerted that 3 Demon King castles have suddenly appeared in enemy territory, an impossible feat for a duo. She suspects a trap and sends scouts, only to be shot when Anos himself materializes right outside their main castle. While her team braces for battle, Anos lifts the entire castle with one hand, hurls it into the air, then spins it before flinging it away like a toy. Sasha, though injured, rallies her team to unleash their ultimate spell, GRIZZ, an exceptionally powerful fire spell. She motivates her comrades to prove the pride of demon royalty. Anos watches with admiration, thinking it's a shame that Sasha stands against him. The spell is cast, blazing toward him, but with a mere finger, Anos reflects it effortlessly. Sasha orders a retreat, but the spell is sent right back to them. She barely dodges before Anos appears before her. Breathless and shocked, Sasha accuses him of using GRIZZ alone. Anos corrects her that it was Grega, the weakest fire spell. Sasha collapses, humiliated. Anos reminds her of the bet. She now belongs to his team. Enraged, she urges him to kill her instead, unwilling to accept such disgrace, but he offers his hand instead. She refuses, vowing that one day she'll become strong enough to kill him. Arrogance shines brightest before it shatters. Anos merely laughs. If killing him were that easy, he would have died long ago. He also reminds her that Misha wants to be on the same team as her. Concerned for her sister, Misha approaches Sasha, who relents but insists this is nothing more than a contract that her soul remains her own. When Sasha asks if Anos recruited her just for Misha's sake, Anos reveals his true reason, which is her eyes. You won't. He's never seen more beautiful or powerful demonic eyes. She has eyes like gleaming jewels, destined for greatness if paired with humility. Later, back at Anos's home, his mother is delighted, even to see her son bring home yet another girl. His father is just as stunned. After all, he never managed to bring 2 women home at once. Bringing 2 girls home, it is either a bold move or the start of a legendary misunderstanding. Over dinner, his mother jokes that she should start preparing wedding invitations. His father grins, muttering that the kid's outpacing his old man already. Misha and Sasha, caught between awkwardness and amusement, quietly enjoy the bizarrely warm meal. Later, Anos walks Misha and Sasha home. As they part ways, he asks Misha if they manage to make up. She whispers that she'll tell him tomorrow, leaving Sasha suspicious of their secret exchange. As he leaves, Sasha returns alone to speak with him. She thanks him, admitting that thanks to him, she was able to reconcile with Misha. Then, almost shyly, she asks a strange question, that what would he do if his fate was already decided? Anos answers simply that if it's a fate he doesn't like, then he'll just destroy it. Chains of fate shatter when true power refuses to kneel. Sasha chuckles, asking if he truly believes fate can be broken. He confirms without hesitation. She beckons him closer, first commanding, then politely requesting when he refuses. As he steps in, she grabs his hand and kisses him softly on his lips.
I beg your pardon?
It's just a kiss between friends, she claims, blushing furiously. She confesses that it was her first time doing something like this with anyone, thanks her sincerely, prompting her to call him a weird mongrel before he teleports away. Watching him disappear, Sasha smiles to herself, quietly grateful that their paths crossed. Even a proud noble finds delight when destiny introduces true supremacy. Anos and Misha sat together in class when Misha mentioned her wish to prepare a gift. Anos inquired further, and Misha revealed that it was for Sasha's birthday. Anos remarked that Sasha would likely appreciate whatever Misha chose. Misha considered that clothing might be a suitable choice. Every gift considered is a step closer to melting the frost between sisters. During their conversation, Sasha arrived and seated herself beside Anos. Though Anos reminded her that it was not her designated seat, Sasha justified it by noting the seat was unclaimed and felt it convenient to sit as a team. Sasha informed Anos that her former teammates expressed interest in joining his team, but Anos declined. Sasha appeared surprised by this refusal, yet Anos believed that the 3 of them sufficed as a capable force. He believes that 3 shadows are strong enough to eclipse an entire army. However, Sasha argued that depending on the upcoming test, a team might require more than 5 members, especially since participating in the class competition demanded a minimum of 7 members. Anos had been unaware of such a rule. Later, Amelia announced that the awakening of the Demon King of Tyranny was anticipated that year. As part of the occasion, one of the 7 elder demon emperors would deliver a special lecture on advanced magic. Sasha questioned whether Anos had any knowledge of these figures, sarcastically attributing his ignorance to his status as a misfit. She then explained that 2,000 years ago, the founding ancestor used his blood to create 7 subordinates. The first demon clan directly descended from him, collectively known as the 7 elder demon emperors. Additionally, she mentioned that the Demon King Academy was established by these emperors to nurture future demon lords. Anos found this structure peculiar, noting that even for an academy led by beings from the mythical age, their governance seemed poorly managed, especially since none appeared aware of his identity. Soon after, Amelia prompted Anos to mind his manners and introduced Lord Ivas Necron of the 7 elder demon emperors to the classroom. Upon seeing Ivas, Anos greeted him, noting that it had been a long time. The students reacted in shock, and Amelia hastily apologized to Ivas, promising Anos his expulsion. However, Ivas dismissed the need for expulsion and sought clarification on Anos's greeting. Anos affirmed that it had indeed been 2,000 years. Ivas admitted that his memories from that era were gone, retaining only recollections of his master, the Demon King of Tyranny. Anos encouraged Ivas to remember him, but upon realizing Ivas's memory loss was genuine, he decided to intervene, a loyalist lost to the fog of fabricated history. Approaching Ivas, Anos placed a hand on his face, prompting alarm from the students and an outcry from Amelia. Yet, Anos discerned no memories within Ivas's mind. Even the sharpest minds falter when memories are rewritten by deceit. Ivas questioned Anos's identity, but Anos deferred, suggesting they resume their discussion later and prompting Ivas to begin his lecture. Taking the stage, Ivas introduced the subject of fusion magic, a secret technique of the Necron family. He explained that fusion magic combined multiple spells, and that by using the magic power of different wavelengths, the overall strength of magic could be amplified over 10-fold. Sasha commented that Anos should either take notes or store the information in a memory crystal, but Anos assured that he had already memorized it. He has a mind where every word is etched deeper than any ink could ever reach. Observing that Sasha herself was not taking notes, he asked her reason. She replied that as a direct descendant of the Necron family, she had already mastered the technique. When asked if she was close to Ivas, she denied it, describing the 7 elder demon emperors as godlike figures she had only met once. After the lecture, Ivas approached Anos, curious about the earlier interaction. Anos revealed that he had used the origin magic Rivide to rewind time locally and retrieve lost memories, only to discover references to a master named Avos Dilhevia. It appeared that history itself had been altered. Ivas sought clarification, and Anos confirmed that the name of the Demon King of Tyranny had been rewritten to Avos Dilhevia by an unknown party 2,000 years ago. History rewritten, truth buried, and a false name crowned in place of the rightful sovereign. Though Anos could not identify the culprit, he suspected it was the one responsible for erasing Ivas's memories. Ivas acknowledged that the logic held if his memories had indeed been tampered with, but he questioned whether Anos himself might have done it. Considering his temporal powers, Anos accepted the suspicion, admitting he would think similarly in Ivas's place. Ivas declared a neutral stance for the time being, though something about Anos stirred his recollection. Anos appreciated the gesture but wondered if Ivas was feigning ignorance. It became clear that Avos Dilhevia did exist and was impersonating him. Later, Amelia handed Anos Misha's badge, which she had dropped. He found Misha sitting alone holding an unopened letter from her guardian, cherished as a good luck charm. After returning the badge, they overheard Sasha clashing with her former teammates, who criticized her for remaining with the Misfits team. Frustrated, Sasha stormed off. Subsequently, the dungeon exam was announced, taking place in the Demon Palace, Del's Gade. Teens were to collect magical items, weapons, and armor for points, with all spoils belonging to team leaders. The students dashed ahead, but Anos remained still, prompting Sasha to urge him to hurry. Anos proposed retrieving the scepter on the altar of the lowest level for a perfect score. Sasha acknowledged the legend but dismissed it, noting that even the teachers had never reached that depth. Anos identified the scepter as the Demon King's staff that enhanced guise, claiming knowledge of its existence because the castle was his. They ventured inside, finding that prior students had cleared the monsters. Anos told Misha that the treasure room at the lowest level held special items and that any remaining treasures would be hers. He also learned that Misha's birthday was the following day, revealing that she and Sasha were twins, both 15 years old. They are two sides of the same coin. One sparkles with fire, the other chills with ice. Flip it, and either way, someone's getting frozen or burned. Upon encountering a dead end, Anos revealed a secret passageway hidden behind illusions, imperceptible even to Sasha's demonic eyes. Breaking through the wall, they descended to the lowest level, discovering flowing lakes and a skylight channeling both sunlight and moonlight. The altar's door was protected by anti-magic barriers, but Anos advised using intellect instead of brute force. He then effortlessly opened the door. Inside stood the scepter. While Sasha approached it, Anos guided Misha to the treasure room to select a suitable gift for Sasha. Misha favored the Phoenix Robe, an item that grants the wearer immortal flames. Nearby, she noticed the lily pad ice ring, known for emitting cold capable of freezing the 7 seas, though she declined it when offered. Returning, Misha presented the Phoenix robe to Sasha, who gratefully accepted and asked Anos to step outside while she tried it on. Misha thanked Anos for enabling her to make Sasha happy, expressing that this was the happiest day of her life. A serene heart finds its delight in watching a beloved soul reclaim their laughter. Later, when Anos re-entered, he found Misha lying with a dagger lodged in her chest.
What?
The hand that should have held tenderly instead struck with ruthless resolve. Sasha mockingly addressed Anos, declaring that a simple kiss had deceived him and that her performance was aimed solely at securing first place in the dungeon exam. She scorned the notion of befriending the junk doll. Sibling bonds turned brittle, fractured by a single merciless thrust. Observing that Misha still showed faint signs of life, Anos labeled Sasha's act as a poor excuse for betrayal, noting that the wound was superficial. As team leader, he reclaimed the ownership of their contract. Sasha canceled their zect and taunted that Misha would perish unless Anos intervened. Anos remarked that her words betrayed a hidden desire for Misha's survival. Sasha claimed that she had activated conditioning magic, ensuring any attempt by Anos to act would worsen Misha's condition. Confident, she stated that he would need 10 seconds to break the barrier and heal Misha, enough time for her to escape. However, Anos grasped her, revealing that Misha had already been healed from the moment he saw her fall. The scene Sasha witnessed was merely an illusion crafted by his magic. He deduced that Sasha's demonic eyes of destruction would have manifested if her emotions had genuinely spiked, particularly when discussing birthdays, but they did not. Instead, her eyes only faltered when receiving the robe. Likely when she decided to carry out her plan, her entire demeanor remained cold, suggesting she was performing. A gaze sharper than any blade, discerning the act behind the aggression. Anos pressed her to reveal her true feelings, causing her eyes to glow and the castle walls to tremble. Misha intervened, asking Anos to let Sasha go, then rushed to her side to check her condition. Sasha, shouting at Misha to stay away, fled, declaring that Anos would soon regret his actions. Anos then asked Misha to share more about herself. Though hesitant, she opened up, trusting Anos as a kind friend. Meanwhile, Sasha noted that only 7 hours and 16 seconds remained until midnight of her 15th birthday, after which she would vanish. Anos questioned whether the term magic doll applied to Misha's existence. Misha clarified that the term was inaccurate, explaining that in truth, she had never existed in the world to begin with. A moment of vulnerability unveiled, truth laid bare before the Demon King's unwavering gaze. Misha revealed her true self to Anos, shedding the layers of secrecy she had long carried. In his calm presence, the wall she had built began to crumble, allowing her hidden pain and fears to surface. The honesty between them created a rare moment of trust, where vulnerability was met with understanding rather than judgment. Anos listened intently, recognizing the strength it took to open up so fully. This confession marked the beginning of a deeper bond, one forged not by power alone, but by genuine acceptance. In that moment, Misha found solace, no longer needing to hide behind masks or pretenses. At midnight on her 15th birthday, Misha reveals that she is destined to disappear. Anos realizes she means that she and Sasha are originally one being. The clue was when Sasha unilaterally broke their zect contract, an impossible act unless both parties are the same person. Anos recalls that 2,000 years ago there was a spell capable of dividing one person into two. He asks if Ibis Necron was behind this, and Misha confirms. She explains that while still a fetus, she inherited part of Sasha's soul, becoming an existence that should not have been born. Destiny tried to write her out, but Misha just ghosted the script and made her own debut. Anos then asks whether Ibis cast fusion magic on them both, noting that the spell for merging sources doesn't last indefinitely. Since they were separated by magic, they would inevitably fuse back together. Anos concludes that Ibis exploited these unique properties to create a superior demon race. Misha clarifies that Ibis used a division fusion resurrection magic called Dino Jixes. Anos scoffs, calling it a foolish and reckless spell. Misha admits she wished for a normal life, but her fate was predetermined. She would disappear, leaving only Sasha behind. Misha's ready to vanish like a magician's trick just to keep Sasha shining on stage. She has lived knowing she only had 15 years. Anos smiles, insisting that first they must stop Sasha. Together, Anos and Misha catch up to Sasha. Anos informs Sasha that Misha wishes to reconcile. Sasha lashes out at Anos and accuses Misha of forgetting her betrayal. Misha asks Sasha sincerely whether she truly hates her. Sasha proposes a duel with Anos. She would form a magic circle, and if Anos could control the magic, she would answer Misha's question. If he failed, he would follow her orders. Anos accepts, but to honor her courage, he keeps his eyes closed while she prepares the spell. Sasha completes the dual magic circles, Zexus and Delt, her creations. Anos recognizes that Zexus synchronizes sources. Sasha tells him that's the only one he needs to control. Anos chuckles, knowing she never intended to win. He effortlessly gains control and wins the duel, compelling Sasha to fulfill her promise. Sasha admits that it's her fate to live while Misha disappears, but she has researched magic to defy that fate. She offers to give Misha the rest of her life. The spell Delt would transform Misha into the original Sasha, but it required Misha to reject her. Sasha insists Misha will manage because she had worked hard to make Misha hate her, though in truth, she had always loved her deeply. Sasha activates Delt, but nothing happens. Shocked, Sasha hears Misha express her affection, finding Sasha's awkwardness endearing. Sasha, in tears, pleads for Misha to reject her so she can save her, but Misha refuses to disappear. She hugs Sasha, promising to always stay by her side. Afterward, she tells Anos she's content because she made up with Sasha, two miracles in her life. But Anos assures her that the real miracle is still ahead. Sasha begs Anos to let Misha stay. No matter the storm, Sasha's heart beats strongest when it came to protecting Misha. Anos poses a question that if a parent had a powerful daughter with little Demon King aptitude and a son with little power but great aptitude and both were dying, whom should they save? He answers his own question and comes up with the conclusion that he would save both. He plans to change the past because originally Sasha and Misha were two separate beings. If he sends their sources back 15 years using RIZZ, they'll be reborn as twins with distinct sources. He warns that the spell is massive, but he will share his magic via guise. Their task is to focus their demonic eyes on their origin, with the final condition being their belief in the founding ancestor, the true Demon King himself. Suddenly, RIZZ stabs Anos, declaring that the sisters were meant to be vessels for the founding ancestor via Dino Jixis. But Anos opens his eyes unbothered and pushes RIZZ aside that he had anticipated this. Anos pulls out the weapon from his chest and activates RIZZ. Sasha and Misha hold hands as the time travel spell begins. Yet their journey halts when Hugo Larabiaz, a guardian god of the heavenly realm who controls time, appears. Anos politely asks the god to let this pass as he only wants to save one demon. Hugo refuses, declaring punishment for disrupting time. Time rewinds for RIZZ, who is ordered to annihilate Anos. Though time is stopped, Anos shields himself. RIZZ attacks, but Anos taunts him, stating that crushing his heart isn't enough to kill him. RIZZ breaks the shield, prompting Sasha to tell Anos to run, but he assures them to trust him. RIZZ stabs Anos again, thinking this will finish him. He claims that the day Anos fled battle 2,000 years ago determined this outcome. Yet Anos reappears, alive and unfazed. RIZZ freezes time completely, turning the sisters into statues, yet Anos remains unaffected. RIZZ is stunned. No divine power could stop Anos. RIZZ insists that time cannot be changed because the gods decree it, but Anos counters that the fate imposed by gods is not absolute. He recalls the sisters' wishes to destroy that fate and see miracles. RIZZ attacks again, calling Anos a foolish founder, but Anos retorts that being Demon King is not about power, title, or authority, it is simply about being oneself. Determined, Anos promises to obliterate every injustice, starting now. A glass shatters and Sasha calls out for help, determined not to be defeated by fate. Anos tells them to swear their belief in him once more. As they swear, Anos shatters RIZZ's 2,000-year-old plan. He summons magic and reminds RIZZ where they stand inside his castle, Delsgate. He shows him what it means to face the Demon King on his own ground. Wielding the demon sword Venuznor, which annihilates all, Anos strikes RIZZ, crushing even divine order. RIZZ cannot heal, and Anos finishes him. Afterward, Anos calls his subordinate, who shares his blood. The subordinate reports that while the magic sword destroyed both the demon and the guardian god, one still remains. Anos demands an explanation. The subordinate admits his memory is incomplete, most of it erased likely by someone who murdered him and fused with his source. Anos retrieves RIZZ's true memories by placing his hand on his forehead. It seems someone linked to Abas Stilhebia possessed RIZZ. Anos orders RIZZ to investigate, starting with the other 7 elder demon emperors. Sasha and Misha return from the time spell. Anos urges them to hurry back before 9 to score perfectly. Sasha questions his need for a perfect score, given his power. Anos jokes that despite changing the past, he's never had a perfect test score. Upon returning, Misha is exhausted, nearly fainting. Anos picks up the letter she dropped. She becomes emotional, thinking of the kindness of her guardians but confessing she had been too scared to read the letter, believing the previous day was her last. Sasha hugs Misha tightly, promising to live with her. Anos reflects that peace isn't so bad after all. Though he resurrected himself after endless war, this world feels like the one he wished to create. He then asks Misha for her hand and places the lily pad ice ring on her finger, the one she had admired earlier. Both he and Sasha wish her a happy birthday. She thanks him, addressing him as Lord Anos. Teasing, he reminds her of her boldness when she kissed him. Embarrassed, she insists it was just a friendly kiss. Sasha blushes, calls him a mongrel, and scolds him. With the banter settled, they all head off to enjoy the feast prepared by Anos' mother. In the classroom, students waited eagerly for the announcement of the dungeon exam results. Homeroom teacher Amelia entered, informing the class of 2 important updates. First, a new transfer student would join them the next day. This student was a member of the Generation of Chaos and was famously known as the Master of the Magic Sword. Amelia reminded everyone dressed in white uniforms to remain aware of their standing when engaging with this new student. Amelia treated the white uniform students as if mediocrity itself had taken form and sat in her classroom. To her, every white uniform was less a student and more a stain on the academy's pride. Amelia's disdain dripped from every word, as though their mere presence polluted the halls of magic. She gazed at the hybrids with the same respect one might reserve for a broken wand, useless and replaceable. In Amelia's eyes, their white uniforms weren't fabric, but a flag of failure fluttering in a royal academy. Amelia treats white uniforms like cursed artifacts, fit only for display, never for glory. The second announcement concerned the scepter that Team Anos had retrieved during the dungeon exam. Before it could be appraised, it was reported stolen by an unknown party. party. As a temporary solution, Amelia declared that Team Anos would be granted a score of 70. Sasha immediately stood up, expressing her outrage by stating that this decision was unacceptable since the loss of the scepter was the Academy's responsibility and not the students. One of the boys interjected, suggesting that perhaps Team Anos had stolen the scepter themselves to prevent its appraisal and to hide the possibility of it being a fake. His accusation was layered with baseless humor and blame, creating murmurs in the classroom. Misa Ariologus also rose an objection, asserting that the judgment was unfair. She challenged whether such measures would have been taken if royalty had been involved instead. Misa questioned if Amelia's decision was driven by discrimination against hybrids. In response, Amelia firmly reminded Misa that Unitarian campaigns were prohibited on campus. Any further defiance, Amelia warned, would result in punishment. Anos then walked forward, proposing that exposing the culprit would suffice. Standing before the very boy who had cast suspicion, Anos retrieved the stolen scepter from his possession. He then returned the scepter to Amelia with a sharp comment suggesting that any attempt to frame him should have been executed more convincingly. The class erupted in noise and shock, but Amelia quickly called for silence. She announced that the students would undergo great magic sword training under the guidance of Sir Gaius and Sir Idol, 2 of the 7 elder demon emperors. After class, Misa approached Anos to express gratitude for the support displayed earlier. Discussion then shifted to the Unitarians, which Amelia had mentioned. Misa explained that Dilhade was ruled by pureblood royalty while hybrids were marginalized. She believes that the demons share a single pride, strength, not status. The Unitarians were formed to advocate for unity among demons, disregarding the divisions of bloodline. Misa mentioned that the Unitarians viewed Anos as the demon king of tyranny, and that, while their ideals were still distant, they had many allies. Strength blooms where unity takes root. Among them was Sir Melhais Boran, one of the 7 elder demon emperors. She acknowledged that having such influential support enabled the Unitarians to pursue their campaigns more effectively. An invitation was extended to visit the Unitarians. Later, the group visited the Union Tower, a place where students gather for various extracurricular activities. Misa proudly introduced the headquarters of the Anos Fan Union. Upon entering, the members reacted with overwhelming excitement at seeing Anos. With fans like a festival and power like a storm, legends tend to feel crowded. The room was filled with items and pictures dedicated to Anos. Sasha found a book brimming with images of him, while Misa admitted that these could serve as evidence if the fan union was ever scrutinized. When strength walks, admirers follow like shadows. Misa then guided them to another room to show a treasured possession, which is a gift from her father. She revealed her mixed heritage, being the daughter of a demon father and a spirit mother who had passed away shortly after her birth. Her father remained a mystery, though she believed him to be of royal descent. Misha reflected that royalty traditionally ensured pure blood lineage, making any hybrid offspring unfit for royal status. This explained why Misa's father likely kept his connection to her hidden. The magic sword in Misa's possession was a token from her father, given on her 10th birthday. She believed that her father held the other half of the sword. Hope was expressed for a future where demons of all kinds could coexist and laugh together with their families. A request was made to join Anos's team, with a promise to prove the depth of her resolve. Joining Legends isn't a choice, it's a calling written in courage. Soon after, attention shifted to Sasha, who noticed that the second she touched the sword, her magic power was drained. It was noted that the master of the magic sword was expected to appear that day. Students were informed about the upcoming magic sword tournament, aimed at determining Dilhade's top swordsman. Participants were challenged to pull swords, and those who succeeded would face Gaios Anzem or Idol Anzio. Anos was asked about the challenge, and it was noted that the sword seemed to reject Sasha. A clarification followed, recounting that during the mythical age, there existed a holy sword forged by a human swordsmith, blessed by the gods and inhabited by a sword spirit, a sword even Anos couldn't draw. He confidently pulled the sword presented to him. Gaios praised Anos and prepared to face him, while Idol called for others with swords drawn. A transfer student succeeded in pulling a sword and quickly defeated Idol. Gaios was also bested. It was not unusual for even an elder demon emperor to lose. The transfer student's swordsmanship was noted as impressive, though it was apparent that he was holding back. Emilia invited the transfer student to become the team leader, but the offer was declined. Instead, the transfer student approached Anos, introduced himself as Ray Gransdoran, and requested to join Anos's team. Observing the symbol of Anos, Ray expressed surprise that a demon of such stature was considered a misfit, questioning the aptitude test reliability. Anos saw potential in Ray, but said a condition of demonstrating true resolve would be necessary for acceptance. The next day, the team competition between Team Anos and Team Ray commenced. Ray addressed his team with humility, acknowledging his unorthodox leadership style. The notion of royalty and hierarchy seemed overly complicated to Ray, and skepticism was expressed about whether the founding ancestor ever endorsed such rigid systems. Anos directly faced Ray, using only a tree branch as a weapon. Meanwhile, Sasha and Misha worked together to build defenses, utilizing the lily pad ice ring to quickly construct an ice castle. Anos instructed them to hold their positions, even if outnumbered, maintaining the honor of being his subordinates. Sasha engaged in combat against Gwyneth, while Misha prepared a siege spell, linking the magical lines and releasing a powerful barrage. By deploying Hellfire Mortar, they amplified their magic, successfully activating Geograze and defeating Gwyneth. This success revealed that their magic had been amplified by the fusion of their past selves through Dinojixes. Unexpectedly, Misa attacked Sasha. Concurrently, Ray, having neutralized previous blows, engaged Anos Ano's more effectively. The fight between them showcased RIZZ adaptability. Sasha donned a robe to continue her battle. Misha joined, determined to aid against Gwyneth, as students within the magic structure desired acknowledgement from Anos. Misha and Sasha combined their magic, fire and ice to create GA Glade, a fusion magic that overwhelmed the opponent. For the first time, their synchronization was perfect, prompting a celebratory high five. Suddenly, an explosion shook the ground, resembling an earthquake. The mountain was blown apart and the river dried up, leading Sasha to call out to Anos. Calmly, Anos assured that the forest magic would restore everything by morning. Ray pressed the attack again, but Anos skillfully parried with the tree branch. Ray had made swift adjustments, and both fighters began to enjoy the intensity of the duel. Anos expressed that it had been a long time since such a challenging fight occurred, while Ray confessed it was his first time enjoying such prolonged combat. Ultimately, Ray was defeated, but acknowledged a sense of familiarity, as though an encounter had occurred 2,000 years ago. Anos speculated that a resemblance to someone from that era might explain the sensation. When asked if the claim of being the Demon King of Tyranny was true, Ray admitted that such a revelation would not be surprising. Having accepted defeat, Ray officially joined the team. A handshake sealed the new alliance, built on respect and the bonds forged in combat. Only a fool ignores the call to stand with the unstoppable. At home, Anos's mother radiated joy upon learning of his latest victory. Misa sat at the table, appearing uncertain as she asked if her presence was truly welcome at a gathering meant to celebrate Team Anos. Assurance was given that her presence was not only welcome but expected, as she had become one of his subordinates. Acknowledgement was given to her potential, as the spell she employed in the previous battle resembled the signature move of Lignan, the great spirit of water, suggesting a connection between them. Anos's father proudly commented that such achievements foreshadowed the making of a fine demon lord, recalling his dream. The conversation shifted when the mention of Sir Elio Ludowell, the mid-haze demon lord, emerged. Ludowell's name rang familiar. Misha noted that he was, in fact, Amelia's father. Later that night, curiosity arose regarding Ray and Misa's whereabouts. It was stated that they had stepped out for some air. Meanwhile, Anos's mother shared an old photo album of his childhood, leading to the realization that Misha had been correct. Anos was indeed a newborn. A reflection followed on the challenges faced during his birth, as complications had nearly claimed his life in the womb. With fervent prayers, his mother vowed to cherish and raise him no matter his nature, feeling that her prayers had been answered. Regardless of his differences from other children, the only important thing was his well-being. Elsewhere, gratitude was expressed by Misa to Ray for enabling her inclusion in Team Anos. Ray reflected regretfully, admitting that instead of confronting Anos, he should have targeted the Necron sisters. Perhaps if one of them had been defeated, the Fan Union girls could have joined his team. An apology was extended for prioritizing personal feelings over the team's victory. Misa, unable to fully understand Ray's indifferent stance on bloodlines, considered him the embodiment of Unitarian ideals. A gentle inquiry was made about her health, given her half-spirit, half-demon heritage. Misa admitted to occasional weakness but insisted she managed well. Ray observed that hybrids of her kind rarely lived long, especially after using spirit magic, yet she appeared to be an exception. Even she remained uncertain of her own nature. By morning, in the classroom, Amelia announced the approaching Magic Sword tournament and revealed that select students would represent the class. Applause followed for Anos and Ray, who were among those chosen. Instructions were given to both to secure a magic sword before the tournament. After class, Anos, standing with Ray, remarked that the last thing the royalty desired was a hybrid winning the tournament, implying that some hidden agenda was in play. Misa approached, announcing the arrival of Sir Melheis Baran, one of the 7 elder demon emperors. Upon seeing Anos, Melheis was overcome with emotion, bowing deeply and weeping. Anos prompted a recollection, and Melheis expressed shame, admitting that his memories had been forcibly erased. However, his source retained the truth. He recounted that 2,000 years prior, after constructing the Great Wall at the cost of his life, the next memory was awakening in the Great Spirit Forest of Ahurthurn, devoid of memories. Likely, the forest was a refuge from unknown attackers. Climbing over the wall that divided Dilhadi and Ahurthurn, it took him a century to regain sufficient magic to return, only to find that the title of Demon King of Tyranny had changed to Avos Dilhevia. 2,000 years of borrowed glory, now the true shadow reclaims its throne. Upon learning that the one who nominated Anos for the tournament was present in Delsgade, Melheis speculated that the royal supremacists orchestrated this, aiming to extinguish the Unitarians' hope embodied by Anos. A respectful request was made for Anos to consider withdrawing from the tournament, believing such a move might compel Avos Dilhevia to reveal himself. Back home, Misha prepared a meal, bringing a humorous atmosphere to the kitchen with her earnest efforts. Anos's mother shared that Amelia had visited, informing them of his participation in the Magic Sword tournament, a fact suggesting her strong desire for his involvement. Although uncertain about entering, consideration was given to the need for a reputable magic sword, essential for advancing toward the Demon Lord title. Before his mother could reveal important news, hesitation stopped her. Everyone gathered to enjoy Grant, with Misha feeding Anos the first bite, which turned out delicious. Afterward, a question arose about how to thank Misha. She suggested an outing, which was scheduled for the next day. Their destination was the Magic Model Shop, homeland of the Dragon of Creation and Misha's favorite spot. Upon arrival, news was shared that a buyer had been found for Misha's latest model. She intended to demonstrate her craft, but Anos showcased his own skills, crafting a miniature castle that replicated an entire town. He believes that it is at tyrant's hobby, sculpting cities before breakfast. The shop owner was stunned by this masterpiece. While observing his intricate creations, Misha became disheartened, feeling that Anos, capable of achieving so much, had no need for her. Anos reassured her, acknowledging her keen eye and proficiency in creation magic, predicting that she might surpass him in these fields someday. Unlike his destructive power, her creation magic represented its antithesis. Encouragement was given to deepen her understanding of her magic. Their path led to the Silvervine restaurant, a cat cafe. There, Ivas appeared disguised as a cat, apologizing for prior events. Anos tasked Ivas with investigating Melheis and the Unitarians, revealing that someone else secretly led them. The identity remained unknown, but another figure linked to Log North Magic Hospital was also under suspicion. The hospital, built under the ceremonial leadership of Demon Lord Elio of Midhaze, warranted further scrutiny. Ivas was instructed to continue these investigations, including the Magic Sword Tournament. Subsequently, a visit was made to Log North Magic Hospital. No immediate suspicion arose, but Ray was encountered there, visiting his ailing mother. Anos offered assistance if the doctors could do no more, though Ray declined politely, expressing gratitude. Even the sharpest blade dulls when a mother lies in pain. A private note was made that Ray seemed slightly different, prompting Anos to assign Ivas to investigate further. Ray sat quietly, holding his mother's hand as she lay in critical condition. Steel can defend kingdoms, but not mend a mother's fragile breath. During the tournament, Anos' mother arrived to cheer for him, nearly revealing a secret before holding back. Later, Ivas reported to Anos that Melheis had no involvement with the day's tournament, but Gaios and Idol, both of the 7 elder demon emperors, appeared to be manipulating events. Ray's mother was diagnosed with spirit disease, a condition unknown 2 millennia ago and extremely rare. A warrior unmatched yet powerless against fate's cruelest strikes. Anos considered withdrawing from the tournament to observe Abo Stilhevia's reaction. The first round of the Dilhadi Magic Sword Tournament commenced. Trud Ludowell of the Long North Magic Sword Association, the reigning champion and Dilhade's strongest swordsman, appeared. He was identified as Amelia's elder brother. Next, Anos Voldegode of the Demon King Academy Delsgate entered. The crowd voiced disdain, claiming a hybrid could never aspire to be the Demon Lord. Anos' mother, incensed by the insults, declared her unwavering belief in her son's destiny, a mother's faith stronger than any magic or prophecy. Meanwhile, Anos' father, despite being injured, presented a magic sword forged from adamantine steel by his own master. He expressed that a victory would symbolize that even hybrids could ascend to demon lordship. This sparked a resolve within Anos to face the hidden challenges rather than cower before a faceless enemy. Assurance was given to Misa that any trap laid would be shattered, driven by the desire to see his parents' joyous faces. On the battlefield, Kroot taunted, suggesting he expected Anos to have fled. The first round began while elsewhere Ray sat alone, deep in contemplation. The battle commenced with Anos and Kroot launching fierce attacks against each other. As the duel raged on, the students began singing an anthem, but before the melody concluded, Anos had already shattered Kroot's demon sword. The victor was swiftly declared. Kroot stood in disbelief, questioning how such a modest-looking sword could be the cause of his defeat. In response, Anos emphasized that there existed a strength beyond mere magic power within a sword forged with true craftsmanship and devotion. A reminder was issued not to underestimate the value and power of such a weapon. Whispers spread among the spectators, curious about the identity of Anos' father. Overcome with emotion, his father's eyes filled with tears. Anos, meanwhile, sat observing the ongoing matches. The outcome of the second match of the first round was soon decided. Ray of the Log North Magic Sword Association emerged victorious. After the match, Ray entered the room where Anos and Misa were present. Anticipating their unspoken questions, Ray addressed them directly. Misa sought clarity regarding his reasons for joining the Log North Magic Sword Association and whether the Royalists had offered him any incentives. Ray disclosed that the Royalists had promised a lifetime of wealth along with the title of Demon Lord. Declaring himself a Royalist, he distanced himself, stating that friendship between them was no longer possible. Before leaving, Ray coldly declared an intention to kill Anos. Without delay, Ray launched a sudden attack, landing a hit, but Anos retaliated by seizing his chest. Ray confessed that he aimed to sever Anos' head and limbs, while Anos retorted that the plan had always been to crush Ray's heart between his fingers. Blood stained Anos' hands, and upon closer inspection, a collar was noticed around Ray's neck. There was also a detectable presence of magical gear embedded within Ray's body, a contractual magic sword likely designed to destroy his source under specific conditions. It became evident that Ray was under duress, potentially held hostage, especially considering his earlier mention of his hospitalized mother. Strength feels hollow when the one cherished most fades before the eyes. Now, as the tournament progressed, Anos advanced to the finals. The Royalists remained unconcerned, confident that Ray would eliminate Anos in due time. After the matches, during the celebrations, Anos' mother requested the sword from him, adhering to the tournament rules that restricted the use of any alternative weapon in the finals. Though the sword proved too heavy for her, she vowed to protect it at all costs. Soon after, teleportation brought Anos and his companions to Ray's mother, whose magic power was fading and whose source grew ever sparser, resembling the ravages of old age. Observations revealed that she was not a pure-blood demon, and it was uncovered that Ray shared shared the same half-spirit, half-demon heritage. This led to the hypothesis that the spirit disease afflicting her was unique to those of mixed heritage. When Ray's mother opened her eyes, she recognized Anos by name, explaining that Ray had spoken frequently about him during visits. She mentioned that Ray considered Anos a new friend. Inquiry followed about the contractual magic sword within Ray, to which she admitted awareness. In exchange for her treatment, Ray had become bound to the Royalists, a sword traded not for honor, but for a mother's fragile heartbeat. Anos offered to heal her, suggesting that doing so would free Ray from his constraints. Understanding of the spirit disease was sought, and she explained that spirits comprised emotions, desires, rumors, and traditions, mere manifestations of such elements. In half-spirit, half-demons, tradition was fragile, akin to a newborn rumor, easily extinguished and gradually depleting the source. Anos proposed that passing down the tradition could restore her. When asked about her tradition, she admitted uncertainty but noted feeling somewhat stronger that day. She expressed gratitude, cherishing the rare chance to converse again. Her condition hinted that some tradition might have been transmitted unknowingly. She recounted Ray's passion for swordplay, despite his loneliness deepening after her collapse. Excitement had lit his face when sharing news of his defeat by Anos. She made a heartfelt request to free Ray, urging that he not be left to wield a cowardly sword even at the cost of her own life. Anos recognized that treating her without knowledge of her tradition posed risks, especially since spirit and demon sources differed. Sharing his life force would be futile. Considering Misa's similar lineage, a decision was made to link her source with Ray's mother. Instructions were given for Misa to channel her spirit magic, consuming her source, while Anos would infuse the generated rumors and traditions into Ray's mother using a specially created spell. The worst-case scenario, however, risked obliteration for both. Without hesitation, Anos initiated the procedure, warning that Misa would likely reach her limit before completion. During this, Anos' mother, Isabella, faced confrontation from Amelia, who demanded the contestant's sword, citing tournament regulations. Refusing to comply, Isabella was threatened with death alongside the sword. Amelia attacked the students accompanying Isabella, much to Isabella's shock, reminding Amelia that these were her beloved students. Amelia coldly dismissed this, labeling hybrids as mere thieves intruding on her classes and expressing her inability to forgive Anos for humiliating the Ludowell family. A relentless assault commenced, and the girls bravely shielded Isabella, buying her time to escape with the sword. Despite their efforts, Amelia struck them down one by one. Just as Amelia prepared to kill Isabella, Anos arrived and intercepted the attack. Surveying the unconscious students, Anos revived them and asked each to state their names, vowing never to forget them and expressing his deep indebtedness. With Amelia bound, Anos admitted his uncharacteristic rage, confessing that it nearly led to a reckless act. So, seizing her by the neck, he hurled her aside and drove his sword into her back, inflicting a fatal wound and predicting she had less than a minute to live. An ultimatum was issued: acknowledge Anos as the demon king of tyranny and plead for mercy or die. Initially defiant, Amelia eventually begged for her life, acknowledging his title. However, perceiving her plea as insincere, Anos ended her life. Using the spell Azheb, he resurrected her and inquired about the sensation of rebirth. Upon her insult, he revealed that she had been cursed to eternally reincarnate as a hybrid, regardless of how many times death claimed her. A challenge was posed to view the world anew from this altered perspective, potentially gaining insight into her previous biases. Back with Misa, Ray appeared unexpectedly, holding a knife to her neck. He questioned whether she was sharing her power with his mother. Misa expressed disbelief at his allegiance to the Royalists, knowing that his mother's recovery would free him. Ray urged her to avoid getting caught in futile emotions, reminding that her Unitarian mission was to save many hybrids, which might one day demand her life. Misa declared that such a day had arrived, driven by an unyielding desire to alleviate suffering. Ray, admiring her strength, struck her, rendering her unconscious to protect her from further harm. In the shadow of power, a son kneels not for glory, but for a cure, but he feels helpless. Returning to his mother's bedside, Ray witnessed her awakening. She expressed joy at their reunion, recalling the day she had rescued a wandering, rejected Ray and brought him home. Her advice had always been to remain true to himself. With these words, she closes her eyes peacefully. Exiting the room, Ray encountered Anos, who had just arrived. The following day marked the finals of the Dilhade Magic Sword Tournament. Anos and Ray stood face to face, ready for their climactic battle. The battle commenced between Anos and Ray, with Ray expressing disbelief that Anos continued to fight despite the ongoing depletion of his magic power. He remarked that Anos' efforts were ornamental at best, revealing that the Royalists had instructed him merely to stall for time, as prolonged combat would improve his chances of victory. In a surprising turn, Ray inflicted a deep wound upon himself with his sword, thereby violating his contract. Acknowledging that his death was imminent, he explained that with no ability to heal his mother, there remained no reason for Anos to perish alongside him. Anos, although surprised, recognized that Ray remained steadfast in his convictions until the very end, precisely the behavior expected of a true friend. He instructed Ray to discard any thoughts of the Royalists, the Unitarians, or even his mother, affirming that the present battle concerned only the two of them. The duel reignited with such intensity that the spectators could not keep track of their movements. Even the wind struggled to catch up with the motion of their swords. The clash of swords echoed through the arena, and in the heat of battle, Ray severed Anos' arm while Anos simultaneously drove his sword into Ray's body. Blades clashed faster than eyes could blink, mere shadows dancing in in the wind. It became clear that these events had been orchestrated over countless years, with Anos discerning that the implantation of the contractual magic sword within Ray, as well as his selection for the magic sword tournament, were all machinations of Melheis. Anos questioned whether Melheis truly believed that victory was secured simply because Anos had been trapped in a dimensional prison. Though weakened, his magic power reduced to less than half by the spirit drain ring and his severed arm unhealed due to the effects of the magic sword initio, Anos still assessed the state of Ray, while two more of the 7 elder demon emperors, Gaios and Idol, appeared to join the confrontation. With formidable adversaries before him, Anos faced a grim scenario. He commented on Melheis' misstep in revealing his hand. Utilizing the spell Revive, Anos pressed his advantage when Ray suddenly reappeared, declaring that Melheis was now the one caught off guard. Melheis was stunned to see the contractual magic sword removed from Ray, a feat made possible by Anos' final strike during their battle. Despite detecting no prior signs of collusion, Ray affirmed his unwavering trust in Anos, confident that he would transcend any predicament, rendering Melheis' schemes futile. Nonetheless, Melheis insisted that victory remained his. Melheis proposed a trade to Ray, promising to treat his mother in exchange for swearing fealty to the royalists. Anos interjected, instructing Melheis to go ahead and kill her, as the loss would cost them their shield regardless. The Ray attacked Melheis, who promptly closed his dimensional window, typically safeguarded with double or triple layers of traps. At that moment, 3 windows materialized, forming what was unmistakably Benno Lavoon, the wall Anos had constructed 2,000 years ago to divide the world, sacrificing his life in the process. Melheis had integrated and preserved a fragment of Benno Lavoon within the dimensional prison, siphoning Anos' magic power to sustain the spirit drain ring. He confidently asserted that in Anos' current weakened state, further progress was futile. Nevertheless, Anos' severed arm reached out toward Melheis. Melheis opened another window, disappearing within absolute space, a domain accessible only to the spellcaster. Meanwhile, Ray remained by his mother's side when Melheis appeared via another Benno Lavoon portal, preparing to strike. Just then, Anos launched an anti-demonic spell across dimensions. Ray inquired whether Anos could create a sword powerful enough using the magic from the anti-demonic spell. Anos warned that exposing his physical body would be fatal, but Ray assured that the threat would be cut down before that could happen. With renewed determination, Ray gripped the magic sword and began slashing at Melheis' magic. Melheis laughed ominously, sensing his end approaching. As Ray's strength waned, his mother, Sheila, regained consciousness, offering to assist. Melheis observed, speculating whether a spirit was attempting to reclaim its true form. Ray protested, aware that an unstable source and a half-spirit, half-demon would result in annihilation. Nevertheless, Sheila transformed into a magical sword, which Ray wielded. Memories of his childhood with his mother fueled his resolve as he fought fiercely, cutting even through space itself. Witnessing this, Melheis questioned if this was the power of the spirit sword. Sheila momentarily reappeared, expressing pride in Ray's growth before fading away. A mother's pride gleamed brighter than the sharpest blade her son wielded. Grief-stricken, Ray was encouraged by Anos to reserve his sorrow for later. Anos pledged to create an opening for Ray to honor his mother's legacy. Melheis, gathering his weapon, asserted that Benno Lavoon still provided ample reserves, yet Anos suddenly materialized behind him, shocking Melheis by entering the supposedly impenetrable absolute space. Anos reminded Melheis of the spirit sword's unique properties, leaving Melheis in disbelief. In desperation, Melheis invoked Benno Lavoon's silo, attempting to trap Anos within. Declaring a farewell to the Demon King, he was astounded to find Anos unharmed. Another attempt to strike proved futile, as Anos countered with Venos Nor. Though only a fraction of his former power was available post-reincarnation, the combination of the spirit drain ring and Benno Lavoon's power had reawakened his destructive source. A fierce clash ensued until Melheis attempted to retreat, but suddenly collapsed. Despite believing he had evaded the attack, Anos questioned his assumption, asserting that mere evasion was insufficient. Breaking through Melheis' magic, Anos drove his sword into Melheis, encountering an obstruction within him. Anos urged Melheis to regain his senses. The surroundings reverted to normal as Anos inquired whether the obstruction was the Sword of Subordination, a burdensome artifact embedded within Melheis. Regaining lucidity, Melheis apologized and revealed that an unknown entity had assaulted him after their last meeting, manipulating him ever since. Anos commanded the summoning of Gaios and Weidel, revealing that the sources of all 7 Elder Demon Emperors, except Melheis, had been fused and commandeered. Taking control of Gaios and Weidel's sources, Anos prepared to resurrect them, demanding the identity of the traitor. A masked figure appeared, prompting Anos to inquire whether this was Avo Stilhevia. The masked individual departed in silence, leaving Anos to instruct Melheis to revive Gaios and Idol. Meanwhile, the audience remained oblivious to the true events as the battlefield was cloaked by spells that concealed both visuals and sound. Eventually, the crowd witnessed Ray lying on the ground, and the official announcement declared Anos the victor. Anos didn't just win the fight, he carved his supremacy into the air itself. Anos publicly attributed his triumph to the sword his father had lovingly forged, praising his father and moving him to tears. Afterward, Anos healed Ray, who awoke with tears in his eyes, to which Anos reassured that Sheila, Ray's mother, was safe. Embracing his mother, Sheila expressed confusion over her revival. Anos explained that by spreading the rumors and traditions comprising her origin, her true true form being a sword, her source had been restored. The tradition had resonated with his earlier proclamation before the audience about the hidden strength in a lovingly forged sword. That statement, broadcast across Dilhade via magic transmission, reinforced the tradition, facilitating Sheila's recovery and revival. Sheila expressed heartfelt gratitude. Later, during the Academy's award ceremony, Anis received the commemorative gift for his victory. Sasha surprised everyone by kissing Anos while presenting the gift. She explained that the kiss was a customary formality, not a personal desire. Declaring that she had no intention of praising any demon king but Anos, she received his approval, acknowledging that she was indeed on the right path. Sasha arrived late after oversleeping so hard, even hibernating bears sent a wake-up call. Upon finding Misha and Anos together, she immediately scolded Misha for not waking her up. Misha calmly explained that she had tried multiple ways to rouse her, but nothing worked. Anos realized that Sasha was not a morning person. Sleeping so long, even time itself filed a complaint. Teasing her, Anos offered that if she would like, he could come over and wake her himself next time. Soon after, Misa and Ray joined them, and together they proceeded to their classroom, where they were greeted by Menu Historia, the homeroom teacher for Year 3, Class 1. She informed them that she would be temporarily taking over Emilia's position. Manu then outlined the upcoming schedule, announcing that in 3 weeks, inter-academy classes would be held, and the third-year students of their academy would represent them, particularly their first-year class known as the Generation of Chaos. The venue would be Azeshion's Hero Academy, Arklaniska, located in the human realm. The students murmured among themselves, surprised by the prospect of visiting the human realm for the first time. Since the curriculum did not introduce heroes until the third year, Manu decided to explain herself. As she wrote on the board, she described heroes as brave warriors who had led human forces during the Age of Chaos. Their hero troop magic was said to be comparable to the demon's Geysi spell. She asked if any student knew what that was. With a snap of his fingers, Anos conjured a magic pattern, demonstrating Asla. He explained that unlike Geysi, which distributes magic power among subordinates, Asla allows subordinates to pool their magic into their leader. However, to unlock Asla's true potential, one must employ the spirit magic Ask, which converts the souls of comrades into raw magic power. Geysi was meant for defense by creating castles, while Asla was designed specifically to breach and destroy such defenses. Mayu then informed the class that there would be a Geysi versus Asla examination during the inter-academy classes and reminded them to complete their assignments. She curiously asked Anos if he was the misfit, noting his deep knowledge of hero lore. Later, Anos pondered by the window whether, now that the world was peaceful, people had forgotten the role of heroes. Sasha approached, mentioning that the remainder of the day was designated for study hall. Anos invited Sasha, Misa, and Ray to join him, suggesting it was a good opportunity for training. As they gathered, Anos and Sasha sparred. Anos remarked that Sasha's demonic eyes were capable of much more and warned her to fight as though her life depended on it, despite it being mere study hall. Misha and Ray joined in, though their efforts were easily thwarted by Anos. He critiqued Misha's craftsmanship and reminded Ray to prepare for situations where he might lose his sword in battle. Noting the presence of spirit magic, Anos captured Misa, commenting on her initial weakness. He recalled that the hero he once knew was so powerful, he barely seemed human. Although unsure whether that hero had reincarnated, he knew their opponents would carry the names of heroes. Ray, Misha, and Sasha devised a plan, creating a defensive castle. Later, Anos asked Melheis about Gaios and Idol. Melheis reported that although he had resurrected them, their sources had been overtaken 2,000 years ago. Of the 7 elder demon emperors, 3 remained likely all under Avos Dilhevia's control. Anos questioned why Melheis' source alone had been spared. Melheis warned Anos to be vigilant during the upcoming inter-academy sessions, confessing his suspicions about the true purpose of the Hero Academy in Azeshion. While officially established to cultivate contributors for national growth, it apparently also served as an elite class for reincarnated heroes. He wondered why, in a time of peace, they would train only resurrected heroes, especially when the reason was deliberately obscured. At that moment, Ray entered and greeted Anos, who invited him to choose a weapon. Ray selected the unique sword Sigshesta, which Anos explained could transform according to the wielder's heart and soul. Without proper focus, it would remain a blunt blade. Anos reminisced about his right-hand man from 2,000 years ago, the only one capable of mastering every sword. He told Ray that he reminded him of that man, suggesting that Ray might be his reincarnation, though Ray admitted to having no clear memories, but feeling a strange connection to another era. Anos recalled his promise with Kanan that if reincarnated, Kanan would return as his friend, a bond forged beyond life and death, where even time bends to their camaraderie. Soon after, students were informed of their journey to Gairadite, the capital of Azeshion, for inter-academy classes. They had 10 days to reach the destination, and any student who failed to arrive in time would be disqualified. As Ray, Misa, Sasha, and Misha debated their route, Anos dismissed their concerns and transported them instantly using magic. Sasha remarked that reaching the destination without effort spoiled the adventure, prompting Ray to explore the city further. Misa chose to contact the fan union, while Misha accompanied her. Anos went to investigate the Hero Academy, inviting Sasha to join him. Azeshion differed significantly from Dilhade. Sasha cautioned Anos against causing a commotion, especially with the inter-academy sessions approaching. Anos assured her that he possessed some common sense, which surprised Sasha, given his earlier ruthlessness during training. Anos praised Sasha's resilience, commending her strength and acknowledging her demonic eyes as worthy of his own. He assured her that when he complimented her eyes before, he had meant it. He asked her to promise that if his own eyes ever felt a danger beyond his reach, she would protect everyone using hers. Sasha agreed, asking in return that he stop treating her like a child. He accepted. To the Demon King, Sasha's pride is just as fragile as a child's toy castle. At the Hero Academy Arklaniska, a girl stopped them, warning that the academy was off-limits to outsiders. She introduced herself as Eleanor Bianca, a third-year student, and escorted them inside. She explained that the academy nurtured heroes across all disciplines and was established in a castle from the Great War 2,000 years prior. Sasha noticed a portrait of Canon as they entered the library, which held magical text from across Zession. Eleanor recommended a book detailing Hero Canon's defeat of the Demon King of Tyranny. Sasha questioned the human belief that Canon had defeated the Demon King, asking about the walls that divided the world into 4 parts. Eleanor asserted that Canon had built those walls to shield humans from demons, but Sasha angrily corrected her, revealing that it was the Demon King who sacrificed his life to create them for peace. Anos gently silenced Sasha, knowing that allowing humans to believe in Canon's victory was necessary for their peace of mind. Anos asked Eleanor if she knew the name of the Demon King of Tyranny. She answered, Avos Dilhevia. The same misinformation spread in the demon realm. A legacy twisted. Avos Dilhevia, the greatest fraud in demonic history. Anos inquired about the elite class of reincarnated heroes, and Eleanor confirmed the existence of the Jurga Canon class, comprised of heroes reborn from various eras. She explained that Canon had 7 sources, and even if one survived, the others could be revived, possibly in different bodies. Just then a boy interrupted, doubting Anos' claim that the Demon King built the walls for peace. He introduced himself as Ledriano Canon Azeshin, the reincarnation of Canon's first heart. Soon after, Laos Canon Jilfer, the reincarnation of Canon's third heart, joined him. Anos doubted their claims, believing that Canon's true soul was singular. Instead of further debate, the two flexed their strength, with Laos attacking Anos unsuccessfully. Ledriano acknowledged Laos's defeat and politely asked Anos to withdraw, requesting his name. After Anos complied, he and Sasha exited. Eleanor praised Anos' strength, but he clarified that he hadn't demonstrated his full power. He confided that if he had faced the real Canon, the battle would have been far different. Eleanor then asked if Anos himself was reincarnated and had known Canon 2,000 years ago. He affirmed, revealing that he and Canon had made a promise before reincarnation. Before parting, Eleanor told Anos that if he sought Canon, he was already gone. The Canon Anos knew was no more. Anos asked what she meant, and Eleanor solemnly explained that Canon was murdered 2,000 years ago. Even with his source intact, he was no longer the same hero. When Anos pressed for the killer's identity, a gust of wind blew fiercely, and Eleanor revealed it was a human who had killed Canon, a hero betrayed, not on the battlefield, but by the very hands he swore to protect. The students of the Demon King Academy finally arrived at the Hero Academy, where they were greeted with the news that Team Anos had already arrived, 10 days earlier in fact. The other students were visibly surprised. As Team Anos followed Eleanor through the academy, a group of royal demons blocked their path. One of them, a third-year student named Rivest Aini, confronted Anos, having heard he was the first to arrive. When Anos asked for his name, Rivest introduced himself and then apologized for his earlier suspicions. However, he made it clear that he still did not recognize Anos as the Demon King of Tyranny, despite his claims. During the first day of the inter-academy classes, the Hero Academy's headmaster, Diego Canon E.J. Sika, introduced himself to all the students. He was also the instructor of the elite Jurga Canon class. For a warm-up exercise, Manu instructed each academy to demonstrate their magic using the provided objects on stage. The Hero Academy chose their rank 2 student, Ledriano, to represent them, while the Demon King Academy selected their top third-year, Rivest. Ledriano went first, using the hero magic, Lie Hid successfully. Rivest then stepped forward to cast the demonization magic on Nedra, but despite repeated attempts, he couldn't perform the spell. This failure led to mockery from Ledriano and Diego, who ridiculed the Demon King Academy for being incapable of enchanting even a small mouse. Anos stood up, accusing the Hero Academy of setting them up. He revealed that Ledriano hadn't simply cast Lie Hid, he had also used the concealment-breaking magic Delenos, which sealed any magic cast by demons within a hidden barrier. With a snap of his fingers, Anos not only broke the barrier, but transformed the mouse into a beast, and even turned the sword on the table into a holy sword, a feat unthinkable even with Lie Hid. The onlookers were shocked, and although some began to accept that Anos might truly be the Demon King of Tyranny, one of the royal demons erupted in anger, refusing to believe that a hybrid like Anos could be the Demon King. Laos stood up, challenging anyone to surpass Anos, but Rivest objected, reminding him that Anos was still a misfit and questioning if he was criticizing the royals. After class, Anos asked Melheis about his investigation. Melheis reported that while there was no record of Canon being killed by a human in Azesion's legends, an intriguing prophecy was commonly recited among Hero Academy graduates. One day, utter darkness will once again consume Azesion. But have no fear, offer hope and prayers to the the legendary hero. Then he shall appear, spirit god, human sword Evan's mana in hand, to illuminate the world. Melhai suggested that this prophecy indirectly referred to Anos himself as the utter darkness, and that this hero legend was perpetuated specifically to ensure that Canon or his reincarnations would destroy Anos if he ever returned. Later, Sasha and Misha invited Anos to join them at the festival celebrating hero Jirga's birth. There, they spotted Ray and Misa together. Ray noticed Misa looking troubled. She confessed that the Hero Academy students had a frightening look in their eyes that day and wondered if things were about to take a dark turn. To lighten her mood, Ray tugged at her cheeks playfully and gave her a necklace, a token of gratitude for saving him during the ordeal with his mother. A necklace bestowed, a silent declaration sharper than any blade. The next day, Misa's friends admired the necklace she was wearing. She revealed that someone had put it on her and that it had a unique clasp unseen in Dilhade. When asked who gave it to her, she blushed and kept it a secret. Sasha later mentioned to Ray that she'd looked up the story behind that necklace, the Mishens necklace, known for its romantic legend. Jewels may shine, but this gift gleams with unspoken promises. During the Great War, two human lovers facing death split a holy seashell in half to make two necklaces, promising to reunite after reincarnation. Over time, it became customary to fashion a single necklace from two and give it to one's beloved. Misha explained that if someone broke the single shell necklace and gave one half to another, it was equivalent to a marriage proposal. Hearing this, the hybrid students teased Ray and Misa about marriage. Later, the students gathered at Lake Seme where Diego announced the next inter-academy exam. The challenge was a battle using each academy's troop magic. Asla for the heroes, Gize for the demons, in the lake's underwater cities and caverns. Diego smugly offered that the Hero Academy would send their elite class and mock the Demon Academy for sending a decent team as he considers them nobility in name, but strength borrowed from fairy tales. Some royals grew enraged, but Anos cautioned them not to fall for such cheap provocations. Manu stated that she would have sent Team Anos if only they had enough members, as the requirement was a team of 10. Reves stepped forward, declaring that the Academy's honor was at stake and couldn't be entrusted to a misfit like Anos. Despite his disdain, he vowed to fight for their teacher Manu, whose pride was on the line. Anos encouraged Reves to expose the enemy's strategy, lest he bring further shame. As the exam began, the Demon Academy students struggled underwater, quickly overwhelmed by the Hero Academy, who had rigged the environment. Anos lent Manu his demonic eyes, revealing the trick. The lake was infused with holy water, toxic to demons, but empowering for humans. The heroes also wore magical gear to continually supply themselves with holy water. The demon forces were flanked and weakened, their magic nullified. As the situation worsened, Manu demanded Diego rescue the students immediately. He arrogantly dismissed her, blaming her for their plight. Anos intervened, teleporting all his academy students out of the lake with his magic. Revest was critically injured by holy magic, and healing spells proved ineffective. Manu apologized tearfully, blaming herself for her pride. Revest, stubborn, refused Anos's help, but Anos challenged his pride, asking if he was so weak that he let himself die just to avoid help for his teacher's sake. Revest finally relented, revealing the enemy's magical device that controlled the holy water, and admitted with tears that he wished he had Anos's power. Moved, Anos healed him and all the other wounded students. With their team restored, Team Anos advanced to round 2. Sasha mocked the defeated third years, noting they were all bark and no bite. The heroes retorted that they had simply used their home field advantage. Heine even taunted Anos to drain the lake if he could. Accepting the challenge, Anos ascended into the sky and used his magic to completely dry the lake, a feat that stunned Diego, as the holy water was a divine gift. Anos then summoned the Hero Academy students to come down and fight. Diego tried to cancel the exam, but his students refused, eager to fight. Manu declared both academies should take their positions. Ledriano told Diego not to worry because they were prepared to use that. Meanwhile, it was revealed that the Hero Academy had captured Eleanor. Thus, round 2 of the Inter-Academy exam officially began, with both sides determined not to disgrace their ancestors' pride. Sasha inquires about the plan, and Anos responds that he will devise one if necessary. He conjures a magic sphere and launches it towards the enemy's area, but it proves ineffective as a girl intercepts it and shatters it into tiny fragments. Anos realizes that some of the opponents might pose a considerable challenge. They notice a barrier known as the Igalia, a spell that diminishes enemy power while amplifying the strength of allies. Progress would be impossible unless the barrier is neutralized. Misha suggests that by utilizing the topographical effects of a demon castle, they can counter the draining spell. She decides to construct a castle at the corner of the barrier, estimating that it will take her 3 minutes to complete. Anos agrees, promising to protect her during that time, and instructs the others to join them once the castle is finished. With that, he teleports away with Misha. Misha activates Iris and begins building the castle. The students of the Hero Academy observe the immense magic being unleashed within the barrier and question whether Anos truly believes they will idly watch as the construction progresses. Anos acknowledges the girl's abilities and asks for her name. Ledriano responds that the girl is unable to speak, so he will answer on her behalf. He introduces himself as the Hero Academy's top ranker, the reincarnation of Hero Canon's 4th source, and reveals that the girl's name is Zeshia Canon Ej Sika, who wields the Holy Sword of Light, Enhail. He declares that the sword is capable of destroying their unfinished castle in a single strike. They all launch attacks at Misha, but Anos steps in to shield her. They bind Anos with a spell and mockingly laugh, boasting that their numbers number totals 8888. Anos activates Girasde, leaving them stunned, and an explosion follows. Zacia swings her sword, but it is ineffective. It becomes evident that the four of them are not the ones supplying power to the barrier. Anos notices that Misha has completed the castle. Amidst the ruins, Laos uses his magic to rise. Seething with rage at Anos' disrespect, Sasha appears, asserting that Laos should not have bothered dealing with Anos and vows to drive him to the brink of despair. Ray draws his sword and begins attacking. Sasha, engaged with Laos, also possesses his magical gear. Laos employs Garuford and strikes her, retrieving his gear and trapping her within the barrier spell Birds. As he prepares to finish her, he suddenly coughs up blood and collapses. He sees Sasha laughing, who reveals that she tampered with his school badge, infusing it with poison magic. With his nose bleeding, Laos warns that if Sasha cannot break Birdsy, she will die. However, Sasha uses her eyes to destroy Birdsda and then asks if he knows why she is called the Witch of Destruction, punishing him for his arrogance toward her demon king. Meanwhile, Heine confronts Ray, stating that he should be unable to move within the earthquake barrier that suppresses sacred power. Heine brandishes the great sacred earth sword Zelo, explaining that any wound inflicted by Zelo will leave an unhealable stigma. Ray, without hesitation, cuts his own arm, shocking Heine with his ability to move inside the barrier. Ray's unique sword can transform at will and absorb sacred magic power, proving effective. Heine mocks Ray, claiming that a fake sword could never match him. But when Ray strikes the ground, the earth trembles, causing Heine's sword to disobey him. Advancing, Ray explains that he will leave Heine with a stigma out of mercy, since on a real battlefield, the suffering would be far worse. Heine trembles in fear as Ray slashes him. Elsewhere, Anos lands and questions Ledriano if he intends to feign death indefinitely. Ledriano rises, acknowledging Anos' perceptiveness, and challenges him to fight seriously. He chants a spell and summons the sacred ocean guardian sword Bela Mente. Meanwhile, Zeshia attempts to strike Anos from behind, but he effortlessly blocks her. Anos questions Ledriano's notion of fairness, continuously dodging Zeshia's attacks. Her sword cannot pierce Anos, who then grabs her hand and hurls her onto Ledriano. They fall back, and Ledriano tells Zeshia that they will use a special skill, raising their hands along with their teammates to channel all their power, proclaiming themselves as Azesion's great hope and symbol of peace. Ledriano laughs, asserting that the souls of Gyrodite's people, now numbering 10 million compared to 100,000 2,000 years ago, are supporting them. He declares that this illustrates the difference between demons who rely solely on power and humans with sacred souls. Zeshia strikes Anos, but he blocks her effortlessly. Ledriano joins the attack, claiming that love is the source of their strength, but Anos shields himself with an Ask magic circle. Anos counters, asking who decreed that demons lack love. When Ledriano boasts about their support from 10 million people, Anos retorts that 8 should suffice. He calls upon the fan union, and the girls respond, ready to cheer and channel their love to Anos through song. Zeshia and Ledriano persist in their assault, but none of their attacks harm Anos. Ledriano is bewildered as to how the collective love of 10 million could be overcome. Anos explains that the key lies not in numbers, but in the urgency and unity of those feelings, emphasizing that their efforts pale compared to the emotions Hero Cannon bore alone 2,000 years ago. Suddenly, a voice commands them to kill Anos, repeating the directive. Even the girls on Anos' team start echoing the command, revealing a brainwashing spell. Misha arrives, confirming that the voice was filled with pure hatred. Observing Ledriano's rage, Anos instructs Misha to step back. As Misha vanishes, he warns Zeshia against unleashing the spell, predicting it will not end well for her. Nonetheless, Zeshia leaps at Anos, stabbing herself and casting Gavwell, triggering a massive explosion that obscures everything. Ledriano laughs, but as the smoke clears, Anos stands unharmed. He admits he never expected a source explosion and tells Ledriano that his life is not so cheap to trade for the future. Seeing Zeshia, whom he thought had obliterated her source, stab herself again and cast Gavwell, Anos grabs her head before she can act further. Eleanor's voice resonates, urging Anos to come to the shrine since only she can handle Zeshia. Anos sends Misha to the shrine while he restrains Zeshia. Misha, en route, is ambushed by Diego, who expresses his deep resentment, referencing all the humans killed by demons. Misha responds that the human-demon conflict dates back 2,000 years. Diego opens the sacred gate, releasing himself from a seal, and viciously stabs Misha repeatedly, declaring he will never forget the past even after 1,000 years. Misha bleeds and points out that Diego has broken the rules, as this was no accident. Diego admits it was deliberate, always intending for her kind to die, and plans to annihilate her source to prevent resurrection. Before he can succeed, Anos arrives, attacks Diego, shields Misha, and heals her. Afterward, Anos confronts Diego, punishes and kills him, then revives him to extract the Academy's true objective. He questions the hostility displayed by Diego's students, suspecting a deeper agenda. When Anos inquires if the voice commanding them was Diego's, Diego dismisses the notion, claiming a demon has no right to know a hero's exalted goals. Anos then uses Nidra, demonization magic, revealing Diego's true demonic form. Diego, now a demon, incites his followers to kill the demons without fear. Diego is stunned when his plan fails to detonate. Anos explains that he stopped time across the entire lake before Gabel could activate. Inserting his hand into Diego, Anos observes that a wounded source holds more power than death itself, with Hero Cannon being the sole exception capable of enduring it. With 7 sources sources, Kanan revived repeatedly, fighting for humanity even as his sources were torn apart and destroyed. Anos questions whether Diego could even comprehend such conviction, noting that Kanan always chose death over sacrificing others. Declaring that Diego is no hero, Anos destroys him. Later, Misha awakens in Anos's arms. He apologizes, explaining that healing wounds from sacred light exposure is far more difficult than treating a stigma. When Misha inquires about the light, Anos identifies it as the thunder god sword Evan's mana. Misha assures him that she is well enough to walk. In the shadows, Eleanor opens her eyes, acknowledging Anos's arrival. When Anos asks her identity, she introduces herself simply as magic. Not a human, not a spirit, just magic walking with a smile. Eleanor explains to Anos that she was created by a taboo magic spell that turns humans into magic itself. She reveals that she is, in fact, human magic. Her name is Eleanor. Anos realizes this is why. Even when Ledriano and the others were blasted away, the De Galia barrier remained intact. It was Eleanor alone who had taken on the role of healing even their mortal wounds. But before they can proceed further, Anos knows they must first dispel the Gavwell spell that Diego had cast on Jurga Kanan. He is currently holding it off with Revive, but if left unchecked, everyone's source will explode. Eleanor offers to handle it if Anos sets her free. She tells him that source magic is her specialty. Trusting her, Anos agrees and breaks the shield binding her. Grateful, Eleanor thanks him and immediately dispels the barrier. With guys disabled, things finally stabilize. Eleanor decides to tell Anos everything about the Hero Academy. When he asks if they were cloning humans, she confirms that the Academy had been creating source clones through her. These clones, born from source magic, could be replaced endlessly, even if killed with their sources destroyed. She then reveals that a human had initiated this project 2,000 years ago, Commander Jurga, who had led the subjugation army alongside Hero Kanan. She confirms Anos' suspicion that Jurga harbored a deep-seated hatred for demons. Even long after the Great War ended, his fear was that future generations would forget this hatred. Thus, he founded the Hero Academy and manipulated magic laws, transforming his source into 2 magic spells, one of which is Ask. People believe Ask connected them to Kanan, but in truth, it was fueled by Jurga's lingering thirst for revenge. Anos realizes that this craving for vengeance was embedded into all those under Aski's influence. Eleanor explains that a tiny fragment of Jurga's memories remains within her. She then shows Anos a memory of Kanan confronting Jurga, saying that while he understood Jurga's hatred for demons, their war had been fought so that their children wouldn't inherit such animosity. Kanan reminded Jurga that even the demon king of tyranny sacrificed himself for peace, asking whether they should prepare for war again. Yet Jurga was disillusioned. A soldier loyal to Jurga stabbed Kanan, betraying and killing the hero he trusted. Since then, Kanan never returned, never revived, likely because he was tired of humans. Even the bravest hero grows weary when gratitude is paid in betrayal. Eleanor admits that although Jurga's source split into 2 magic spells, she was the failure among them. The hatred had been absorbed into Ask, leaving her with little of Jurga's memories. Her only role was to create source clones, beings robbed of emotion and speech, existing only to fight and disappear. She laments that as long as things continue this way, no one will ever find happiness. She had always hoped someone would come to end this, and now she asks Anos to destroy her, since only he has that power. She admits that after all the killing, if the children she created could speak, they would never forgive her. At that moment, Zashia approaches Eleanor, calling her Mama, and pleads with Anos to save her, even crying. Anos gently praises Eleanor for enduring everything for 2,000 years, a soul chained in centuries of agony, yet still standing unbroken. He promised her that he'll grant her wish. He vows to make them all happy. Suddenly, Diego appears. Anos realizes this is another of Diego's source clones, the one spreading Aski. Eleanor warns that as long as she exists, Diego will regenerate endlessly. An explosion shakes the scene. The 7 elder demon emperors have arrived, along with backup. Diego mocks the demons, claiming it is futile for any demon to draw Hero Kanan's holy sword. But as he attacks, he is killed. Anos sees the 7 elder demon emperors with another figure and asks his name. The figure introduces himself as Avos Dilhevia, the demon king of tyranny, proclaiming his return to destroy everything. Anos confronts him, questioning his intentions under a false name, calling him the fictitious demon king. Avos declares that he will challenge the world, dragging it into the true world of demons swallowed by deep darkness, and that the time has come with no turning back. Days later, it is publicly declared that history has repeated itself. The deep darkness has returned, assaulting the shrine and stealing Azeshion's guardian deity, the thunder god sword Evan's mana. The legend of the demon king of tyranny's revival after 2,000 years is confirmed. It's announced that he will lead the demons in invading their nation. However, the public is reassured that the demon subjugation army will bring justice and triumph over the demons. Meanwhile, the 7 elder demon emperors announce their lord's awakening. Exil, Avos Dilhevia, appears, confessing that in the past he made a mistake by dividing the world into 4 realms to seek peace and showing humans mercy. Yet humans haven't changed in 2,000 years. They still cling to the myth of a holy sword meant to annihilate him. Now, he seeks to correct his past error, calling for the strongest to gather around him to destroy the foolish humans. The demons cheer for him. Melheis informs Anos that most demon lords have sided with Avos Dilhevia and are moving toward the border. The demon king's subjugation army is preparing to intercept them. Anos declares declares that this is the battle he left unfinished 2,000 years ago. When Melheis offers to join the fray, Anos declines, but Melheis insists, unwilling to ignore someone falsely claiming their lord's name. Sasha and Misha appear, insisting on joining Anos. The hybrid students also rally to his side. Anos reflects on how lucky he is to have such loyal subordinates and friends. Later, Rei encounters a worried Misa, who fears for everyone's safety. Rei reassures her, saying, "This is nothing compared to the Great War 2,000 years ago, one he believes he fought in." When Misa closes her eyes expecting a kiss, Rei instead puts on a necklace. Misa teases that this is like a proposal, and Rei promises he'll come back. Anos gathers everyone, asking what they should do. Sasha suggests preventing skirmishes between Dilhade forces and a Demon King subjugation army, neutralizing both sides and finding a way to remove the grudge implanted by Oski. Anos commands them not to die and not to kill. No life should be lost over such matters. Azeshion's forces are positioned, and the Dilhade forces are preparing to strike. Anos assigns Misha and Sasha to stop the Western troops, declaring that their Demon King has no desire for war. He tasks the Fan Union with supporting the rear guard and instructs Rei and Misa to destroy the Eastern troops without letting them cross the border. Melheis is ordered to subdue the 7 elder demon emperors, while Anos himself will confront Abos Dilhevia. On a mountain, Anos and Melheis stand, expecting to find Abos. Anos uses magic to attack the area, drawing out their enemies. Melheis captures Meduin, Zoro, and Eldora, who were being manipulated by Abos, but finds that their sources have fled their hosts. Anos enters the castle but doesn't find Abos inside until eventually they face each other. Abos draws his sword, rushing at Anos, and they clash. Anos tells him it has been 2,000 years, addressing him as Hero Canon. He then pulls out the necklace, saying he knows Canon came to fulfill his promise. Avos removes his mask. He is indeed Hero Canon. Canon asks how Anos figured it out, admitting he thought he had fooled him into thinking he was dead. Anos explains that the necklace gave it away. Even if Canon had lost his past life memories, he recognized the single shell necklace as something only known through the Azeshion myth. This meant Canon remembered everything and was hiding it. Anos knows Shin would never lie to him, and deduces that no demon could wield both a unique sword and a holy sword, unless the great hero himself resurrected as a demon. He questions Canon, suspecting he only has one source left and asking what happened to the other 6. Avos Dilhevia had fused 7 sources, matching Hero Canon's 7, confirming Anos' theory. He believes Canon played the fake Demon King to hide the truth, though many events like Misha's birth through Dino Jix's and incidents at the Magic Sword Tournament weren't part of his plan. Anos admits he doesn't know Canon's story, but even those tears Canon shed to save his mother seem genuine. Anos concludes that Canon must still be trying to save something, even while acting as the false Demon King. He then asks Canon, what exactly happened 2,000 years ago? Canon answers just as Anos suspected, humans were weak. He reveals to Anos that he was murdered by the followers of Jurga, who then devised a scheme to obliterate him 2,000 years later. Such an irrational error committed by humans compelled him to correct that mistake. The Evans Mana possesses the power to nullify even destiny itself. Using it, he nullified his destined reincarnation as the Demon King of Tyranny. When Anos inquires if this is the reason his name was forgotten, he explains that over time, history was gradually rewritten, leading to the creation of the counterfeit Demon King Abos Dilhevia. He admits he never expected Anos to uncover the truth. He acknowledges that his current intention is to allow himself to be slain by humans as the Demon King of Tyranny. He states that humans will inevitably kill demons, and his only remaining option would be to slay humans, despite being the one who desired peace more than anyone else 2,000 years prior. The root of this perpetual hatred lies in Jurga's infusion of malice into Aski. Destroying Avos Dilhevia would, in theory, dispel that curse. After being betrayed and murdered by humans, Anos questions Canon on whether such self-sacrifice is necessary. Canon responds that he still wishes to uphold the identity of a hero. He recognizes that Anos achieved peace through the sacrifice of his life, fulfilling his promise, and that the world has indeed become splendid. Yet, Canon laments that the peace he desired is incomplete, as he has yet to witness genuine human kindness. Anos recounts the ancient tradition where human lovers on the brink of death would split a holy seashell to create matching necklaces, worn with the hope of reunion and reincarnation. In his perspective, this shell is akin to a Mishent's necklace, a farewell to a loved one. He knows Rei has meticulously prepared for his grand plan over the centuries. No words now could dissuade him. Anos challenges Canon, saying if he wishes to reclaim the necklace, he must do so by force. Rei had already anticipated this confrontation, stating that his arrival was to protect Anos. Yet Anos declares that he won't allow Rei to protect him, insisting on protecting him instead. They clash as Rei charges forward, prompting Anos to activate G agrees. They continue battling fiercely, with Anos repeatedly employing magic and shattering Rei's sources. Ultimately, Anos crushes the sole remaining source within Canon, causing him to collapse. Anos tells him that victory is impossible now, but Canon insists that it does not matter how often he loses, as he only needs to win once. He once believed the time had not yet come to risk his life for peace, but realizes now that someone worth saving stands before him, leaving no room to wait. Drawing another sword, Canon resumes his assault, wielding both blades with relentless vigor. With his full strength, Canon strikes Anos directly, unknowingly landing a critical blow. Anos, acknowledging his troublemaking nature, feels his magic fading and dons the mask that Canon previously wore. Observers Observers witness the sight of Evan's mana piercing Anos, signifying the Demon King of Tyranny's defeat. Anos warns Kanan not to gaze at him with such sadness, for it does not befit a hero. Kanan, with a sorrowful expression, questions why Anos allowed this outcome. Anos responds that he is merely following the predetermined script, one meant to extinguish human hatred. He instructs his comrades to retreat and await his resurrection, forbidding any vengeance against humans. He urges them to live until the Demon King's return. Kanan reflects on the endless hell he endured, always battling until death, but acknowledges that the one who always extended a hand to him was Anos, his one and only hero. Removing the sword from Anos' body, Kanan watches as Anos vanishes. Kanan then announces to all that the Demon King is dead and the war is concluded. The decision is made to await the Demon King's return in Dilhade. Suddenly, Diego's voice echoes, commanding his 10,000 Zashia troops to self-destruct and annihilate humanity. Eleanor intervenes, declaring that the conflict is over and there is no reason to fight further. Diego retorts that this is their method of punishing the demons who stole everything from them. She counters that this hatred is not truly his. From Diego's body emerges a voice vowing to crush every last demon until obliteration is complete. A manifestation exits in Diego's form, revealing an Asket transformed into Jurga. Jurga expresses deep disappointment in Kanan for reincarnating as a demon. Kanan reciprocates, disappointed that Jurga forsook his humanity, becoming a magic entity with the sole purpose of eradicating demons. Kanan attempts to nullify Jurga with his sword, but it fails to strike, as Jurga's body is composed of pure sacred magic empowered by the demon judgment spell. Meanwhile, Sasha and Misha arrive, questioning why they are subject to Jurga's judgment. He derides them as masterless subordinates, but they affirm their faith in Anos' return. Ivis commands his direct descendants, twins who have inherited the Demon King's love, to unveil the Necron family's secret technique. Misha and Sasha join hands, and Ivis instructs them to revert to their true forms. They perform Dino Jixes, and despite Jurga's attempt to eliminate them, their belief in Anos' return holds firm. Sasha declares that Jurga should never think their Demon King could die. Jurga mocks them, preparing the self-destruct spell, but Rey intervenes to halt him. Misa also uses her magic to impede Jurga, while Misha exerts all her strength to restrain his power. Although Jurga nearly succeeds, his magic abruptly ceases as Anos reappears, commending everyone for enduring so long. Jurga is stunned by Anos' return, unable to comprehend it. Anos reveals that his resurrection was achieved using the origin magic, Agronimut, which revives the source by converting an enemy's prior attack into the origin. However, this can only be done with an attack already experienced once. Jurga laughs, convinced this offers him another chance to kill the Demon King himself. He addresses the people of Azeshion, claiming that darkness will soon engulf the land, but urges them not to fear. He commands them to offer prayers filled with hope, asserting that such light will extinguish the darkness. As people begin to scream, Anos denounces Jurga as a fool, warning that forcibly draining hope prevents souls from ever returning. Jurga insists on his noble mission to exterminate Anos, even at the cost of his own life. Jurga attacks, but Kanan intervenes to block the assault. Anos urges his friend Kanan to help break the ancient chain of hatred and bring peace to both Azeshion and Dilhade. The chains of hatred rust when a hero and a demon king strike them together. Together, they confront Jurga, with Anos using Zora e Dipto to bind him. A massive explosion of power ensues, and Jurga mocks Anos, suggesting his injuries and depleted magic power make his defeat inevitable. Anos rises and questions whether Jurga truly believes he would submit just because Jurga represents the world's order. Anos activates ASCII and commands the fan union to sing a requiem for the pitiful ghost. They begin singing the Song of Peace, rallying everyone to assist. Eleanor suppresses Jurga's magic while others evacuate Azeshion's wounded soldiers. The Song of Love and Peace continues to resonate. Peace begins when swords clash, not in anger but in unity. Anos questions if Jurga cannot see humans and demons uniting, striving together for life. He tells Jurga that the era has long changed and peace reigns. Jurga dismisses this, declaring revenge eternal until all demons are annihilated. He insists that human hatred is ineradicable. Kanan then strikes, and Jurga is shocked that Evan's mana could nullify his fate. He sees Delsgate, conjured by Anos, realizing that humans never truly hated demons, it was only his own hatred. Anos and Kanan launch a powerful joint attack, successfully destroying Jurga. Anos tosses the shell necklace to Jurga, who closes his eyes and vanishes. Sasha and Misha revert to separate beings and embrace Anos. Meanwhile, Rey reunites with Misa, who welcomes him warmly, and they share a heartfelt embrace. Anos notices Eleanor sitting despondently and fulfills his promise by turning her into his own magic, ensuring she is never exploited again. He reminds her to care for her 10,000 Zeshias. As her tears fall on one of them, Zeshia awakens, and Eleanor expresses gratitude to Anos. After the war, they return home. Anos' mother embraces him tightly, relieved after hearing of his involvement in battle. His father inquires about his well-being. Upon seeing Eleanor, they are stunned. Anos' mother begins to scream, causing Eleanor to panic and hastily explain that Anos turned her into his magic. His father expresses surprise at Anos proposing in such a stylish manner. Third wife secured, now forming the official Demon King's Council of Wives. Sasha whispers to Misha that if Anos mentioned having 10,000 children, they would likely faint. Anos' father starts crying, overjoyed at becoming a grandfather. At this point, the Demon king doesn't need followers, in fact, just sends the kids to conquer kingdoms as a family. Outing Eleanor's motherly instincts kick in as she drags her inside for dinner, having prepared an abundance of mushroom gratin, anticipating the chaos of 3 young women and 10,000 kids. Chaos. So legendary even history books need babysitting chapters. After failing before, that pathetic loser Avos comes up with another idea to bother Anos this time. Anos Voldegode wants to live a quiet life at the Demon King Academy after returning to a peaceful demon realm. However, whispers of a powerful child of God pull him back into action. To find this new rival, Anos must journey to the land of spirits and face its many difficult trials. With his unmatched power and confidence, he is ready to defeat his new enemies. The true Demon King of Tyranny will handle it all with little effort. In the Big Spirit Forest to Harthorn, Leno made up her mind to go to Delsgade. A message was left for Teethy that a return would happen. Suddenly, a huge bright light showed up. It was the Heavenly Father God, Nusgalia, and a search for the Great Spirit Mother Leno was underway. Some good news was presented that a new child of God was to be made, and Leno's tummy was chosen for it. A firm refusal was given, as it was unwanted. A strong grab was made, and a move was about to happen, but the Demon King of Tyranny, Anus, suddenly appeared and attacked Nusgalia. Nusgalia told Anus that soon a plan would happen to kill Anus because God had decided to get rid of the Demon King. Anos killed Nusgalia, who was sure a kill was not possible. Leno trusted Anos, who gave her a bodyguard named Shin. Anos thought God doesn't really die, so a return might happen someday. Days went by and Shin protected her every day. Later, Anus told everyone to live separately and stop fighting. A plan was proposed to build big walls between the demon world, the human world, the spirit world, and the heavenly world. Anus also put in a door that would not open for at least 1,000 years. Anus thought that if all life was used as magic and everyone helped, a huge magic spell could be done. A guy named Ken entrusted Anus's body, which made Anus die. At the same time, Shin took Leno to protect her until she got back to Aharthorn. When she got home, the sad news was heard that the spirits were being eaten and the forest was drying up. Shin fought a big beast named Gwen. While that was happening, a guy named Anoshu Poltikol showed up. The story jumps to the Demon King Academy Delsgade. Anus went to the school and met Sasha and Misha. New hair ribbons were noticed on Sasha, who got a little shy because of the observations. Anus looked so closely that even the material was known, like a textile inspector who was way too good at the job. Misha thought being so good at seeing things was not a good idea. Meanwhile, Leia and Misa also showed up together in the daytime. Their friends Karsa, Jessica, and Nono didn't think it was an accident. They asked Misa what happened when a sneaking out happened the other day. Later in class, the royal students were getting mad at Anus and decided not to let the misfit be in charge anymore. Manu Historia, a teacher at the school, introduced a new student from the Hero Academy named Eleanor Beyonce and her friend Zeshia Bianca. The students' upset feelings were understood, so an explanation was given that what happened before was a trick by a guy named Diego. Not all humans were against the demon race. Then, another person was introduced, Erdome Diddyjohn, who was going to be the new teacher. The announcement was made that Mr. Diddyjohn is a demon who was born even before the 7 elder demon emperors and was a member of the 4 evil royals. 2,000 years ago, this person was one of the 4 who had an army second only to the Demon King. The name was known as the Blaze Death King before. Mr. Diddyjohn taught everyone who knew nothing about 2,000 years ago. The lesson started with the fake Demon King, Avos Dilhevia. All just believed in the fake Demon King even though the real one was sitting right there, brought back to life. A point was made at Anos and the students were told that he is the real Demon King. Like a celebrity reveal nobody saw coming. The people who signed the Zect said this was true. Anos went to the stage and all the students bowed down even if they didn't want to. Anos talked to the students. He believed that because their home is peaceful now, there is no longer any need for a mean Demon King. He said they could say they accept the authority if wanted and refuse if wanted. It was believed that there was no difference from any normal demon. The only difference is in the soul, so it's only important to make their soul strong, like a motivational speaker at a monster convention. Anos thought this was a silly disguise for the Heavenly Father God, Nusgalia. A wonder was had what a god who had taken over a demon's body would be doing here. The lesson started and a talk began about the mythical age. It was remembered that it was caused by the goddess of destruction, Aberniu. To stop the world from being destroyed, the Demon King fought this goddess and took her power. The goddess of destruction fell to earth and the Demon King changed her name. That place is now the Demon Palace Delsgade. The goddess of destruction's power was turned into a special magic sword called Veneznor. Because of this, those who should have died survived, and without destruction, there was no new creation. The gods decided to create a new plan to destroy the Demon King. The revelation was made that Mr. Erdemade is the Heavenly Father God, Nusgalia. Students were shocked to know that a god was a teacher. The royals refused to accept this, so Diddyjohn grabbed them like a barcode scanner. Anos told the royals to be let go because nothing would happen as long as there was no plan to hurt him. The person was told that the thing that will destroy him is the new child of God and is in this school. Anos didn't understand what was being done, so Diddyjohn was told to go to the students. Anos took out the magic sword of destruction which can destroy the god in all logic. Anos was told that if a killing happened, this world would fall apart too. A surety was had that Anos couldn't kill the god, but all of a sudden, Anos put his sword inside the body. Diddyjohn appeared again with only 10% of the power left. Anos couldn't have done done it 2,000 years ago, but now that a return to this peaceful time has happened, something called self-control has also been learned. Diddy John was told to keep teaching while being watched. Diddy John kept teaching like nothing happened after being cut, like a teacher who just got a paper cut and kept going. Eleanor told them that the gods have different ideas than they do and their actions are based on order. Anis didn't know what was being done, but it was believed Diddy John might have promised someone to teach class here. It was thought that the person who would become the child of God is here and is about to wake up. A belief was had that this child of God had to be found and put in a place. Anos decided to talk to Melheis and also have a look into the child of God. Sasha suggested a split into 3 groups. A decision was made to start the search with the new students and anyone who just arrived. Eleanor asked Ledriano where they were. The answer was that they had found a difficult spell. Later, Misa told Lei that not a single clue had been found about the child of God. Lei told her not to get mixed up in the war of that time, since she had nothing to do with that fight 2,000 years ago. A decision was made to protect Lei's peace even if things went wrong and he could die. The hero from 2,000 years ago and who is now are both the same Lei. If Misa was carrying a big fate like him and Lord Anis, a question was asked if the statement of having nothing to do with him would still be said. A promise was made to help her no matter what. They shared a kiss. Suddenly, a guy named Gerard Azrima appeared there who was peeking at them like a very awkward third wheel in a movie. Jared came here because Misa's father ordered it. On the other hand, a ceremony was held for the second coming of the Demon King to tell everyone that the Demon King had been brought back. A decision was made to make some students a choir to sing there. Practice started, and in the meantime, it was told that RIZZ had been attacked. Miss Menu had been kidnapped by a guy named Rinka Theones. Anos went to revive Ingel and found the demon Zeke Ozma from 2,000 years ago who works for Erdomade, the Blaze Death King. Lake knows that his powers are no match against Anos, but still, a challenge of wits was made. At the same time, Jared Azrama took Misa and Lei to the room where the other half of the sword was. The sword was immediately put into Misa's body, as an order was had by a boss, the King of Curses, Kyle Giste, to take her power. A guy named Zabro Gaze, the Scarlet Monument King Gilicyrus Delos' helper, gave them a little bit of poison to drink, like a tea party with a very rude host. On the other hand, Sasha and Misha blocked the way of Rinka Theones, who was carrying Ms. Menu. Rinka was following a boss's order and decided to kill both of them. Anis found out that 4 evil royals had become friends. Zeke told Anos that the best chance was the information on hand, so a fight was asked for. Anos agreed to fight. Melheis stops time 1 second after his death, so he can be brought back to life as long as that moment lasts. He asks Anis if he is ready to use that magic as his bargaining chip. He believes that if Anis thinks it is a small price, then Anis is already under his spell. Zeke tells him the rules. He will tell Anis who he thinks the child of God is, and Anis will say if it is true. However, Zeke can lie just once. He lets Anos guess up to 18 times. If Anos guesses right, Zeke's magic is sealed for 5 seconds. If Anos is wrong, Anos can't use his magic for 5 seconds. He tells Anos all the rules, but Anos decides to change one. Anos tells Zeke that 9 guesses are enough. They both sign a contract and the game begins. On the other hand, Gerard tries to take Misa's power but fails. When asked why, he reveals that she is the child of the great spirit Leno and can control all spirits. The scene shifts to Zabrogaze, who tells Eleanor that the gods had a hand in her birth. He is waiting to cut her open and take a good look. On the other hand, Rinka tells Sasha and Misha that they were born because of a god's plan. She tells them that being separated wasn't an accident. The gods changed the magic circle. She decides to kill them when they fully awaken, but they tell her they were not brought to life by a god. Anis guesses one by one who the child of God could be. On his 5th guess, Misa, he is told he is correct. At the same time, the fight is going on between Lei and Gerard. Gerard uses a magic shield called Genias, which curses those who hurt its owner and doubles their pain. Lei destroys the shield but finds out Gerard is lying. Gerard then destroys Lei's power source. Meanwhile, the people from the castle turn into ghouls. With the help of the King of the Red Monuments, Zabro changes the magic circles that Anis created. Ashia and Eleanor run away instead of fighting the ghouls. They find out that by destroying a certain thing, no more ghouls will be born. Their magic is being sucked away, and Zabro starts to drain their power. From far away, Rinka cuts Sasha using her endless sword, Garmist. Sasha and Misha fight back with their powers. Rinka hits Sasha again, who starts coughing up blood. She falls to the ground bleeding. Rinka seals the annoying eyes of destruction. She then hits Misha, who is still worried about Sasha even when she is close to death. Anis is thinking hard because Zeke said Misa is the child of God, but it is possible that Zeke used his one lie. Anis thinks about all the possibilities if Zeke lied. He decides that there would only be no problems if Misa was the child of God. At this point, it is clear that the child of God is one of his friends, so it is either Misa or someone else. But he still has many doubts. He asks Zeke if the child of God has the eyes of destruction. He thinks that the new body might have a real name he doesn't know about. He realizes that the idea of Misa being the child of God can't be right and that Zeke used his right to lie once. He thinks it might be Sasha, but then finds out it is neither Misa, Sasha, Misha, nor Zashia. He finds it to be a very fun battle of wits since the answer isn't in the game itself. He realizes that Zeke put a false memory in his own brain. Anos has been looking for an answer that doesn't exist. Zeke tells Anos he is too late, and the moment he agreed to this battle, he had already lost. He tells Anos that if he gives up the game, his magic will be sealed for 5 seconds. Anos gives up, and his power is sealed, but Zeke is shocked shocked to see that Anis is still alive. True or not, those fake memories were put into him along with his real memories. There is always a reason behind his actions. He doesn't hesitate to destroy Melheis's power source instead of him. Of course, Melheis isn't worth much to the Blaze Death King or the Heavenly Father God. Zeke has no regrets, but he is stunned to see Melheis alive. Meanwhile, Misha, who was bleeding a lot, struggles to stand up. She had changed the Endless Sword the moment she touched it. She creates something so big that Rinka wonders if she has awakened her true power. On the other hand, Jared tells Misa that if someone breaks one of the magic jewels of the shield, the curse will destroy their power source. Lei gets up again and tells Jared to watch his back around people with more than 2 power sources. Jared is shocked to see the spirit god sword Evan's mana. At the same time, Zabro is hurting Eleanor, who can't use her powers. She uses her feelings which she had created. Lei kills Jared, who finds out that Hero Cannon is alive. On the other side, Misha uses her ice crystals and traps Rinka. All the walls are gone from the academy. Using Theo Engel, Eleanor brings all the students back to their normal forms. Misha helps Sasha get better. Meanwhile, Zeke is told that he has killed a fake that Anis had switched out. The power source looks real because of a magic spell that Anis has just recently learned. Anis tells Zeke that the moment he thought about fighting him, he had already lost. Zeke immediately kills himself, but Anos doesn't let him get away, turning him into an eagle. When Anos asked Zeke about his purpose, he learns that it was to reduce the Demon King of Tyranny's fighting power even just a little. Later, Anos is told that the people of Azeshion seem to believe that a person named Yerga's bad actions were the Demon King's doing, even though they are going to punish Diego, who led the army. Melheis suggests that Anos announced that Avos is a fake during the ceremony for the Demon King's return. Their story would be that Canon and he joined forces to get rid of Avos. Anos tells all of them that the child of God they are looking for might be one of them. He thinks they might be planning to secretly awaken the true child of God while he is watching them. The Demon King's right-hand man, Shin Regalia, is not showing himself even though he sent a message that he is waiting for him in the Great Spirit Forest of Harthurn. By joining 2 halves of a sword, a new sword called Jillian Ojas is formed. Kanan has not seen it since that day 2,000 years ago. They find out that the leader of the Unitarians is Shin Regalia, the owner of this sword. Melheis tells Anis about building a city where the 10,000 Zeshias can live. Anis tells them that he is going to go to Aharthurn, where the Great Spirit Leno should also be. However, he tells them that they are all going to have to go together, and that includes News Galia, because gods always keep their promises to humans. Of course, he cannot disobey a command, so their next class will be a field trip to Aharthurn. They all transport with Anos. The students are very excited for their indirect transfer, but Diddy John makes them quiet. They will be taking an Aharthurn expedition exam. The forest is a spirit, and the way to it depends on the rumors of the time, so they are given the duty to search for those rumors and reach the forest within 10 days. Their task is to find mischievous spirits lurking there, make them smile, and they will show the way. The exam begins, and they all split into 4 groups. Thoughts are still on who the child of God could be. Some guys are heard beating a girl named Lena, who is a firm believer that Aharthurn exists. Anis jumps in and blasts them away with his laugh to save Lena. After saving Lena, Anis asks her about the way to Aharthurn. He has been there once, but now to enter that forest, one needs to know about its rumors. Lena has lost her memory. When she came to, she was in this town, and she knows there was something that needed to be done. But after hearing the rumor about Aharthurn, she knew she had to go there. She feels like something she should not have forgotten is missing, so she is sure a clue can be found in Aharthurn. He agrees to take her with him. Lena's an information broker. She tells Anis about the fog that covers the meadows during an eclipse. She informs them about one eclipse which will be 9 days from now, about 3 minutes past noon. Anis is not worried about the eclipse, because even moving a star is not beyond him. She remembers the spirit Teethy in the fog. They can get those spirits to smile if they show them something cutting edge. Misha suggests acting like a laugh is happening, but Sasha declines the idea. In the meantime, the others come there, and Anos instructs them all to use their hidden abilities. One by one, they all start testing out their ways to make Teethy laugh. At the same time, Ellen and others come there after getting a prop from the club Anosu. Tithy laughs upon hearing about the club Anosu. They recognize Anos, who asked them to show him the way to Aharthurn. Didijon tells Anos not to be so worried because he is only going to lead the class since it is in order. They reach Aharthurn. Anos asks Tithy about the demon Shin Regalia, but they have no idea about him. There is a spirit based on rumors about memories. Tithy sees Leno and finds her to be the great spirit Leno, the mother of all spirits, but Leno passed away. Misa remembers what Jared told them about her. Tithy goes to Misa, who smells like Leno. Misa tells them that she was told she is the great spirit Leno's child by birth. She asks Tithy about her father, but they refuse to tell. Later, they reach a giant place which is a classroom without any students. Anis sees Gilisiris Dello, who is the Scarlet Monument King. He had pressure, so he did what he did. Anis cannot believe he would serve another demon. Gilisiris tells Anis that he has now surpassed him by far. Sasha wonders if any of the other 4 evil royals are around. In the meantime, others also appear there. The King of the Netherworld, Aegis Code, has also allied himself with the Scarlet Monument King and the King of Curses. Suddenly, upon the ringing of a bell, an Union appears. Everyone sits there quietly after being trapped. And Union, the speaking tree, informs them that they have entered the building. To enter means that they have started school and they cannot leave until they have graduated. He is the great tree spirit of education who will be teaching them. Those who fail will be spirited away. He tells them about the school policies. Anos asks him what they need to do to graduate. graduate. Those who take 3 tests and get an average score of more than 80 are eligible to undergo the spirit trial. After passing that, they will be granted an audience with the Spirit King, and those who succeed can then graduate. Their only option is to go through these trials. Anos requests him to take them on one single test. They are prepared to take the 3 tests in one go. He agrees and puts the condition for them to pass the test with 90 scores. The test will be held a week from now. Anos is sure they're all going to pass this test. Anos puts the condition that if he wins, he will have to be told about the one above from whom orders were received. Although he puts the condition that if he wins, he will claim his source. They sign the contract and they all begin learning for the test. Anos tells Lena that she is well informed about it because she is also a spirit. She got a vague sense of that when they got here, but now she is sure. He knows she spoke his name before Enyunian even arrived, and he does not believe that was due to hearsay. However, she remembered all of a sudden it seemed like she knew about the spirit school building and Ganul too. Anos empties out her mind. She remembers a lot of things about spirits. She only remembers her desire to see the Spirit King. They all decide to do a group study. She takes him to the forest of books where the green books are all about the spirits and the test questions will come from there. Anos reads the book in a second. Sasha is shocked to see this. Anos tells them all to leave the studying methods to him and he will turn them all into fine spirit scholars. One of a page of a book caught his eye, which is the Love Fairy Fran, the spirits who give shape to unrequited love and bring people together. Later, Enyunian informs them all that the test questions can be found in the book Fairy Leland. The time limit given to them is 1 hour. They all read the questions and start answering them one by one. Anos is filling in the answers quickly. However, when he sees others, they are all sitting still. He finds it strange because they should all be easy to answer questions of this level. He wonders if it means that those are the wrong questions. Galiceris tells Anos that he can get past the demonic eyes of Enyunian, who can see all foul play, and look at the answers written by his subordinates. Those demonic eyes have been bolstered by the stone monuments. He is happy that the defeat of Anos has already been written. Anos realizes that he has tampered with the questions. Anos sees the questions of others, which are the same. Galiceris immediately stands up and accuses him of cheating. Enyunian denies failing him on the spot because he has already received the answers from Anos. He is shocked to see it because he did not see Anos writing. Later on, Enyunian announces the results of everyone. The new students all get perfect scores, which Galiceris is unable to believe. He thinks there must have been some kind of foul play. Galiceris asks Enyunian to show him the answers. He rechecks and finds many answers which Enyunian supposed to be correct. Before the magic sword of destruction, even a blank page becomes a score of 100. The questions were rewritten only during the actual test. Anos knows Galiceris must have spoken directly to the book spirits and gone behind both Anos and Enyunian's backs. Now, to honor their contract, he has to answer Anos. He asks him if his superior is the Spirit King. He asks Galiceris if he has used his power to engage in foul play because there is no proof that he is guilty. Enyunian grants everyone the right to undergo the trial as they have all passed. They are all happy they passed. After just one more trial, they will get to see the Spirit King. Melheis tells Anos they are ready to have the ceremony for the Demon King's return. Anos tells him to let Elio handle the broadcast and to stay hidden. Later, Enyunian tells him about the next trial, the staircases of Gunye. They have to choose one of 20 stairs to go to the next floor. Only 5 of them lead to the top where the Spirit King lives. Stairs going up will lead to the top when they open the door, but stairs going down will just lead them back. Only the lucky ones can pass. An unknown voice tells Anos to use the magic sword of destruction. There are 16 of them, so Sasha knows that 4 should guess right. They are all worried if they will be able to guess correctly just by luck. Anos makes copies of himself to make sure there's no cheating, in case Enyunian would fail them on purpose. But Enyunian says he would never do that. Anos asks him if that would still be true even if the great spirit Leno's life was on the line. He knows the spirits would do anything to protect their own mother. Anos makes sure Enyunian knows that when he opens the door, he will show his true form. If the trial is not rigged, it should not be a problem. Enyunian agrees to play along. Splitting their 16 power sources equally and then having them all meet up on the stairs that went up worked out better than Anos thought. Lena also shows up, even though she chose the wrong door. She remembered there should be a hidden passage in the staircase. Anos asks everyone to find the hidden passage because it should lead to the top. Lena feels like she has been to the top before. Their journey begins. Lena finds a hidden door that takes her and Anos to a paradise-like place. She runs to a sword she sees there and feels very sad. A girl named Giste appears and says she has been waiting for Anos. He finds out that she is fighting with the spirits. She tells Anos that her lord, Kaihalim, has been taken away by the hidden wolf Ganul. This means that only the King of Curses' power source has vanished. She tells Anos that he has a split personality, Kaihalim, and his lover, Giste. He has both personalities and power sources. She tells him that the Spirit King forced a deal on Lord Gerard. If he wanted to get the King of Curses back, he had to do what the king said, which is why he went to Delsgate. She also tells him that the Spirit King is protecting the spirits in place of the Great Spirit Leno, who disappeared after he came back to life. She creates a picture of the Spirit King. Anos immediately recognizes him as the man from the Magic Sword Tournament. The Spirit King is pretending to be Abos Dilhebia. Anos wonders what he is planning. She asks him to save Lord Kaihalim. Meanwhile, Lei picks up Misa and they keep going. They see a hidden wolf, Ganul. Staying together, they go into a door that opens to a castle. They both see the Spirit King sitting on his chair. Lei asks him if he has a grudge against against the Demon King, but he finds out he has to go through a trial to speak with the king. The trial is to fight the Spirit King, and if he can break his mask, he wins. But he can only use his own body and spirit as a weapon. He can only use spirits as a sword if he is able to use them. Lei decides to accept the task. Elsewhere, Aegis is told about the next task with the Hidden Wolf. They are told to capture him. Only the one who succeeds first will be allowed to pass. The trial begins. The Hidden Wolf Ganul is the spirit of vanishing, and he shows himself to no one. During their fight, Anos tells Lena to stay back. He notices her doing something before she vanishes. A voice tells Anos that those who have vanished are inside the body of the Hidden Wolf. Anos creates an entrance with his magic spear. Anis passes the exam successfully, leading the Spirit Girl and his friends to Aegis. He moves on. Meanwhile, the battle between the Spirit King and Lei is happening. Lei thinks the Spirit King has fought him before because he knows his weaknesses. Misa comes in her true form as she is half spirit. She helps Lei. She gives a sword to Lei, who is sure he cannot lose as long as Misa is with him. Lei once again runs toward the Spirit King. He is now sure he knew him from before. He recognizes the Spirit King as Theo Aske. Lei uses true love to create magical power. As he has now found true love, he breaks the Spirit King's mask and wins the battle. The Spirit King swings his sword. He ties up Lei and immediately puts his sword into Misa's body. Galiciurus welcomes Anos to a spirit trial. If he ignores it, he will never get to the Spirit King's castle. He tells Anos that they will both fight to be the best. They can only use the magical power of the monuments there. He creates a magical formula that can make magic power its strongest. It was brought back to life thanks to his 2,000 years of research. He then uses the old magic Leg Nawabs. What Jilly Cyrus can see at the bottom of the abyss is a magical formula that controls unlimited magical power, and right now, no one is closer to that magic than him. He thinks he has won the battle, but is shocked to see that Anos came back stronger. He uses the most advanced spell, G-Nawabs, which is very strong, and that must be why their ancestors gave up on the formula. The bottom of the abyss that he worked so hard to reach is nothing but a shallow stream that Anos passed 2,000 years ago. Anos goes to Lei. Even with his holy sword sealed, he never thought he would lose. The Spirit King took Misa with him. Lei tells Anos after waking up that the Spirit King seemed to be hiding his fighting style, but it was very similar. Sasha comes to Anos and tells him about a crisis that is about to happen, showing him the magical broadcast. The other demons say that in the recent war, they learned how foolish humans are. The Spirit King tells the people to gather around the Demon King of Tyranny, Abos Dilhevia. He tells the lowly hybrids, who are so far removed from the founding father, to bow down to them and give them strength. He calls the 7 elder demon emperors and asks them to tell everyone who he is. They call him His Majesty, Abos Dilhevia, the Demon King of Tyranny who rules over all. They all want to make their perfect world a reality, a world ruled only by the royals. The Spirit King tells all royals to kill the misfit Anis Voldegoat. Anis immediately goes to the Great Spirit Abos Dilhevia. Based on the stories and legends of the Demon King of Tyranny, he finds out that this is Misa's true form. Spirits are the living stories of legends and rumors. Now, it seems a personality from demon and human lore has taken over. Abos Dilhevia reveals that Misa is just her temporary form. She is the one who will make Dilhadi the realm of the royals, and she is dead set on killing Anos. Anos remembers the big puzzle, and the answer, it turns out, was simple all along. The whole battle of wits with Zake was meant to keep him from finding the child of God's identity. Zake had the right to lie, which meant his plan was to hide the truth by not lying at all. As the Demon King of Tyranny, Abos Dilhevia has the demonic eyes of destruction. She is not only a purebred demon, but also a half-spirit, half-demon, and her name is known. Anos tells Abos that he baited her with the false memories Zeke had put in himself. Anos went for them, and his actions proved his guess was right. Just before ending his life, Zeke actually planted those fake memories, which would make it seem like all the answers in the Battle of Wits were false. Abos believed Anos would never figure out who the child of God was. Anos knows her real reason for attacking Melheis was to delay the magical broadcast. If the word got out that Abos Dilhevia was a fake, she would cease to exist. Jarad and the Spirit King's goal was to put Misa in danger to forcibly awaken her true form. She tells him he was too late, since all the demons in Dilhade now believe she is the Demon King of Tyranny. But Anos doesn't think so. He knows she's after the magic sword of destruction. He laughs, telling her not to get carried away because she can never take away who he is, like trying to steal a name tag. Anos goes back to Misha and the others. He tells them Misa has been like this from the start. Half of her was made from the rumors and stories of Abos Dilhevia. Lei regrets this, since he is the one who spread that lore by creating the fake Demon King. Anos calms everyone down by saying they just need to find a way to save Misa and destroy Abos. Anunian refuses to let them go out and attack Lady Leno's child. Anos uses his powers to get out, leaving Anunian in a state of total shock, like seeing a ghost at a tea party. Outside, a subordinate from 2,000 years ago named Nigat is seen, who supposedly vanished. Nigat tries to take out Anis's power source, but Aegis blocks the attack. Things have gotten complicated. The child of God seems to have taken over Anis's subordinates from 2,000 years ago. Half of them are already on their way to Delsgade. EJs assures Anis they won't be destroyed out of respect for his kindness. Anis feels like after 2,000 years, the King of Curses has gotten a little soft. However, they happen to share the same goal, so that's why this is happening. Anis goes to Lena. Lena gets Tithi's help, who were told not to let them go out because Abos Dilhevia has awakened. Tithi secretly helps them go go out. Direct transfer is used to head to Delsgade. Lena asks Anis to take her along. He agrees to take her with them. A doubt exists that she has some unfinished business from 2,000 years ago. They reach the castle gates where a guy named Elio Ludowell, a royal who led the Midhaze forces in the war between Azession and Dilhade, along with his army, is waiting for the misfit and his friends. Elio bows to Anos. He is the one who refused to become a follower of Avos. He tells Anos that the city has been surrounded by Demera, a spell that plants Avos Dilhevia's will. The demon royalty who have proclaimed her as the Demon King are especially vulnerable to this spell. The royals are killing the hybrids and absorbing their magic powers. Some royals have gone completely insane. Anos's parents hope for a safe return home. Emilia Ludowell is running for her life. Even though she was a royal before, that magic has turned her into a hybrid. The royals absorb her magic power. Poor Emilia screams in pain. This is being done to her because she is a lowlife who was not born into royalty. She remembers saying the same hateful words to hybrids. She became food for the royals. Isabella interrupts and saves Emilia. Suddenly, Emilia sees an attack coming and pushes Isabella away, getting hit herself. The royals decide to tear Isabella limb from limb to send a message to Anis. Suddenly, they see Anos and his friends standing behind them. Anos uses his powers, and instead of just tearing them apart, he dismembers them into hundreds of pieces. Anos returns home with his parents, who are very happy about his return. Isabella thanks Emilia for saving her and offers her a place to live, since Anis has made the house a barrier that even Abos can't reach. Anos's father sees a lot of girls brought home, so he thinks there is nothing more he can teach Anos, like a master chef who's run out of recipes. Sasha notices his father is very lively. Anos tells her that he cast the Alto spell on him, a protective magic that automatically heals the powerless, so his father would not overdo it. They all sit together trying to figure out how to get into Delsgade. They know the other side is stalling for time so they can steal the magic sword of destruction. She can't steal it right away because there are no rumors or legends surrounding it. It is rarely drawn, and everyone who has seen it has died. Anis believes she must be planning a way to get Venusnor by using both Delsgade and her own magic power. This means Avos Dilhevia cannot use any place that is not in the lore. Anis makes a basement and tells the girls to stay in his house with his parents to take care of them, while the rest are all going to Delsgade. Opening the door, Emilia comes out and asks Anis to kill her. She has realized how foolish she was for being cruel to the innocent hybrids. Anis thanks her for saving his mother and leaves, with Emilia crying in regret. They go to the city Anis recreated from 2,000 years ago, which Misha has already seen in books. They go to the underground dungeon in the original demon castle, where the enemy is already prepared. Anos stops Sasha from speaking because he sees Luce, along with Revest Manu, and the army who is searching for Anos and his friends. Anis has used his powers to become invisible. He notices the misfit symbol on Revest. He puts his hand on Revest, who tells Luce to let him sweep this area a little longer. They both make excuses for investigating the area a little longer. Luce goes from there, leaving them behind. Anos and his friends show up to Revest and Manu, who are happy they are all safe. Manu updates Anos on what is happening. The royals are under Demera's spell, and the children in white have been locked up as magic power food. They has to do something about Abos Dilhevia right away, but Anos has to take care of three things. The first one is the masked demon who calls himself the Spirit King, Nus Gallia, who took over Erdemade's body, and along with Abos Dilhevia, he asks them to let him know where those three are. Anos decides to use time magic Revelon in the treasure house ahead to investigate the reason for death of the great spirit Leno. The next thing to investigate is the Spirit King. He doubts the Spirit King is Shin, but he is curious to know what happened to him back then. And the last thing is the creation of Misa. Misa's power source is based on Avos Dilhevia's rumors, which were created 2,000 years ago and spread by the hero canon. He doubts Misa must have been born 2,000 years ago because the rumors of the source of Misa are 2,000 years ago old. However, she only has 15 years worth of memories. Anis believes the same goes for Shin. It is unknown why he became the Spirit King and grew hostile. Anos knows if the rumors and legends surrounding the Demon King of Tyranny cease to exist, Misa will come down with a spirit sickness and eventually vanish. He believes the strong link between Shin and Misa is the great spirit Leno. Her death set everything in motion. Anis is going to go back in time 2,000 years ago to find out. Anis acquired a scythe when he defended the guardian god of time. Combining that and their magic power might just be enough to send him back 2,000 years. To ensure demons do not catch on, they have to separate as much as possible. Revest tells Anis to use attack magic on him, something that cannot be healed because this is the only way to deceive the enemy. However, it is as painful as he has never felt before. Revest has no issues with it. As soon as Anis hits him, he screams in pain during the process, like a cat getting a bath. He feels as though his entire body is on fire. Luce arrives and discovers that Anos is heading upstairs, so she takes Menu with her. Anos reaches Revest, though he is unable to heal his wounds just yet. Revest is one of those who never fell for Demera, despite his belief in the Demon King of Tyranny. The reason for this is that the Demon King he believed in gained his power to protect the weak. Revest is a firm believer in him and praises Anos greatly, like a fanboy meeting his favorite idol. Anos assures Revest that he will prove Avos to be a fake and save everyone. They find their chance, and Anos, using Revelon, is ready to go back in time to find out what happened to Shin and the others. Using his magical powers, he goes back to Gyrodite. They came here because Leno should be returning soon, and Shin is with her under his orders. He cannot use too much magic power because the people of this era might notice. Also, after Rebellion ends, the gods of time will restore it. Anis uses the magic power of Lei to conceal his source because in this time, he has already been reincarnated. They are excited to test the rumor. Later, they all go shopping, seeing so many people at the victory party for Hero Cannon who defeated the Demon King. Eleanor buys some Holy Night candy. In the meanwhile, Anis sees Leno along with Shin excited to buy Holy Night candies. She gets upset after learning the guy has no more holy candies left. Zashia gives her 2 of the cookies, in return for which Leno gives her some of her cookies. Anos informs them that they both are Leno and Shin, and they are going after them. He tells them not to get too close, otherwise, Shin will take off their heads like a loose cap in the wind. He asks Lena if she remembers something. Lena has a feeling that something bad is about to happen, but she doesn't know what exactly it is. Following them, they both go inside a hidden place. Misha throws the holy candy in the water, which shows the same magical place to them. As soon as Leno enters the place, she is given the bad news by Tithi. Anna sees the divine hunting dogs inside that place. Anna makes Sasha cast a spell so intricate that it kills all the hunting dogs. Leno suspects someone. She tells the person to come out. Sasha is so confused because if she goes out, the past will be changed. Anos tells her to pretend to be a random passerby. Anos shows himself as Anoshu Poltikol along with the others. He lies and tells them they are a troupe of traveling entertainers. He orders Sasha to show them the tricks. She thinks he kinda looks like the Demon King Anos. He tells them that she has noticed well because he is actually the Demon King of Tyranny as a young boy. She bursts into laughter like a soda can that's been shaken. She asks Shin what he thinks, but Shin speaks the same words as Anos. Leno finds it a very strange combination of demons, humans, and spirits. He tells them about Leno, who is a strange one with amnesia. He asks Leno if she knows anything about her. However, she has no idea about her. He asks her to let them stay here for a while. Leno informs him about Lena, who is the love fairy Fran, the spirit who gives shape to unrequited love and brings people together. She further tells him that the love fairy Fran wanders about seeking her memories. If she realizes that she is the love fairy, she will vanish. That is why she did not tell her who she is, so they need to make her remember love first. A hunting dog suddenly appears. Lei goes to fight it but can't draw his sword because they are in the past and can't bring any magical tools with them. Anoshu asks Shin to make the unique sword. Sigesta, Shin refuses to give it to him at first, but after seeing Leno ask, he finally agrees to give it to Lei. Shin has never seen anyone wield it besides himself and his lord, but Lei becomes the 3rd person to wield it. With his great skills, he kills the hunting dog and thanks Shin for lending him the sword. Shin suggests that Lei take part in the Great War because he has incredible skills, but Lei refuses as he hates wars. Leno wonders how the god beast got inside. She thinks the god named Nusgalia might still be in the forest, but Shin promises to always keep her safe. Meanwhile, Tithi tells her that her grandma is dying. Leno goes to her grandma, the great tree spirit Migalanov. This is a spirit who gives humans the knowledge to get through big wars. She gives everyone a leaf and gives them the wisdom to fight. The leaf disappears because Anoshu doesn't need it. Anoshu asks her if her stories and legends have ended. She says another reason for a spirit to die is when the spirit betrays its own legends. Her story is about giving humans the wisdom for fighting demons, but she chose to focus on wisdom for humans and demons to live together like a peace treaty at a family reunion. Leno starts crying as her leaves fall off. She feels a deep sadness, like the last light of the day fading into night. Her grandma tells Leno to either protect her old stories or betray them to protect what's really important. She tells Leno to trust her own feelings when she's lonely because her heart is always hers. The grandma dies, but she's happy that peace is not far away. Leno cries and her tears grow a tree. She found a nice rumor about a school for peaceful times where an old teacher teaches all kinds of stuff. A new member of their family is born, the great tree teacher and Unien. After Leno and Shin are gone, he tells Misha to watch them. He tells Zashia to find the green book which has a story about Fran, the love fairy. On the other hand, Shin tells Leno what he will do after he is done protecting her. Later, she shows Shin the tear flowers that hold her tears. If the tear flowers grow fruit without dying, they can turn stories and legends into spirits. She gives Shin a water pot because she thinks he should show love to living things. She tells him to water them with love. Seeing him water the flowers with a bad attitude, she tells him to think about his love for Anos and then water them. The Demon King saved his life, so he serves him out of thanks, not love, like a bodyguard who's in it for the paycheck. Meanwhile, some spirits come to Shin and want to play. He plays the game and catches all the spirits except for Leno. And Union then tells him they have a guest named as the Blaze Death King Erdemade who wants to tell them something about gods. They go to meet Erdemade, who tells them he knows where the Heavenly Father god Nusgalia is. He wants to use Leno's womb to make the child of God to kill Anos. Shin instantly cuts off his arms when he sees Erdemade is interested in this idea. Erdemade says Anos has a flaw, but then says that Anos has no real faults and no enemies. He believes enemies are what are needed to get stronger. Anos understands that Erdemade is still acting like a child, like a man-child who still needs a babysitter. Even after losing, Erdemade keeps being wild so they can't get rid of him. Erdemade wonders if the child of God will be Anos's enemy. He tells Shin and Leno to stop the birth of the child of God, but if it can't be stopped, he believes the child of God must be a worthy rival for the Demon King. Shin tells him to take them to where Nusgalia is. He takes them to the place, but there is no sign of him. He tells Leno to go to the middle of the lake. He takes out the Blaze Death Hourglass because if he tries to take Leno's life, New Scalia will show up. He starts to take Leno's life. Shin, without waiting, puts his sword into Erdemade. He thinks his lord is not so weak that her life has to be put in danger to protect him. Erdemade heals right away. He uses the power of gods because he has lent his body to the hurt New Scalia. He thought that New Scalia would have to come out once his host died. It looks like he was right. It was all part of his plan. He tells New Scalia to come out and show his god power, or the Blaze Death King will take over. Suddenly, he starts screaming, and a yellow light appears. New Scalia appears and tells Shin to bow down, but Shin refuses. Shin is told to respect the gods and follow their orders. New Scalia sees that being with the Demon King has given Shin a human-like soul, but the emptiness in his heart will never go away. He understands Shin's wish to be born again, but no matter how many times he is reborn, his struggle will be pointless because there is no love in his heart. Leno thinks Shin is kinder than anyone. New Scalia tells Leno something she doesn't know. Shin's power source is not from a demon but a magic sword, the evil god-killing sword. The person who used it was given magic, and the sword became a demon body. But love is the one thing he never has. No matter how much he looks for another heart, that half-finished heart will always feel empty forever. New Scalia tells Shin to be grateful. The things he's always wanted but could never get, the people who control how things work can give to him. He tells Shin to raise the child of God who will be born from Leno's womb. Shin refuses and instantly takes off Erdemade's head because he doesn't need love. He's determined to serve his lord forever, along with the emptiness in his heart. After he disappears, Leno thanks him for saving her and says sorry for telling him to be more serious about watering the tear flowers. She thinks it's a big deal. Then New Scalia said Shin is empty. She grabs his hand and decides to teach him what love is, because if he had not protected her, he could have gained love. She is sure he has a source, it's just very hard to find. During a rainstorm, a boy runs up to some guards and begs them to let him pass because he needs to see the Demon King. They refuse to let him inside. Like bouncers at an exclusive club, they're not letting anyone in without a VIP pass. The scene shifts to Anoshu, who is heading toward a flower garden. On the way, he asks Leno if she can change the rumors and stories of a spirit that has already been born and turn it into a spirit of the same name. She is not sure. She gives her own example. If rumors spread that Leno is not the spirit mother, she would stop existing. If the spirit's essence and its lore clash, it just shortens the spirit's life. She tells Anus that as long as the rumors and lore remain, spirits usually don't get wiped out. But since they don't get reborn like demons and humans, they would never become completely different spirits. Anus remembers that the root of Abos is the Demon King of Tyranny. He thought if he could change that, it would solve everything, but he now knows it's not that easy. She tells Anus that if newer rumors match a spirit, they can have some power over it. For example, with the tear flowers, a rumor was created that her tears make spirit children. Since this doesn't go against her legend as the Great Spirit Mother, it gave her that very power. He is investigating if this has something to do with Lena. On the other hand, Shin and Lei are battling. Leno tells Shin to come with her to water flowers, but Shin is busy fighting Lei. He decides to defeat Lei for Leno's sake and tells her to wait. Shin is surprised because Lei has been learning his sword skills with each match and is now like a different swordsman. Shin turns off Lei's magic power and hits him with all his might. It seems like Lei blocks the attack, but a moment later, he is injured. Shin uses the bladeless sword, a hidden art called Moment. The blade of the bladeless sword, Kadnalios, doesn't exist in the present. It constantly slices through moments in the past, which means he slashed Lei an instant ago. Lei asks Shin if that move worked on the hero Kanan, but Shin says it was only created after he had lost. Lei thanks him for showing it to him before he was reborn. Later, Shin waters the dried up flowers, but Leno doesn't scold him this time because she knows he is doing his best. Meanwhile, Tithys tells Anoshu that she saw the headless demon that he thinks must be the Blaze Death King, whose head was chopped off by Shin. Anoshu and Misha go after the Blaze King. Anoshu thinks that based on the situation, the Blaze King should stop looking for enemies and serve him. Misha figures that the Blaze Death King is seeing an idol. She thinks that through the Demon King, he is looking at the object of his admiration in his own head, like a fanboy who finds out his favorite celebrity is actually a long-lost relative. Anoshu realizes he will just have to live up to his expectations. During this time in Delsgade, there was someone who knew everything about the world. He is sure that the goddess of creation, Militia, could find the Blaze Death King for him. She is the creator who made this world and the goddess who built the wall with him. There is a handful of gods that he gets along with, and she is one of them. On their way, they see a kid who is the seventh in line to the Ezeshion throne, Igoreth. Anoshu tells Misa that Igoreth was a hostage whom he released, but he thought he had gone back to Gyrodite by now. A guy named Debadora is ready to get revenge for his child who was murdered by hero Jurga. He is constantly beating Igoreth, and Igoreth is crying for his life to be spared. Anus doesn't interrupt because even if he were to save him now, once they are back 2,000 years in the future, it will revert to the real past. Debadora decides to make Igoreth suffer the same pain as his son. Anus, in the form of Anoshu, comes into the fight and saves Igoreth. He asks Debadora if the Demon King Anus has granted him permission to kill the innocent. One after the other, Debadora keeps hitting Anoshu with the flame of hatred, but Anoshu is still on his feet even though he doesn't use any anti-magic spell. Anoshu tells him to keep hating and killing. His descendants will be killed again. Hatred will be passed down to his children forever and will continue to burn Dilhade to a crisp. However, Debadora hates the humans from the bottom of his heart. Debadora sees the eyes of Anoshu and asks if he is still alive. Anoshu says he is not Anos and lies that he is a traveling entertainer. Devadora starts crying and bows down in front of Anoshu, feeling guilty because they cannot forget the hatred they feel. He tells the army to look up. He has a message from the demon of tyranny to meet again 2,000 years after now. Anoshu saves Igareth and takes him with him. Later, they see Venusnor activating. However, no one in this era is able to use the magic sword of destruction. Since he has already been reincarnated and Avos Dilhevia has yet to be born, someone from this era predicted that he would be coming from 2,000 years in the future, although he doesn't know how it was done. If he can take Venusnor in his hand, he can change the past. Igareth sees the demon king Anos and hugs him while crying. The 3rd unit of the subjugation battalion was retreating to Azeshion, but it came under attack by monsters and was wiped out so that he could escape and get here on his own. Anos asks Igareth for the details. He tells Igareth that he returned from 2,000 years in the future. He tells Igareth that in order to save him, he would have to kill him once and then resurrect him again to this point in time. When he is born again thanks to the magic sword of destruction, he will become an entity that even the gods of time cannot detect. Igareth is ready to repay the one he owes his life to. Anos tells him to spread the rumor about the demon king of tyranny, Avos Dilhevia, that will last 2,000 years from now whenever he is reborn. He imprints it on Igareth's memory so he won't forget. Anos wants Igareth to save the other demon king, the bearer of a sad fate. He kills Igareth to be reborn again. Later, they see the words in the air for Anos to meet again 2,000 years later. Whoever wrote it binds it with a spell and shows the desire to fall in love once again with him. They watch Shin, whom Anos thinks wants love with all his heart and can be in love. He tells Misha about the goddess of creation, Militia, who was a kind-hearted, heroic god whose affection overflows in the world's spiritual essence. Militia believed she created a sad world, so he made a promise to Militia to destroy the gods if they are causing hopeless tragedies and injustices. Anos wanted to make sure that Militia knew that this world she created would not fall to something like injustice. He is trying to make the world a peaceful place. At night, the words reappear, telling them that the Blaze Death King is in the cemetery which honors the war dead. The writer hopes that the future of the kind-hearted demon king, who fought to the point that he was known as a tyrant, will be filled with peace. The writer will be nearby watching over him until she draws her last breath forever. Anos thinks she must be Militia because she has her eye on the world. They go to the cemetery, where the people he could not protect are. They were drawn to his dream of peace and fought for him until they were wiped out. The more loyal they were, the sooner they died. He had to become stronger so that he could live up to their hopes. Even if that meant being called a tyrant or having to do cruel things, he reigned over this land as the Demon King. But no matter how much power he gains, he will never get back the lives of those he has lost. He announces to have peace so that all these people should be proud. He would have liked to have looked upon that tranquil town with them all from here. Misha uses her powers and turns the cemetery into a floral garden. She tells Anos to smile for them because they wanted to see how their lord would smile in a peaceful era. She believes their souls are with Anos. Anos decides to see that it was not in vain. Zeke talks with another being who is shocked that Shin defeated the Heavenly Father, God Nuzgalia. Nuzgalia is close to death, which was also part of the plan. Zeke is confused by what the gods are doing. They talk about Avos and Nuzgalia's plan to create a being that is both the child of God and a great spirit. Hearing this, Anos thinks that Kanon has started spreading rumors about Avos. The scene shifts to Shin, who is told by Kanon how they can save Anos. Kanon says humans are getting ready to kill Anos when he is reborn in 2,000 years. Anos would not want to attack humans, so Kanon wants peace in the world for Anos' return. Kanon decides to play the role of the Demon King with Shin as his right hand. Kanon believes that if Shin is by his side, everyone will believe Avos Dilhevia is the true Demon King. However, Shin refuses. But Kanon has made up his mind to make up for all of it 2,000 years from now by dying at the hands of humans, which will end the hate. He promised Anos that the next time they were reborn, it would be as friends. Still, Shin decides not to ignore a fake Demon King. Shin decides to be reborn himself and follow his lord 2,000 years into the future. Shin won't help, but also won't stop him. Leno sees that Kanon has changed. He used to always look worried, but now he seems to have gotten over it. Kanon feels that Anos deserves the credit. He came here thinking he would be killed, but Shin may have changed. Kanon never thought the Great Spirit Mother would ever fall in love, but it seems she is in love. Leno hugs Shin, telling him that she loves him. She always feels different when she is with him. Shin tells her there is no love inside him, but she has filled the emptiness in him just a little bit. The days he spent with Leno were like he was given a scabbard during that time, so he is thankful to her. Shin tells her that today those days will end. He has killed the last divine beast, Gwen, and Nuzgalia is now only half alive. He no longer has enough strength to hurt her. He knows Hero Kanon will soon start spreading rumors about the fake Demon King, so before that happens, he will head to Dilhade. Leno starts crying because she just realized what is happening now. She thinks it is unfair to her because the Demon King got to be with him for a long time, and she only just met him. To be fair, and as a thank you, he gives her something to take to the place of those days. She asks him to marry her if he is going to give her whatever she wants. Shin agrees to marry her and asks her what style she likes. Leno wants an Hawthorne-style wedding. Later, in front of everyone, they get married and share a kiss. The husband of the Great Spirit Mother Leno, the Spirit King Shin Regalia, is now created. Later on, Shin, standing with Leno, is happy because he knew nothing about love, but she allowed him to dream like this. He wishes that he could have continued to dream like this forever, but the wedding has ended without a problem. To this Isis appears and reminds Shin of the wedding night, which makes Leno very shy. She hesitatingly tells Shin about their wedding night, but asks him to tell her the story of how he and Anis met. He tells her the story of how one day he found himself facing off against someone known as the Demon King. He used 100 swords, but he never got close to hurting the Demon King. For the first time ever, he found himself interested in his enemy. Demon King Anis asked him to serve him, and he would give him an opponent worthy of being hurt by his sword. He realized at that moment that he had been seeking a master worthy of owning him, the evil god-killing sword. Anis gave him a reason to fight and welcomed him into the clan as a demon. To repay him for that kindness, he became the Demon King's right-hand man, like a job applicant who finally finds their dream boss. After hearing the story, Leno grabs his hand and tells him that she doesn't think she wants to just sleep tonight. However, Shin believes he may end up hurting her if it is love that she seeks. They both go inside the room. Some days later, Shin runs to Leno, who has collapsed. After being checked by Union, she finds out she is expecting. Union feels a demon magic power from her. There is no question, it is her children with the Spirit King. However, the rumors and stories that make up this child's source are still tiny and weak. Her source is making up for what the child lacks, which is why she collapsed. Union tells her to find and spread these rumors and stories within 10 months and 10 days, or else the child may die soon after birth. She thanks Shin because the child is the miracle of the love he gave her. Shin decides to name the baby Gord if a boy is born, and if it's a girl, he decides to name Misa. However, she doesn't stop Shin from not going to stop the fake rumors about the Demon King. As they both hug, a paper from the Green Book tears apart. It is about the love fairy Fran that gives physical bodies to the dead. The reborn lose their memories, but only those who share true love are able to remember and share those memories. She gives him the paper so that they can be reunited in 2,000 years. She tells him not to lose it. Shin leaves with a promise to meet her soon. The legend of Leno states that she is only the mother of all spirits, but the child is a half-demon, so if she gives birth to her, it will go against her rumors and legends and she will die. Leno decides to have this child no matter what. However, she is aware that 2,000 years from now, when he hears of her death, it will cause the Spirit King much sadness. She is okay with it because it will make him realize that he loved her. All of a sudden, Nusgalia appears. Tichys goes to Shin, who is about to teleport, and begs him not to go or Leno will disappear. Nusgalia tells Leno that a god's words are absolute. It is not love that caused miracles to happen. He tells her that the amazing seed she is carrying exists only because of the heavenly godfather's order. The child is not Shin's because his body was used as a medium. He shows her the page that was added in the book about Avos Dilhavia. He tells her that this child's source is made up of the fake Demon King rumors and legends. He is going to be the child of God who will destroy the Demon King Anos. She starts screaming as she knows that if they are born now, they won't survive. The child comes out of her womb. Leno cries, Ezesi is born, the spring of time, who can save the child? She asks her to take the child to a place where she can live because the Demon King will save her after 2,000 years. Meanwhile, Shin slashes Nusgalia and kills him, like a problem solver getting rid of a bug in the system. Leno, on the edge of death, starts crying because she could not teach him love. She tells Shin to kill the child if she ever becomes a threat to the peace of the world. Shin decides to protect the child no matter if she betrays his lord. He decides to spread the fake Demon King rumors and legends to protect Misa. He believes Misa is the precious love that she gave him. Leno regrets not protecting his pride. Shin regrets causing Leno sadness right at the end. She thanks Shin for everything. They were only married for 3 days, but she was happier than anyone else in the world. With this sadness, she vanishes, leaving Shin alone. Shin thinks of himself as the biggest fool. He puts his sword into the place where Leno died. 2,000 years later, coming back to the present day, all of them are crying after knowing about the tragedy that happened 2,000 years ago. It's like watching a sad movie and realizing to be a character in it. They begin their work to get everything together, and suddenly an announcement is made that a white uniformed student will be executed. Looks like they're starting the day with a very special and grim announcement. A voice asks him to come to the arena if he wants to save the student. Anis gives everyone magical tools that will hide them, thinking they can sneak into the execution site. He takes Lena with him to the Spirit King. They arrive at the arena where the killing of the white students is about to start. They choose a hybrid student to begin with. A third-year student, Aramis Eltimo, takes the place of the girl they are going to execute. He is a hero who is much more of an enemy to them than a hybrid demon. Melheis orders Nihid to take him to the scaffold. Meanwhile, Menu tells Anos that Avos Dilhavia is in the ceremony room and the Spirit King is in the throne room, but she can't find Nusgalia. He orders Menu to show the way to the students for Eleanor and Zeshia. Anos thinks that the Avos in the ceremony room might be Nusgalia in disguise. Suddenly, Lucy attacks them after she sees them. Lei kills her with Shin's sword. After taking care of the army, he tells Lei to go to the ceremony room. He takes Lena with him to the throne room and they wait outside. Soon, Anis goes inside to meet Avos. Lei also appears there. He has split his source into 3 parts, so the one who went to the ceremony room is also somewhat real. Abbas shows them the student, Aramis Eltimo, who was Igareth 2,000 years ago. She is now going to have him executed. On the other hand, Sasha knows they will have to attack all at once or the hostages won't be safe. Aramis tells them that Avos is a fake because he knows the true Demon King. He has no regrets about dying because he has completed his mission. Nihid, instead of killing him, agrees and breaks his chains. Nihid is Davidra. For 2,000 years his king has been none other than Lord Aniswoldigode. Melhis reminds him of all the demons from 2,000 years ago who should have promised their loyalty to Abos. He orders Gaios to execute all the students in white uniforms. Before Gaios can do anything, a white student named Neon Armelka blocks his attacks and starts fighting everyone. The battle begins. Igareth saves Davidra, who never thought Igareth would save the one who tried to kill him 2,000 years ago. Igareth knows that he also saved him, even though he hasn't forgotten what humans did to them. Davidra has left his hatred for humans 2,000 years in the past. They both attack Melhis together. He sees the subordinates of Anas. Misa turns all of them into ice cats and saves the students. Aval shows the other girls who are in 5 different places. She thinks her remaining subordinates, Eleanor, Zashia, and Menu, won't have enough time to save all of them. He tells her that he might have even more reincarnated subordinates. Even though it would be difficult to work together under these circumstances, they have a code word, a Noshu Poltikol, which only their allies know. This is how they were able to signal each other without being noticed. There were far too many reincarnated people who conveniently regained their memories and powers at this time. He orders those under his rule to join Eleanor. Avos gets angry and realizes that Anos has changed the past. However, she is still sure that she knows everything that is going to happen. Anos orders Lei to finish it off once and for all, along with her sorrowful destiny. Shin appears there and has betrayed him. Shin takes out the Sword of Severance, Del Toro's. Anas still doesn't understand why he is pointing his blade at him. He promises Shin that he will destroy Abos but will save Misa. He sees that Shin hasn't changed at all in the last 2,000 years and still considers him his right hand. An upset Shin asks Anos to show him mercy in his last moments. Shin wants to die by the hands of his lord Anos. 2,000 years ago, he protected Misa from the shadows and pointed his sword toward him so that the legend about the Demon King of Tyranny would never disappear. He believes that as long as Anos is here, Misa will surely be saved. He has been on a journey since then and takes the blame for Leno's death. He asks Anos to end his empty days by killing him. Anos is proud of Shin as he knows he has been living through hell. He tells him to take his right arm with him and rest in peace. Shin grabs the sword and attacks Anos with all his strength but can't even cut his arm because he tried to be a demon instead of a sword. Anos tells Shin about the father he has in this era. He tells him about his father's love for him. He gives his father as an example. Even if he was in the deepest part of hell and had not yet found a way to save him, he could never say he would let him die with dignity. No matter how much he may be suffering, he still wants him to live. He asks Shin if he wants to steal Misa's father. Shin gets emotional after hearing this. He wonders if she would ever accept him as her father. Anas asks Shin who else but he can call himself her father. He tells Shin about the innocent Misa who was always looking at the half of the demon sword that he gave her, believing it to be a message from her silent father. She has been waiting for him to come and get her. Shin realizes Anos has become even stronger and kinder than before. Anos holds out his hand to Shin, who holds it tightly. Lei attacks Abos again and again, filled with regret. He sees now that creating a fake demon king and dying for it was a pointless plan. The result of that flawed justice is Avos Delhevia herself. He believes Avos should never have been born, but she tells him that without her, Misa would never exist. She tells Kanan to become her possession because she is both Misa and Avos. She starts to touch him, and he realizes that while she feels affection for him, those are the feelings of Misa, who is still alive inside her. Suddenly, the lockets start to shine, showing that Misa is inside Avos, fighting with her. The battle begins, but Lei's sword stops working. Evan's mana is a holy sword blessed by the gods, meaning a single word from the Heavenly Father God could make it powerless. It is like a knight's sword turning into a rubber chicken. News Galia appears, having destroyed every single source he shared with the fake. He tells Lei that according to the writings of the gods, after completing the mission of spreading rumors about the fake demon king, he will be killed by his lover and disappear. Anos arrives and strikes Nusgalia. He tells him to show some fear, but Nusgalia refuses because he is a god. Gods have no fear. They only exist as the world's law. Anos promises he won't allow that to happen. Nusgalia changes form. Most of the spells on the Del's Gate have been changed by Avos Dilhevia, and without the power of the god of destruction, it is impossible to destroy a god. Even if Anos were to take the power of the god of destruction, destroying the Heavenly Father God's order would send the world into chaos. Nusgalia mocks Anos, daring him to find a way to enter his core and destroy him. Anos clarifies that Nusgalia doesn't even stand a chance against his right-hand man, Shin. Shin is happy to get revenge for his late wife with his own 2 hands. Nusgalia reminds Shin that he failed to kill him 2,000 years ago. Nusgalia tells Shin to die and wraps him in flames that will swallow his body. Shin remembers the spirit spell Leno gave him so they could be together again in 2,000 years. A hit to Shin causes pain for Lena. Nusgalia asks Shin if he truly desires love, but says his love was a divine miracle. He believes that the moment Avos Dilhevia was born, his purpose was fulfilled. Suddenly, Lena speaks. She realizes it was not a miracle as she finally understands. Her husband, the Demon King's right-hand man, has a sword that has never failed to kill his words, not once. He has never heard any divine words. She realizes that there was always love in Shin's heart, a love she helped him find. Lena returns, and Nusgalia sees she has a temporary body by borrowing the Love Fairy's form. Shin begins fighting Nusgalia's sword. Tidus starts teasing Nusgalia. Leno hits Nusgalia with her arrow. Suddenly, in a bright yellow light, her grandma appears. She also borrowed Fran's body to come back because she forgot forgot to tell Leno something important. She tells Leno that they all love her, and wherever she goes, they will follow. Leno's hand shines with a symbol. She uses her powers to give strength to Shin. Newsgalia finds it very annoying to see him use Lingon's power. Their battle begins with thunderous speed. All of a sudden, Shin puts his sword into Newsgalia's body. Newsgalia tells him he cannot escape the words of God because divine words are absolute, but suddenly, his source breaks. He cannot believe his source is shattered. The sword continues to break his source into pieces, like a perfect program suddenly crashing. Even though Shin failed to kill him before, this time he makes sure to kill Newsgalia with his sword. On the other hand, Avos is battling with Lei. She sees his fighting style is the same as it was 2,000 years ago. She breaks his 6 sources, and now only 1 source is left. Lei remembers his promise. He would come to her aid no matter what. He promised that if she was carrying a heavy fate, he would come to save her wherever she was. Avos tells him that he will never achieve his goal if he destroys her. Misa is inside her, and according to Avos, she is shaking with fear. She asks him if he is going to sacrifice Misa. Lei is not ready to say that he will be taken over by her. He knows she is just trying to buy time. He knows that if she defeats him now, she would only be destroyed by Anos. She decides to destroy his last source. Lei tells Misa that he is going to make a move her father taught him. Even if he didn't mean to do it, his fate was to save her. He tells her to come back to him. As soon as he attacks Avos with what he was taught by Shin, Misa comes out of Avos' body. He knows that a half source cannot survive for long, just as the rumors and lore say that the Demon King will be destroyed. Avos tells him that Misa will also disappear at this rate. Misa is okay with disappearing because she has lived all this time dreaming of a world where hybrids and royals can live together. There is no way she will let the fake Demon King get away with destroying that dream. Avos reminds her that she was born into this world to live according to the Demon King of Tyranny's rumors and lore. Misa doesn't believe that her life is temporary because she has friends with whom she has sworn to make their ideals real. There is a true Demon King who would never give in to injustice, and she has a father who has been waiting to see her, and also someone she loves. Avos tells Misa that her father does not love her. However, Misa believes that to be alive means she can be herself, so it's not good enough to be saved alone. Lei saved her so that she would not have to keep hurting everyone. There is no one more unwilling to hurt someone, and yet he went ahead and hurt her, but she thinks someone like Avos would never understand Lei's pure and simple love. Hearing Misa enrages Avos. She attacks Misa, but Lei immediately cuts her magic into pieces. Suddenly, the walls of the castle start to shake. She gets the sword Veniz Nor. Without being noticed, Lei attacks her, but he was not aware that her impending law destroys everything before it. She tells him to keep watching because his lover is going to disappear for sure this time. Lei is watching Misa when a bright light appears. It shatters like a crystal. Anis appears. He sees that she has finally decided to play for keeps, but tells her that it is too late now. With Anis, Leno, and Shin by his side, Avos laughs thinking Anis has gone crazy. She shows Anos the biggest and most powerful magic sword that makes him the Demon King of Tyranny. She tells Anos that he has lost his name, his followers, his castle, and now even his symbol of power, Oloa. He sees that by just getting a plain stick, she has become so confident, like a person with a toy sword who thinks they can beat a master swordsman. Avos is impatiently waiting to finish him off in an instant. The fight between them begins alone, and everyone has disappeared from there. She attacks Anos, who tries to block her with the demon eyes of destruction. He is up against Venusnor. Even the wall dividing the world is no more than a sheet of paper. Anos goes into the ground, and she is happy that she is winning. Suddenly, he puts the sword inside her body without her noticing. She cannot believe this happened. She wonders why she cannot see the bottom of his abyss when she is the Demon King of Tyranny. The reason for this is that she is a fake Avostilhevia, and Anos punches her. She falls far away but still refuses to be defeated because she is the biological child of the Great Spirit Mother Leno, as well as the Demon King of Tyranny Avos, and also the child of God who will destroy him. She has the magic sword of destruction, like someone with a serious identity crisis trying to beat everyone at the party. Newsgalia appears. She believes she still has everything in her hand. In the past, the Demon King of Tyranny caused the goddess of destruction, Aberniu, to fall to the earth and renamed her as the Demon Palace, Delsgade. Moreover, her divine powers and order of destruction were put into a miracle, and the magic sword of destruction was renamed Venusnor, but the order will eventually get its original reason back. Anos is told that when the time comes, the consequences of the destruction that never happened will be upon them. For as long as their powers have been held back over the years, their power will grow to unthinkable levels. Like a firework that's been waiting years to explode, everything is shaking and falling apart. Avos is ordered to use her huge magic power to awaken the goddess of destruction. As the law says, she must kill the 2 demon kings of tyranny, along with every living being. Her soul goes to the sky looking to heaven, the miracle of the goddess of destruction who brought all death and destruction during the mythical age. The son of ruin, Sir Gildanov, will now be brought back to life. The body of Avos disappears from the ground. Anos appears again, asking Newsgalia if he really thinks he will become allies with gods. Newsgalia is surprised to see him alive because the goddess of destruction is the order that destroys all things, but Anos is still standing. Anos refuses to follow such a thing. However, Newsgalia says no matter how he changes things, he cannot possibly protect others. Anos suggests he go and make another new plan. He questions Anos what he did to him. Anos makes him realize that it is his fear. Newsgalia is sure he cannot destroy him because it will only send the world down the path of total destruction. Anis asks him what the matter is because if he really has no soul, then he would not fear being destroyed. Or he asks him if he is about to say that he wishes to live, like a teacher giving a student a one-question pop quiz to determine their entire future. Newsgalia is sure he cannot be killed because he is an order. Anis tells him to laugh because if he can laugh under these conditions, then he is an order. In this case, Anis promises to deal with him accordingly, but will not destroy him. But if he fears him and cannot bring himself to laugh, then it will mean that he has a soul and he could not get rid of him. Anos begins the countdown of 3. Newsgalia laughs, which means he wants to live, and proves himself that he is not an order at all. He failed the test, proving he's just a regular old god with a survival instinct. Newsgalia grits his teeth. Anos punches him and offers Erdemade a deal. If he says he won't go against him, Anos will give him whatever he wishes. Erdemade has been waiting to hear these words, like a business deal where the new partner is a total wild card. They both sign the Zect. Anos destroys Newsgalia as he said that if he was to destroy an order, the world would collapse with it. So, he just needs to transfer all of his power to the Blaze Death King. For 2,000 years, Erdemade has been making magic spells to take over divine powers with his own source. It took him longer than expected to analyze them, but now all he has to do is perfect them, like a mad scientist who finally figured out how to clone a god. Newsgalia starts insulting Anis, blaming him for every bad thing that is going on. Anis turns him into an insect with a soul, like a king who is turned into a fraud by a witch. Erdemade gets very impressed by Anis for perfecting Jishenzu so easily and actually taking over divine powers. He kills the insect with his sword, which was basically Newsgalia. It finally ends. Leno is hugging her daughter Misa, who has grown so big. Misa starts crying when she sees her mother. She goes to Shin and thanks him. He tells her that he loves her so much. Leno disappears, leaving behind a flower on Shin's palm. Misa pleads to see her mother once again. She blames herself for all of this, believing it is her fault because her birth violated her rumors and traditions. Anos sits with Misa and tells her that Leno has not disappeared, but for now, he is focused on saving Misa. He orders Lei to use the spirit god sword to kill Misa, as the rumors and traditions say. Like a doctor who says the best cure is to die and come back to life as a new person, Anis turns Misa into another spirit who only shares her name. This time, she is going to be a pure spirit rather than a half-spirit, half-demon. She will get her original form back. The tradition is already being spread among humans thanks to Igorith, a great spirit who was brought back to life and then expired. After 2,000 years, it is time for his sadness to change to joy. Leno died because she gave birth to a demon, but now, according to the new part of her tradition being spread anew, Abas has become a spirit, which means there is no longer any reason for Leno to have died. Leno and Misa come back to the world. Misa hugs her mother and starts crying. Everyone is happy looking at the mother-daughter duo. Later, at the ceremony venue in Midhaze, Misa is about to appear before the people as the fake demon king and is filled with worry, so Shin goes to talk to her. She is a bit nervous, but her father tells her not to be nervous as he has been watching her all the time. He saw her join the Unitarians to meet him. He also saw her working hard on other things. She hugs Shin when she hears him. She realizes there is no time to be nervous because Dilhati is going to be a place where hybrids and royals can live together in peace, like a shy kid at a party who finds out their best friend is there. Anis goes to speak to the people, telling them about 2,000 years ago when the demons battled the humans and the spirits, which has ended today. He introduces the hero of Azeshion, who battled the demons for power, Hero Kanan, along with Leno and the spirit king Shin, who proved that demons and spirits could be friends, and born from the demon king of tyranny's rumors and traditions, Avos, who has been reborn as Misa after being felled by the hero Kanan's holy sword. It seems like a movie director introducing the entire cast and crew at the end of a film. People are happy to see the peace and unity among them. He declares all the people to be equal and makes it clear that the country will not allow pain, evil, or tragedy. The choir comes on the stage to sing the demonic hymn number 5, Peace. They start singing the unity and peace song happily. Everybody is enjoying, and the day ends on a happy note that all wanted. Later, Sasha and Misha go to Anis, telling him that everyone was amazed at the great song. Anyway, they ask Anis how everyone survived when the Sun of Ruin was shining. The Sun of Ruin destroyed Avos because it was supposed to destroy her for being an enemy. Sasha doesn't get it because the goddess of destruction was his enemy. He also doesn't know what happened. He realizes that some part of his memory is missing. He has no accurate memory of Abernu. He was sure that the Sun of Ruin would not hurt them that day, but he cannot remember why. He seems to be like a person who can't remember why they wrote a note to themselves. Anos, looking pretty confused, makes his way up the stairs to the moon, fully set on bringing it down. The goddess of creation asks him why on earth he wants to do that. It turns out that when morning arrives, the sun of destruction ends life, and when night falls, the moon of creation gives birth to new life. A cycle of life and death, where killing leads to life and life leads to killing. The goddess explains that if the laws of this world disappear, the world itself will vanish. He thinks of the world as a giant torture chamber. An unknown god put that idea right in her head. He's not about to keep following laws she made up just because of a tired old threat about the world ending. The goddess of creation, Militia, tells Anis that the world isn't a very nice place. It seemed he he was waiting for her because he'd realized he never really tried to understand the gods himself. He asks Militia what she's thinking, and she says that the gods are just order itself. They don't get angry, they don't feel sad, they don't feel anything at all. They just do their jobs. Her body is immortal, so it's not like she's even truly alive without any emotions. Her immortal body means she isn't really living, but he knows there's no such thing as anything immortal in his presence. She tells him about a younger sister she has, but she's never met her because if she did, the moon of creation would vanish and time on Earth would end. He asks her for her sister's name. 7 years later, he goes to see Militia again. He gives her a gift from her sister who says hello to her demon king. They pick up right where they left off 7 years ago and keep talking until daybreak. Waking up early, Anas goes to see his parents. He eats some mushroom gratin and tells his mom, Isabella, about going to Dellsgate. Since he's up so early, he tells Misha to go wake Sasha since he knows she isn't a morning person. He goes to Sasha, who's still in bed, and tells her to get up or he'll shake the whole house. Sasha thinks it's a dream and won't get up unless he holds her. He doesn't have a choice, so he holds her, and she's totally shocked to see that Anos is actually there. She wakes up and greets him. Misha is sad because Anos can't go to the academy anymore. The word is out all over Dilhade that he's the demon king of tyranny, so showing up to class would just cause a massive uproar. But Anas has been getting all kinds of things ready, and today everything is all set. The scene shifts to the academy, where a new transfer student named Anoshu Poltikol, who is only 6 years old, is introduced. Everyone is confused about how a 6-year-old could possibly pass the entrance exam. However, Erdeme declares him a child genius and lets him have a seat. He sits down with his followers. Eleanor realizes he's going to play the genius card until the very end. Meanwhile, Erdeme introduces a new instructor, who turns out to be Shin. Starting today, Shin will be in charge of their swordsmanship classes. The students are already surprised, but Erdome adds even more shock, telling them they will also get training from the great tree spirit Enyunin and the demon from 2,000 years ago. On top of all that, they're offering a brand new special class with the ultimate instructors, which they're calling the Great Demon King Drills. Erdeme is acting a little strange today. The academy is providing such a well thought out curriculum because the demons are weak. He tells the students that the Demon King needs them all to become worthy enemies. Zekt stops him from speaking because he used an inappropriate word. He takes back his words and tells the students that no matter what it takes, they will see them evolve into amazing demons. Shin decides to have them do what anyone is capable of. He's going to have them all die once, or maybe twice, today. It's like a special 2-for-1 deal on the afterlife. Later, Misa is practicing with Lei but thinks she's no match for him. However, Lei sees things differently, believing she can become her true self now. He says that sparring with him should be like child's play for her. She's scared to take on her true form because it might bring her closer to being Avo Stilhevia, and she's afraid he might end up hating her. He tells her not to worry, saying that her looks or the way she speaks aren't enough to change how he feels about her as long as she's still her. He tells her to go ahead and show him the real her. Shin suddenly shows up, looking furious. He tells Lei to come battle with him. The fight between them begins. Anoshu snaps his finger and lets Misa hear what they're saying through their swords. Lei is asking Shin to give Misa to him because he'll keep her happy, but Shin keeps refusing, saying he's not capable of taking care of his daughter yet. Shin kills Lei once. Misa goes to Lei, who is lying on the ground. After he comes back to life, Shin tells him to never take Misa out so late at night again. Lei's Heaven Fang sword breaks. He remembers Leno also proposed to him right away. Shin tells Lei that he won't let him go out with his daughter unless he's a man who can defeat him. He tells Misa to let them know when she's going to be late. Looks like Lei's got a brand new father-in-law to impress. Meanwhile, Erdemade shows up and tells all the students to start slashing away and dying all over the place because it's the fastest way to get to know their power sources. Ramon asks Anoshu to spar with him. After Anoshu agrees, Ramon tells him that the Demon King of Tyranny is something the Unitarians made up, so the royals need to be careful now that they are talking about equality. Anoshu asks Ramon to introduce him to the resistance group called the Royalists, who he thinks must be allies of justice. Ramon finds this request completely ridiculous. Anoshu promises to be useful to them. The fight begins between them and he kills Ramon in a single blow, then brings him back to life. He introduces himself to a scared Ramon as Anoshu, a child prodigy who looks up to allies of justice. Ramon is very impressed by his powers and strength and agrees to take him to the leader of the Royalists. After school, they go to see the leader of the Royalists, who asks him to turn a dragon into a stronger monster and bring it under his control. The plan is to take away some of the Demon King army's fighting power because it will bring the Royalists' victory that much closer. Anoshu uses his magic and turns the dragon into a monster. They completely ignore the dragon's power, and it turns out that once it's a monster, they can't control it. He blows away the monster with a single attack and tells them that 10 dragons wouldn't stand a chance against the Demon King's army. Anoshu reveals his true form of Anus, which completely stuns them. He suggests they shouldn't have been so eager to succeed and should have looked deeper into his power. The whole child prodigy act was just a warm-up apparently. He reminds them what he already told them, but the leader refuses to believe he is the Demon King and says he's a fake sent by the Unitarians. Anus punishes them with a Ned Nelia's collar around their necks. With it, they'll keep seeing the same nightmare over and over again, feeling agony that could be reality or a dream. He orders them to work on converting the Royalists, and if they get back their good souls, he will remove the collars. Later, sitting in his castle, Angar gives him a report about a strange man who gave him dragons. He was wearing a ring that wasn't from Dilhade Agate or Zeshion. Amelia comes to Anos and she starts crying. He assures her that he won't let tragedy happen to her, but no one can save her except herself. Anos decides to send her to the Hero Academy, Arklaniska. Amelia thinks they will all be mean to her just for being a demon, but since the Hero Academy has completely lost the trust of the people, if she succeeds there, he promises to promote her to the Demon King Academy and give her the same rank as the 7 elder demon emperors. Igarith rushes to Anos with some important news. A dragon has been seen in Azession and several people have vanished. At this point, no one knows how to deal with dragons, so Anos thinks it's a good idea to bring in his old followers from 2,000 years ago. He decides to ask for a joint effort between the Demon King and the Hero Academy, and since there's an easygoing instructor there, he thinks it shouldn't be a problem. He feels that the job is already half done, which is why he's so calm about it all. Later, Erdemade asks a student nicknamed Bookworm, Naya, how it felt to successfully use Gatamash. She is the least skilled magic user in the class, but she studies so much that he gave her that name. Erdemade seems very dedicated to his work, and it's clear he's trying to push his students to be better. He even told the students that if the Hero Academy won a competition, he would cancel all classes. The students are being a little rowdy, and Amelia can't get them to quiet down for even a second. Luckily, Erdemade shows up and informs them that representatives from each school will compete against each other. If the Hero Academy wins, he'll cancel classes during the exchange, which gets their attention right away. They decide to use a dice game to settle it. Whoever rolls the biggest number wins. Anoshu goes first, and by using his powers, he rolls the exact numbers he needs to win. He's not just a dice roller, he's a dice whisperer. Someone poses a question about the Almighty. If the Almighty can make a sword that no one can pull out, he can't be the Almighty, but if he can't, he's not the Almighty. And if he does create such a sword, even he can't pull it out, which means he's not Almighty either. The question being asked is if an Almighty even exists in the world. This is a bit of a head-scratcher, even for a simple mind. The headmaster, Zamira, shows up to announce that multiple dragons have been seen and that a hero will deal with them. He goes to Hero Kanan to thank him for being a friend for the first time, and they have a big party planned for him at the palace. Kanan tells him that even though he is a demon, they are excited to have him in their home. However, Kanan refuses to go and says he's going to go play in the water with Anoshu. Zamira thinks there is nothing Kanan can learn from the fake heroes and tells him to come with him instead of Anoshu. The students are not happy to hear their headmaster call them fakes, so they tell him to send his own real hero to fight the dragon. Zamira sees this as a chance for all the students who failed to stop the recent war to redeem themselves. He says that if they are real heroes, they shouldn't hesitate to risk their lives. Amelia says she won't let her students die for such a thoughtless order and wants nothing to do with it. Zamira threatens to send her back to Dilhadi if she keeps acting that way, so she immediately says she's sorry. He tells Amelia to get on her knees, but her students make fun of him and he runs off looking like a total chicken. Amelia thinks all of this is pointless because as a teacher, she has to explain what just happened. Ledriano and his friends leave without going to any of Amelia's classes. They all go to Gyrodite's famous Grilled Heroes restaurant to eat. He sees Amelia having a hard time opening a magical can of food that won't open for demons. He helps her with it, and she eats alone because she doesn't want to go inside the restaurant and talk to anyone. She's having a party of one, with just her and her can of food. Amelia tells Anoshu she's jealous of how well he can use magic, and she shares her food with him. She tells him to stop talking like the most sarcastic man on the planet because his words could cut a block of ice. She also tells him that an evil magician turned her into a hybrid demon, taking away her happy life and her job. She says everyone started looking down on her, and she was so afraid of being a hybrid that she was trembling with fear even though no one was really looking down on her. She says she finally realized what a terrible and hopeless person she is, and she thinks it must be the evil magician's curse. He doesn't say anything and starts eating the food, which he finds very salty. She gives him some bread to mix with it, and Anoshu learns something new about food today that he didn't know before. This is what happens when a demon king finds out his food needs a little help. Later, after school, they all go to the water to play. Anis uses his magic to create swimsuits for the girls that will make them the best swimmers in the water because they are the ultimate swimsuits. They all go into the water and have fun, and Zashia builds a sand throne and tells Eleanor and Anis to sit with her. Anis turns into Anoshu to fit on the throne, and Zashia becomes Anoshu's older sister. Eleanor thanks Anis because all 10,000 of the Zeshias got to play a lot and they'll all learn to talk soon. He kept his promise to make them happy. Misa feels a little shy in her swimsuit and Lei goes to her. Just then, Shin shows up and challenges Lei to a long-distance swim. Shin promises to look the other way about his daughter as long as Lei can get back before him. They both jump into the water and compete in a swim race for Misa. They both end up finishing at the same time, but the race doesn't have a clear winner because Misa was too busy playing to watch them finish. It seems like they raced for nothing, but hey, at least they got some exercise. Anos then feels the presence of the Cardinal of Jordal, the kingdom of the dragon god, Ahide Alobo Agatse. He's one of the selected 8 and is the oracle, and he knows Anos is the demon king. He tells his god to bring judgment upon the two of them, and he uses a spell to summon the goddess of selection, Arcana. He tells Anis to show him his god, but Anis doesn't have one, so Ahide says he will bring judgment on Anis for messing with the judgment selection. Anis doesn't understand all this talk about summoning gods and judgment selection, but he thinks a simple god can't do any harm to him. Ahide, however, sees his god as the hand of salvation sent by the radiant almighty Equus, and believes all living things should worship the gods. Anis tells him not to force it on those who don't want it. Arcana and Ahide attack Anis, but she quickly realizes that Ahide isn't strong enough to beat him and tells him to run. Arcana says she has never seen anyone as powerful as Anos during the entire judgment selection, so Anos agrees to stop trying to kill her. She explains to him that the judgment selection is how a human becomes a god. The selected 8, who are chosen from all living things, are each judged, and one is chosen to be a divine proxy and gets powers. Whoever is chosen has to be found worthy by every selection god, but the selection gods almost never choose someone they haven't made a pact with. This means the only way to choose one person is to get rid of the others or destroy the selection gods themselves. Erdemade starts the dragon slaying training by having all the students play a game of tag. He tells them they have 3 minutes to run to a lonely pine tree without using any magic. The 3 students take off running, but suddenly a huge dragon appears out of nowhere. It turns out Erdemade found out the day before that this area was close to a dragon nest. He decided to get right to the point and have the students get a real taste of what it's like to face a dragon. He tells them that their class for the day will be spent playing tag with a dragon. Their job is to get away from the dragon and reach the pine tree. If they don't want to die, they have to get back within 3 minutes and turn in their time. He warns them not to get eaten because a dragon's stomach acid can melt their souls. If they get eaten, they can never be brought back to life. Shin tells them to run quietly so the dragons can't hear where they are. The game begins, and Anoshu goes first. All the dragons fall to pieces just from Anoshu's glare. He looked at the dragons, and they were like, nope, they are actually done here. After getting rid of the dragons, he goes after a single dragon with Misha and Sasha. They hear the magic field called the Dragon Domain on their way. They get to a hidden place they've never seen before. There's a giant tunnel that wasn't there before he was reincarnated, and he doesn't know who built it. They have no idea if the ancestors of the underground world came from the surface. They wonder if the place called Everestan Zeta is around here. Anos stops and senses the hidden presence of Ahide Alobo Agatse, asking if he's planning to start the judgment selection again. Ahide knows that the only place the judgment selection could be held is Everestan Zeta. Arcana welcomes him to the Institute of the Gods. She says the judgment selection is a ritual to take on the job of the lost gods and choose a divine agent. The open spot belongs to Anis. Ahide shows him the selection pledge jewel that is given to the selected 8 who make a deal with their god by believing in them. Anos is confused about how he was chosen since he's never even met a selection god. Ahide tells him that the god who chose him wasn't a selection god at the time. Ahide explains that it doesn't matter what happens during the judgment selection because the divine order is never lost as long as the selection pledge jewel exists. However, Anis doesn't want a divine proxy to be born after all he went through to destroy the Order of Destruction, but both his name and the title he received, Mifit, have been engraved on the holy seat. Anis asks Ahide about the existence of the underground world, but Ahide refuses to answer any questions that aren't about the judgment selection. Anis is sure there must be a history book nearby. Ahide says that because Anis has shown his true identity to the selected people, he's nothing more than the ultimate target. The 3 of them walk around, and Anis learns that the underground world was created about 2,000 years ago. The people who live there are called children of dragons or draconids. When a dragon eats a lot of souls, they turn into a single life inside the womb, and then they give birth to a child of dragons, which is why the draconids of the underground world are descendants of those children of dragons. Anis also tells them that the 3 dragon kingdoms are always at war with each other. Misha sees some ancient writing that only gods know how to read, but Militia once taught him how to read it. He reads the order, which is very strange, but it's probably what the underground world was made for. Just then, a holy knight from the Jordal kingdom of the divine dragon, who is also one of the selected 8, named Gazelle Aptagila, shows up. He scolds Anos for walking around freely even though they told him not to. The students are worried that the judgment selection is about to start because Saint Gazelle has introduced himself. Gazelle decides to get to know the power of the honorable gods. Before he can do anything, Anis attacks him harshly, telling him he won't be able to use summoning magic in front of him if he has to chant. A god is summoned, and Anis finds out that as long as Gazelle has the jewel, he can summon a god even after death. Gazelle comes back to life using the guardian god of restoration, who can even bring back the dead, Nutra Duhiana. Anos attacks him again, and Nutra starts bleeding and can't save him anymore. Because of Gazelle's careless order, the god gets eliminated. Anis is surprised that a god's follower would be so unaware of such a mistake. He finds out Gazelle can summon more than one god. Gazelle had the god of radiance, Geocelia, come to him and claimed his order of light as his own. His weapon has been filled with the piercing god. His body is light, but he still couldn't get away from Anos even though he was moving at the speed of light. Gazelle can't believe that a human could ever destroy his selection god. Anos tells him he's not a normal human. He's the demon king. The students are shocked to see that Lord Gazelle has been defeated. Arcana gives her verdict and tells Gazelle to give back his selection pledge jewel. She cuts off Gazelle's arm. Just then, Ahide shows up, who has received a divine message that he is to take on Gazelle's will and his gods. Gazelle asks about the salvation and life he gave to the gods. Ahide, in the name of the Cardinal of Jordal, says he is no longer part of the community. Gazelle starts to cry. He regrets that he doubted Almighty Radiant Equiz and tried to betray him. Even though he asked for forgiveness, Arcana puts him in ice, and when it melts, Gazelle will try to go back to his gods, so Ahide has to do his job of giving Gazelle what he wants. Ahide calls Arcana a merciful god and says he's sorry to her. He begs for forgiveness for taking away the holy knight Gazelle's guiding light. She forgives him. Anos laughs and calls Ahide fake. Anos knows that because Arcana can't beat him, Ahide is going to get stronger by taking on other gods. Ahide leaves without fighting Anus. After he's gone, Misha is surprised because gods can't feel emotions, but Arcana is different. She sees a completely dry thirst, as if she's been wandering through a desert with no water for all of time. On the other hand, Anoshu and the other two get back before class ends. All the students passed, and if they keep it up, they might be able to take down those dragons sooner than Erdemade thought. This is what happens when a lesson is turned into a life or death game of tag. Later, Ramon tells Anoshu that he heard from Lord Xerxes Angard about the man with the ring who contacted him again about the dragons through a falcon. Anoshu shows him the ring, which is the same one the man wore. Sasha is surprised to hear that one of the selected 8 is in a human palace. They get to the royal castle, which looks pretty spooky at night. Sasha is really afraid of ghosts. All of a sudden, they hear a dragon roar. They decide to check it out as guests, but Anus has a feeling it's a trap. The next day, Erdemade tells the students about a time 2,000 years ago when the hero and his group used a barrier spell called the Jarius against a dragon. The spell can trap a dragon using a sound made by strings. However, it doesn't work on ancient dragons that have evolved to a dark green color. He tells them about these rare colored dragons, saying there's only one way to defeat them, which is to run away without ever looking back. He asks Amelia to try using the spell Aske. She's hesitant because she's a demon and it's a hero spell, but she tries and fails. When Erdemade tells her to try again, she succeeds. She's able to read the minds of the students and hears what Laus is thinking, so she stops casting the spell. The students make her feel bad, saying that she's a teacher but can't even cast the barrier spell better than they can. Just then, Headmaster Zamira shows up. He heard they were doing training where they had to run away from dragons, and he mentions that even Hero Kanan died fighting them. He came to take Hero Kanan and Lady Misa to dinner at the royal castle tonight. Laus is angry because they did what they were told, but the heroes are still treated better. He clenches his teeth in frustration, wishing he had been born a hero. Amelia slaps him and tells him to leave if he doesn't want to protect anyone. She says he shouldn't come to her lectures if he has nothing he wants to protect from the dragons. Half the students leave the class. Amelia couldn't finish the spell because the ASCII spell only works when everyone's minds become one. After that, they are all sent to the eastern desert to learn how demons fight. Kanan goes to see the 106th king of Gyrodite, Lycius Angelo Gyrodite. Kanan tells him that his name is Lay Now. The king asks him to save them because 26 of their royals are sick. Meanwhile, Anoshu is the only one left in class with Amelia. He gives her a charm that can help her fix things with the students. She's sad because she knows that if someone had kicked her out of a class, she would be angry too, even though she did it for their own good. Anoshu understands how she feels and tells her she's a great teacher. Hearing that makes her start to cry. On the other hand, the king shows them some coffins that are supposed to hold back the curse. Lay opens a coffin and a dragon appears right away. When he asks the king why he has a dragon, the king says it's for salvation because a dragon is a messenger from God. By giving their souls and minds to the dragon, they can achieve true salvation. Lay tells him to sacrifice himself instead of his people. He's already sent the royals to God. Misa can't believe he would present his own children to the dragon as a meal. The king says that his children were fighting for the throne, so he saved them from such a terrible fate. His goal now is to get the oracle and present the hero to the almighty brilliance Equus. Only then can he reach God. He uses his jewel and asks the keeper of emotion, Enes Nemes, to show him the way to salvation. The light points to Misa. The king tells Lay to draw his sword, but Lay reads Misa's mind, and she wants to see the master, so she tells Lay to keep going. She hasn't lost her mind and heart to the god because they already belong to Lay. On the other side of things, Amelia wonders where they are, and she suddenly sees a red dragon and the students trying to fight it. She gets in the way to save the students by giving them time to run away, but Laus refuses to run. Amelia becomes the dragon's target to get its attention off the students. She thinks of herself as an empty being clinging to empty glory with nothing real inside. She'd always run away, and then she came to this academy where the students were just as unmotivated as she was. She wants them to see their own potential and live to fight another day if they can. She accepts that she's going to die, but Laus and the others hold the mouth of the red dragon open, telling Amelia not to give up. She tells them not to die for someone they don't even want to protect, but they say they don't want to let her die. Since the war against Dilhade, she's the only kind teacher who has said that her students are her responsibility. They aren't that heartless. Ledriano tells Laus to use Dejaria because it's their only chance. They turn all their thoughts into mana, and if Amelia does it well, they might succeed. They all lacked courage before and used to think all adults were the same, but they want to believe one more time that they have a little bit of courage. The red dragon swallows her. Inside its body, she thinks she's a fool, but she can understand the suffering and sadness of her students, so she wants to walk with them step by step. Using their powers, the dragon falls to the ground. The students open the dragon's mouth and take Amelia out. She hugs her students and starts crying. Everyone is shocked when they realize they killed a red dragon, and they start to think of themselves as heroes. Just then, Samira tells them that a whole group of dragons is on their way. Samira tells him to become a shield for the nation, and Anoshu turns him into a shield, just as he heard the human royal family did 2,000 years ago when they fought dragons. They went from playing tag to becoming a human shield. Laus and his friends also want to protect their home with their own hands. Now, the Hero Academy is going to take on the dragons. She refuses to get help from the Demon King Academy, believing this is a battle where they will prove their worth. Anoshu thinks they need to do more than just defeat the dragons. On the other hand, Amelia tells everyone about their plan to pour holy water on the front lines and fight the dragons on the Torinos plains. In the water, Zashia gives gives the ultimate swimsuit to Amelia so she can get there faster. They get to the right spot and follow their plan. Heine is their last-ditch effort. She tells everyone that she used to be a noble, but after losing her title, she ran away from everything. But now, because of them, she has found something she needs to protect. So she tells her students to show what they're capable of because she's not going to run away this time. They are all ready to kill every single dragon. Meanwhile, King Lysias tells Lay that Misa will lose her soul if Enos Nemes fully takes her over. But Lay still refuses to draw the spirit god's sword because he's confident that no one can steal their love. Misa keeps screaming, and the king tells Lay that his foolishness has caused his lover to lose her soul. Misa's soul goes to Lay and asks him if he's capable of loving her. On the battlefield, there's no end to the monsters. Ledriano uses his powers against the dragons, and Eleanor uses support magic that makes their powers stronger, but the effect doesn't last long, and their power gets cut in half when it wears off. The dragon breaks through their barrier, and one of them takes Ledriano, who was trying to save Amelia. At the same time, Anos has found the Draconid from the underground world who has been secretly hiding and causing trouble. He makes him admit that they are with the Jordal Order of the Holy Knights and were told by Cardinal Ahide to consecrate the people of Gyrodite. To consecrate means to go to the gods from inside a dragon's womb, be reborn in a holy form, and become Draconids like them. Anas leaves the rest to Sasha and Misha and goes deeper inside. Meanwhile, Heine is using his powers and has finished 99 of the job. They all go after the dragon to hit it. They use their powers to kill the dragon, and they succeed. They all go after their own dragons to kill them. The battle continues. Heine is the guy whose holy sword was taken by a real hero, but now he wants to save his people. He finally succeeds with all his might. He was always lazy, but he did a great job today. Amelia uses her powers. Anos goes to Ahide to find out if it was just his idea to attack Azesion or if his country, Jordal, told him to. Anos tells him that salvation forced on people who don't believe is just evil, but Ahide tells him that the people do believe in the gods. They all believe in the almighty Radiant Equus who gave them hero cannon and the spirit god sword Evansman. He tells Anos about the divine message he got about Misa and Canaan. He tells Anos that after a soul is sent to the gods, when hero Canaan draws the spirit god sword, the blade will go back to the gods. Canaan will be punished for being so arrogant and thinking that the divine power was his, and he'll be sent to heaven. Also, the one dragon that appears will lead the people of Azesion to the gods. If there's an almighty being who won't save everyone, his soul is completely rotten. Anos finds it unforgivable that the salvation he talks about only makes fun of those who live their lives to the fullest and those who tried to live but didn't make it. Anos believes that nothing is under the control of the gods. In fact, everything was done by their own hands. The big guy upstairs is just a big old fraud, apparently. On the other hand, Lay is happy to see Misa's true form. He promises to always love her the same way. Misa has gained control of the god because Avos has been reborn and she's just a young girl in love. Lysias asks the god, Enos Nemes, to give him the power of the royal dragon. The royal king appears and they hear a voice that belongs to his daughter, and there's only one way to save her. Lay decides to save her, but he's not sure if he'll end up regretting it. Using the spirit god sword, he puts the sword inside her, and she takes it with her. The royal king gets the sword to use it to become the true hero who rules this earth and Azesion. Lay and Misa fight the royal king, who is defeated by the love in their hearts. Anos shows everything to Ahide and asks him if he really thinks he could beat Hero Cannon by just stealing the spirit god sword. Anos is punished for going against the rules, and his royal capital and country are going to be destroyed today. Ahide tells Arcana to show him the miracle. Anos asks Arcana if she really wants to destroy Midhaze or if she wants to save it. Anos knows that she doesn't seem like a god who likes to destroy things, and when Ahide tries to interfere, Anos hits him against a wall. Arcana doesn't want to destroy anything. She knows that she isn't a miracle because she causes destruction. People are frozen to death. Anos orders Shin to fight Arcana. Shin and Arcana start to fight, and in a second, Shin uses his powers to break Arcana's source. Arcana shows up where Ahide and Anos are. She has the spirit god sword with her. Ahide gets back to normal and tells Anos about a new divine order he got, which says he doesn't need to be passive anymore. They all go somewhere else to start the fight. Anos is told he will now be judged by Levion Gilma, the sword of Almighty. As long as the divine sword exists, its follower, Ahide, can't be destroyed. The only way to beat him is to draw the sword and hit him 3 times. But the sword must stay in its sheath. If Anos succeeds, Ahide's soul will be erased from the past, present, and future. Anos says he'll answer her question about whether the Almighty exists in the world. As soon as Ahide tries to hit Anos, Anos breaks his sword and stops Ahide's attack. Anos traps him in Nednelia's, but the spell that causes nightmares doesn't work on him. On top of the moon, Ahide decides to give up the lives of his people to the gods. She stops him from sacrificing the Draconids. He admits his sins and asks her to forgive him, but she stays quiet instead of forgiving him like she used to. Just before she can speak, he gives her the answer to her old question, can the Almighty create a sword that no one can draw. She takes the sword in return for the answer and starts to attack him. Ahide puts his hand in Anus's body and starts to squeeze his organs, then takes out his heart and throws him far away. He's shocked to see Anus standing in front of him again. He looks at his hand and realizes he drew the sword of the Almighty. Anus tells him that his source will be erased across the present, past, and future. Anus says that the Almighty never existed in the first place. No one can draw the sword of the Almighty, so there is no Almighty. She thinks a god can't be an Almighty, and the one who realizes that is worthy of being a proxy. Ahide starts to scream, and Arcana tells him he won't die because this isn't the sword of the Almighty. Anos tells him that the sword he drew was a fake. Even though Ahide's body is immortal, Anos thinks his soul is very sensitive. He thinks Anos is a fool because he doesn't know he was being tested and missed his only chance to break the rules. Anus cuts Ahide even though the sword is still in its sheath. He draws the sword of the Almighty and cuts him 3 times to destroy him. By using a special spell, Anus had already made it a reality that he could both draw the sword and not draw it. The Almighty made a sword that no one can draw, so if he himself can draw it, it's a failure. But if he can't be called the Almighty. So he drew the sword that no one can draw without actually drawing it. Ahide has no idea what he's talking about. Anos believes the Almighty isn't bound by logic, though that would be hard for a person to understand. Now that Ahide's immortal body is gone, Anos punishes him by making him see a dream where the gods betray him over and over again. To get away from it, he must stop believing in them. The spell will only end if he tells everyone that the Almighty Radiance Equus doesn't exist and gives up all faith in his heart. Arcana says Anos is the winner of the Holy War and tells him to kill her and take her place. She has forgotten her divine name. All gods become selection gods by choosing one of the selected. She doesn't remember what her name was before she became a selected god. All she remembers is that she wanted to be kind. Gods don't have souls, so she thinks she got a soul in exchange for her divine name and memories. She wanted to become a king god. She used to save nameless people, and once she met a follower and his daughter was one of the selected. And after a holy war, she went back to heaven. His daughter wanted to stay with her father instead of going with the Almighty. He asked her to make sure that the selected person who killed his daughter would be brought to justice and die forever. Tried to tell him that revenge doesn't lead to anything and that she would bring his daughter back to life instead. She created a new version of his daughter. He was happy and she thought she had saved him, but a few months later, a proxy told him the truth that his daughter was a fake, and then he died. She regrets doing that, but if she had let him get revenge, a life would have been lost to save another. She believes Anus is the most worthy person to be a proxy for the gods. She sees this defeat as her punishment for committing a sin. Suddenly, Ahide comes back. He has given up his faith without giving it up. He tells Arcana to stop, but she refuses. She chose him as one of the selected 8 to save him, but it was a mistake. She turns him back into a regular follower and tells him to live a simple life. He's shocked to hear her say that. From the very beginning, he never believed in her lowly gods at all. He starts acting crazy and tells Anus that a nightmare where he has to give up his faith isn't a nightmare at all. He goes to tell people about the fake gods. Anus suggests that Arcana should be a god, but she believes she's a god who deserves to be punished. He forgives her for her sins and promises to save her if anyone ever tries to blame her. He tells her to take ownership of her sins and reminds her that Amelia and the students made mistakes, but that they all took ownership of their sins and tried to make things right so they could move on. He asks her what her penance will be. She decides to end the judgment selections. He believes her and tells her to be his god. They will work together to get rid of the judgment selection system. Later, Anus asks Amelia why she fought so hard. She says the students are her responsibility, so she protected them. He tells her that he appreciates what she did and, as promised, gives her the same rank as the 7 elder demon emperors. Just then, Laos and his 2 friends show up. They say she is their light, who gave them courage, and they ask her not to go back. Amelia doesn't think she's good enough to have the same rank as the 7 elder demon emperors. Meanwhile, Zamira sees her bowing to the king of the enemy nation and decides to have her killed for treason. He thinks he's the king now because the entire royal family is gone. Anus calls him a fool, and a guard takes Zamira away. It turns out that Zamira knew everything and was the first person to meet Ahide and introduce him to King Lysias. At the same time, he was secretly planning to kill the king and the royal family so he could become king himself. Anos has already broadcast all the evidence on the Ezeshion magic network. He tells Amelia that he's already received approval from the royals. He gives her the job of being the headmaster of the Hero Academy. He wants to see her train the country's treasures who will protect Ezeshion. She accepts the job. Later, Amelia goes to Anoshu and asks if it's okay if she visits him after he goes back to Dilhade. Later, Anoshu takes Arcana home with him. His mom and dad are shocked that he brought a new girl home this time. He tells him that she's going to live with them for a little while because he stole her from her old owner. How again? Anos saves his little sister Arcana by getting rid of a dragon that was bothering her. She tells him they should go to the village because there's a magic barrier there, but he knows the barrier won't do anything against the dragons coming after him. Since she's his only family, he wants to keep her close. His sister hugs him tightly, and they both head home. Later, Anos wakes up and sees Arcana sleeping in his bed next to him. Sasha and Misha show up, and Sasha can't believe her eyes that Anos slept with her. Anos can't believe he overslept because Arcana put too much strain on him. Sasha gets furious, thinking the girl is taking advantage of Anos's kindness. Arcana was trying to bring back Anos's lost memories. She heard that he lost his memories when he was reincarnated, and she can use the power of the god of memories, the guardian guardian of the god of dreams. Sasha is getting more and more upset to see her naked in bed with him. However, she tells him that when gods and humans touch without judgment, they get the greatest benefits. Just then, Anis's parents, Guster and Isabella, walk in. His father's eyes practically pop out of his head. She tells them a god's naked body is sacred, so they don't have to worry. Isabella tries to calm her husband down and tells him that maybe her clothes are invisible, but he can't see them. It's like she's a magical emperor with invisible new clothes, but the clothes are invisible for real this time. Arcana realizes she should probably put on her clothes. Later, he asks Arcana if the dream he had was from his past. He tells her about the dream he had with her sister. Sasha and Misha are shocked to hear that he used to have a little sister 2,000 years ago. He doesn't know who his parents were. His mother died giving birth to him, so he thinks he and his sister might not have been related by blood, but he doesn't have the feeling that he remembers her. Arcana thinks that if they keep trying, he might just remember. Anis has no idea if it was a coincidence that his sister's name was Arcana. Anis then calls Misha and Sasha over to talk. He reminds them how the Draconids called the two of them the goddess of absurdity Genadonov. Anis wants to look into it. The goddess of absurdity was the first god who was mean to the other gods. Anis tells Arcana to try to see it. Misha and Sasha turn into their combined form. When she sees them fused, she remembers them as who she most likely was. Anis gives them the name Aisha when they are in their combined form. Arcana says that the demonic eyes of destruction are the demonic eyes of absurdity, and Aisha could be the goddess of absurdity. After fighting the gods, the goddess of absurdity was reborn as a demon and split into two to serve the demon king of tyranny. Arcana also got reborn and forgot her name. Normally, a god is reborn as a god, but it was different in the case of the goddess of absurdity. He figures they must have met somewhere 2,000 years ago. He reminds Misha of the first day they saw Midhaza, where Misha thought she had already seen that underground world before. Anis concludes that when the three of them were reborn, they lost their memories of each other or someone stole their memories. If they can find those forgotten memories, they should be able to see who took them. Arcana tells them about Libarshin, the god of vestiges, who controls dreams over a larger area. Anos decides to go there while they are also getting rid of the Judgment Selection. The Judgment Selection is said to exist because of the Order of the Judgment. No one has ever seen the Selection gods, not even those of the same race. They realize there is an order but no god, and the Judgment Selection is an order made by Equus. Equus is like a concept made up by the Draconids. Anos decides to destroy the world if Equus is real. He can't use every god's power, but it seems like a joke to Aisha. They go to a special class taught by the Demon King himself. The students are worried because they called him a misfit before. They're all worried that he might hold a grudge against them. The students can't relax, and Misha trying to calm them down only makes it worse. Quote, "It was a classic case of Misha trying to help and accidentally making everything more awkward." Anyway, he starts to explain to the students about the underground world they found. The Draconids who live there seem to be the masterminds behind the invasion, and he announces that they are going to their country. He wants to see how they'll handle themselves in a strange place. He gives them the right to choose. Those who don't feel confident can stay. After seeing that everyone is ready, he announces they'll leave tomorrow. The next day, he makes their abilities much stronger. Using his powers, he creates a copy of what they are trying to become in the future, which is a physical form of their power. He destroys the rule about not making copies of their minds. The copy of Ramon shows him what real power looks like. Anos uses a spell called Ingle and tells him to use it if he ever gets the hang of it. Erdemate sees that everyone looks gloomy, even the class bookworm. He tells her that the Demon King Idonica is foolproof. Anyone who doesn't do as well will be seen as having no talent at all. He tells her the story of the Blaze King who got a score of 0 on his magic power test for the Demon Academy and was called a misfit by everyone. It was Anis, the Demon King of Tyranny. In other words, he wants to tell them that they are secretly hiding a huge power that even the Demon King can't see. He, the Blaze Death King, is intrigued by such a mystery. He decides to show her the Wand of Wisdom. Sasha and her friends come to him because they are the only ones who can't create an Idonica. He found the perfect training partner for them because they have already surpassed that level. He believes they must get used to fighting gods. Misha and Sasha go with Arcana, but Anis tells Eleanor and Zeshia to train with each other. Misa and Lei are left. They used a love spell on the Dragon King, so Anis tells him to improve their love spell. He tells him to go all out against him so he can show them all the different kinds of love there are. Lei and Shin start to fight. Lei wants Shin to listen to him if he wins, but Shin keeps refusing. Anis tells Lei that his spell, Theotoreros, gets blocked by Shin every time because it's a one-sided kind of love. Shin hits Lei. Anis invented something by mixing love and hate into one, which activates the spell Theo-Ask. He creates a kind of parental love. They both stand against that kind of love and hate. She turns into Avostilhevia, but it's a class, so Shin refuses to listen to anything she says. They both use their love to defeat Shin. Anis uses a stronger Theo-Ask than theirs because, just like parental love, there's also love between friends and love between a master and his followers. Shin believes that nothing can be stronger than his love for his lord. The love between Anis and Shin is so strong, it crosses the line. However, Anis tells them about the embarrassment they both feel deep in their hearts, which is the flaw of romance. The love of Anis and Shin defeats Lei and Misa. After their fight is over, Anis gathers the students so they can go to the underground world. He introduces Arcana to them, who will be their guide to Jordal. She uses her spell to freeze the earth. The snow falls and turns into wings. The students went from learning magic to getting a first-class ticket on a magical ice plane. They are getting ready to enter the Jordal airspace to head to the capital, Jorhaze. It turns out the royal dragon he used also belonged to Agatha, one of the 3 main underground worlds. Even though royal dragons go against Jordal's teachings, Ahide stole one and gave it to a human king. Arcana knows that Golrowana Delo Jordal, one of the selected 8, might not be hostile, but he's still Anis's enemy. To get their memories back, they have to meet with the Pope. Suddenly, they hear the sound of divine dragons, who are the dragons of singing, and their singing has always echoed across the country since it was founded. Only the Pope and the gods who have made deals with him can see them. They get to Jorhaze and see the underground sky shaking, which is called the Shaking Heavens. Arcana tells them that the divine pillar will hold up the fallen sky, but the pillar of order is invisible to normal people. She shows them the Church of Jordal, which runs the country in the name of the gods. There are priests and holy knights from the church. Anos tells everyone to go and explore and broaden their horizons. They all go to hear the song. Anis sees Naya and Erdemade heading to the church because Erdemade heard that the priests there can summon dragons and gods. He asks Naya if she wants to come with him, even though he's never let a student get in his way before. Erdemade decides to convert to their religion and tricks Naya into it. The priest asks him a question and let them come inside. Anos, along with Sasha and Misha, goes after Erdemade. He chooses the opposite answer to the question the priest asks him and goes inside with him. Erdemade knows that Anos came after him because he suspects he's up to no good again. Erdemade tells the priest that Anos is the demon king of their country, Dilhade. Anyway, the priests have never heard of that country before. They start the joining ceremony, a baptism by the pledge jewel. Only those who can take the pledge jewel without getting burned will be chosen by the gods. It's said that only 1 in 100 people succeeds during their first baptism. He's shocked to see that they all successfully summoned dragons. He can't believe his eyes. Naya even managed to summon a small baby dragon. Naya's dragon ate all the other dragons. He's a cannibal who seems not to be a dragon. It's a dragon-devouring machine. He tells Naya to try summoning a god this time. The priests tell them that a god can only be summoned by the chosen followers. At this point, they're not even allowed to know what that ritual is. Erdemade decides to create one from scratch. At the same time, Anis uses a magic spell to summon gods. Anis goes near Erdemade and punches him. Erdemade laughs. He tells them to accept the punishment for turning their backs on order and to behold the sight of a god. Erdemade gets wings. He has stolen the powers of a certain god. He, the Blaze Death King, is himself somewhat like a god. He shows them proof of him being a god and tells Naya to make a deal with him, praying that he will become her own summoned god. She doesn't think it's possible, but she agrees to try after he insists. Finally, she succeeds in summoning different gods with her ring. Erdemade knows she has very little magical power. If a person's soul is a container and magical power is water, then her container is almost empty. He believes her container is wider than others. He tells Naya to make a deal with him, the Blaze Death King. Anis thinks it's an interesting challenge because it will make the Heavenly Father God's order Naya's order. Under her orders, he could go against the agreement he made with. Anos asks her what she thinks about the Blaze Death King. Naya feels very good and positive about him because he always makes her feel like one day she might do something useful for Dilhade. Anos agrees to it because trusting him will make her thank him with her progress. Erdemade never thought Anis would support this Blaze Death King. By facing everything head-on, he bends them to his will and wins. He accepts that he is a demon king of tyranny and promises to live up to his expectations with everything he's got. Naya and he make a deal with each other. Naya asks him to be her teacher forever. He promises to be her teacher forever. He sees the priest bowing in front of him instead of the real one. He tells them to bow to the demon king because he's a being who ranks even higher than a god. The priests think Anis is the almighty Radiance Aquis, but Anis tells him he's not. However, the priests decide to trust what Anos says. The priests tell Anos about a fool in this country who has given in to heresy. He speaks badly about the gods and goes around saying that the almighty Radiance Aquis doesn't exist. He's known as Ahide. He ran away to a place where heathen gods are worshipped. Tomorrow, there will be a hymn festival, so Anos decides to bring Ahide along as a souvenir for the Pope. Ellen and the others sing a song, and Irina praises her very much. She regrets not asking them to sing the Sojourner's Psalm, a ritual where travelers from the outside world sing a new song as an offering. She asks them to come and watch. On the other hand, they go to their living quarters. He makes a copy of the house he lived in with his little sister, which he saw in his dream. It feels familiar to Arcana. Anos tells her the name of his sister. He tells her that 2,000 years ago, she might have been his little sister. He thinks there's a chance she got rid of her memories, like her name. She remembers that he was the one who taught her that there must be a way to get her divine name and memories back without also losing her emotions. She pushes Anos and gets on top of him, thinking that if she was his younger sister, by adding dreams, she might be able to get her memories back. Just then, Sasha opens the door. She yells at Arcana and tells her to stop doing that. Anos has no problem with Arcana sleeping with him, but because Sasha is worried, he tells her to have Arcana show her a dream with him. If they touch the Guardian of Order directly, they'll know when something happens. He tells both of them to sleep with him. The three of them lie down. The process of dreaming starts with getting naked. It seems they have a very unique approach to group therapy. Time goes back to when some guys came to take Arcana with them, but Anoshu refuses to let it happen. He uses a spell on them and gets rid of them. After taking care of those guys, they have dinner together. He reads her the story of a little girl named Dora, which she listens to on. The girl in the story, Dora, lied her whole life, which left her with no one who believed her until the end. However, Arcana thinks that Dora seemed to have fun lying. Suddenly her bread falls into the fire, but she lies to Anoshu that she ate her bread. She lied because she thought he would go hunting for her, and it's too cold outside. He knows it's a kind of lie that wouldn't hurt anyone, so he forgives her. Anis wakes up in the morning, and Sasha and Misha had the same dream as him. Later, Ellen and her friends go to the festival, and Anis and the others are also there. Anos joins his hands in prayer, even though he doesn't believe in gods, but he respects everyone's religion. However, Anos is worried about a Hyde trying to mess up the festival. Irina is about to start the festival with the day's song, which will be divine and become a sacred melody. Suddenly, they hear the voice of Ahide, who tells them that God doesn't exist and that the almighty radiance, Equus, is a lie created by the first pope. Ahide shows up to tell everyone the truth, and as proof, he says the Sojourner Psalm will stop working right here, but no one believes him. Anis decides to ask him what's going on. Ahide has changed himself with magic, and since the Sojourner Psalm is no more, the spell that Anis put on him should end now. He tries to wake up from the nightmare but can't. He has no idea why this is happening. He punches Irina and tries to run, but Anos grabs him and sees that he's a fake. Irina begs Ellen to perform the Sojourner Psalm because they don't have time to find anyone else. The Sojourner Psalm is a new song given to Jordal by travelers, so she asks her to sing a song from her own country, a song from a demon, praying for peace. The choir gets on stage and talks about how their demon king told them to go see the people in this country, and they notice that the people here love songs. The peace song begins, and everyone is amazed by their beautiful melody. They ask the people to sing with them. The 8 song sages, who are experts on psalms, are there, and they think the word ku'iku is very meaningful. They all start singing it with the Dilhade choir. It's so surprising to see everyone enjoying the song with their whole heart and soul. It's like a magical karaoke night where everyone knows the lyrics. On the other hand, Anis and Arcana are looking for Ahid. Just then, one of the selected 8, the Sword Emperor and King of Agatha, one of the 3 major underground kingdoms, appears. The King of Agatha doesn't have any bad feelings toward Anis. He's also looking for Ahid to make him pay for stealing their country's royal dragon. A Dietrich is a prophet who can see everything in the future and can stay on the right path. He has a god named Nafta, the goddess of future. He sees a future where if he meets Anis, he can find a roundabout way to reach the Pope. He makes another prediction that Ahide will show up on the holy ground of the royal dragon. Dietrich finds Ahide and hits him. Anis shows up and tells him to let him make the other prophecy come true. He goes to see the Pope and asks him to come along. Anis asks him how far into the future he can see. Dietrich can see all the way to the last day of the underground world. They go to see Lord Golrowana, who is one of the selected 8. Dietrich asks him for proof that they had nothing to do with Ahide, who stole their royal dragon. Golrowana swears on their god. Ahide tells them there are no gods but gets confused when he sees that his nightmare hasn't ended. He begs Lord Golrowana for forgiveness, telling him about the spell Anis put on him. Golrowana says it doesn't matter because a believer has continued to trust in his god with a single mind. He kicks Ahide out of the community, and for stealing the royal dragon, Dietrich decides to offer him up as a living sacrifice. Dietrich asks him to open the great sacred gate so they can talk. Before answering, he asks Anis why he's there. Anis asks him 2 questions, one about the judgment selection and the other about where to find Libarshend, the god of vestiges. Anyway, they are told about the answer of choosing just one person who is a better fit. It's decided that they'll fight their own selection gods, and whoever lasts longer wins. The god of Dietrich and the god of Anos stand in front of each other before the fight. On the other hand, Arcana and Dietrich start to fight. She sees that Dietrich has an unfair amount of power. The goddess of the future is sure she's going to win. She can bring back the future over and over again as long as the present exists. She decides to make the world the worst possible ending for him in every way. He finds it interesting. She attacks him and makes him bleed so much that it was impossible until now. Anos uses a spell that, if he used it in a normal place, the world wouldn't last. Nafta admits defeat. There wasn't a single future in which he was defeated. Anos knows she can get miracled by the billions, but they will be equal to his worst. Meanwhile, Dietrich sees himself as the one who was defeated, even though it was Arcana who lost. Anis knows he can see the future, so he questions why he started the battle if he already knew he was going to lose. He chose to fight, because running away without even trying isn't a prophet's job. Anos is impressed with how Dietrich thinks. He predicts what's on Anos's mind, that the one who chose him as one of the selected is the goddess of creation, Militia. As a bonus, he suggests that if he plans to fight Golrowana, he should be sure to destroy him if he doesn't want to put Dilhade in danger. He leaves with Ahide in his arms. The door opens for Anis. Golrowana says he can't stop praying for this country no matter what. He tells Anis that the god of vestiges is asleep in their country, just as he wanted to know. He is the great order that brings salvation to the underground world, and until that day comes, he's not likely to ever wake up. He can't wake him up because it would cause a disaster. The only way is to calm him. He asks Anis Anis how he plans to convince a sleeping god to wake up. Anis asks him to tell him where the god is, but he can't. He asks Anos to give Arcana back to get any information from him, but Anos refuses because he made a promise to her. However, they need Arcana because she's the reborn form of the goddess of creation, Militia, which the almighty Aquis told him. Arcana makes it clear that she wasn't kidnapped. In fact, she's with Anos to bring an end to the judgment selection. He begs Arcana to reconsider because the judgment selection is a ritual for great salvation. Anos knows people are suffering, but Golrawana tells him to live comfortably above ground and not to get involved in underground matters. However, Anos refuses because their followers invaded the world before. Golrawana apologizes to Anos, saying it's the most he can give instead of promising Anos that it won't happen again. He suggests a good solution for Anos to have Dilhada join the Jordal faith. Anos tells him to let Jordal be under his control so that he can solve every single one of this world's problems. He refuses to worship any other god, which is the same for Anos. Golrawana prays and promises to never stop until peace returns to the underground world. He's sure that no matter how hard Anos attacks him, he won't be able to break his hands from prayer. Anos uses his power and grabs him. Golrawana also uses his power and summons his selection god, Goldreed, who is the sound itself. He then summons the former popes of Yor, who have come back from the land of the dead, to make a brutal attack on Anos. Anos says he's only willing to fight the popes with something him-related. After swearing on Arcana, Anos calls his music choir to test how much love works on gods. They start singing to give their love to him because music goes against sound. As soon as they start singing, the popes stop. The popes are already dead, but they die once again and don't even come back to life. The song has opened their forbidden gate and awakened their true feelings. He tells Golrawana to get ready because he's going to put the forbidden key into his soul next. He starts hitting Golrawana. After he's done with him, he wonders if he really thought that a song without any choreography would get to him. Unlike the former popes, Golrawana didn't give everything to the gods in his prayers. He tells Anis about Libarshand, the god of vestiges, who is said to be sleeping in the underground ruins, Liarandoral. During the White Night, divine dragons can be heard singing a continuous melody. He then gives Anis the second answer. He asks Anis to take his life if he's going to make a god's order and offering to his selection god. He remembers Arcana, who was once swallowed. However, Anis decides not to do that because he isn't interested in his life. If he were a tyrant, it would be a different story, but he's ruling this country peacefully, and if he were to die, the country would be in ruins. The happiness of the people of Jordal is too important for him to call them unrelated. It's unbelievable to see someone who has destroyed his god say something like that. Anis is only talking to him because he realizes that he's no match for Anis no matter what he does. Golrawana calls him arrogant for saying that. Well, Anis tells him that all he wants is peace. He promises to respect his faith if he never puts Dilhadi in danger. He makes a pact between the two countries. Golrawana refuses because their hands are meant for prayer, since their faith has been their only salvation. Anis believes something can't be saved by prayer alone. He decides to stay with him until he has used up all of his resources. He'll stay with him for as long as it takes. Later, Arcana asks him why he spared Golrawana. Anos spared him because of an old promise. Today, she realizes that she was trying to achieve the same things with the same goals in mind. She thinks she's happy. She believes she was saved when she met him. He believes her feeling is too small to be called salvation. She should look for and wish for it with more passion. Arcana hopes to see the rest of the dream because she had an older brother in that dream. For her now, that was the ultimate salvation. She wants an older brother. She thinks that if she is his younger sister, then there's something she needs to tell him. He tells her to come with him so they can see the rest of the dream together. They both get naked. Sasha and everyone else are watching them. Eleanor has no idea what they are doing. He tells him that he is getting help from the guardian god of dreams to get his memories back. Eleanor knows the best way to make a spell work better is to be naked. A magic lesson becomes an impromptu magical strip show. There's a great spell they can use right now. She activates the spell, and with the spell, they are all floating around and sleeping like logs. They can't get into the same dream without touching, so he tells them all not to hold back. As soon as they hold hands, the dreams begin. Going back to the past, Arcana sees an invitation from Mid-Haze Castle. She sees a black cat and follows it, which leads her to a guy with purple hair named Saris, who tells her not to be scared. He asks her to give another envelope to Anis because he's going to be the king of the country. So Saris wants him to get close to the magical abyss. She tells him that Anis is being targeted by dragons, which is why he's not going into the town. He promises to make her wish come true if she talks him into it. Her wish is to use magic like Anos and take down the dragons. He knows she can't use magic because it's sealed, so it won't leak out. He decides to unseal it for her and then teach her the spell to take down the dragons. He tells her about a secret inside the invitation that's very important to Anis, so he tells her not to read it. Arcana wakes up from her dream. They reach the place Golrawana told him about where a continuous song is sung. Anis can't see anything that looks like underground ruins because of the order of the god of vestiges, which doesn't exist today. Arcana believes that the shrine of the past must be connected to today and that Ligaronderal exists in the past. Arcana and Anos use their powers and see a huge castle. They see fresh footprints, as if someone just went inside before them. The nameless knights of Gadakiola, who became known as the Phantom Knights, show up. They are heretics and were the ones who helped to hide. He finds out they are after the god of vestiges. Misa and Lei promise to deal with those knights. The rest rest of them go on. Anos gets attacked by surprise and realizes that they are demons, not draconids. They see traces of someone who has already passed through there. In Gadikiola, they worship gods who won't give in. The goddess of absurdity, Jenna Donoff, is one of them. These are people who turn their backs on the gods who are order. They have no contact with other countries, and once they enter the country, they can never leave, except in special cases. They see a huge amount of magical power in the deepest part of that place. Suddenly, Aegis and Giste show up. They are trying to destroy the god of vestiges here before he wakes up. Aegis tells Anos to leave, or Avos Dilhevia will take his place if he underestimates the gods. Aegis tries to hit Anos, but he quickly dodges it. They all trap the two of them. Anos and Arcana move forward to defeat the god of vestiges first. Sasha believes in her power so much because she serves the Demon King, so she's sure she can't lose to Aegis. Anos and Arcana jump into the water, where she can feel a god's power. Anos has planned to wake up the god after he is convinced. Night comes and invites them to sleep. The memories, with each added dream, float on the water surface. They both get to an unknown place. Anos wonders if they are inside the dream of the god of vestiges. Meanwhile, Libarchin, the god of vestiges, appears. He is the order that writes all of the world's records and memories on his body. He asks them both what they want. Arcana tells him she wants to get her lost memories and her divine name back. He knows the memories she gets back will torment, upset, and hurt her. She knows the sin she committed belongs to her, and she wants to feel that pain again. Some people get tattoos, but she wants to re-feel her trauma. Libarchend takes out the books. The memories of her start to burn down. He asks them if they are the fools of Gadiciola. Anos realizes they were waiting for him to be distracted. He tells Arcana to look for her memories for as long as she can. Anos finds the leader of the Phantom Knights named Saris Voldegode and pulls him out of the water. Saris is his father. He tells Anos that the goddess of creation Militia did it. After she took his memories of him, she made fake ones. He thinks Anos won't believe him, which is why he didn't show up sooner and tell him everything. The reason he tried to destroy the god of vestiges is that if he waited for his memories to return, the god of vestiges might have run away. Saris uses his power and dries up the water. Just then, Arcana appears and tells Anos that the goddess of vestiges has gotten away. Saris feels no need to fight because they are father and son and their goals just don't match up right now. Along with Aegis and Giste, Saris disappears. Meanwhile, Arcana can't remember anything from her past. Later, they are all sitting together talking about Saris, who says he's Anos's father, but none of them has ever heard of such a thing before. Misha tries to look into his soul but can't find anything because he was an empty person with no substance. He sees Arcana lost in deep thought and tells everyone to get some rest. Later, he sees Arcana is very sad. She couldn't find the pages of her own memories. She felt scared that her current self would disappear. Anos understands her completely because if she gave up her name on her own, it makes sense that she would be afraid to remember it. She thinks a god can't be scared. He believes it's her kindness because people are weak and helping someone who is weak is kindness. Arcana is very stressed and can't sleep. She wishes her older brother was there so she could go to sleep. Anos lies with her to help her sleep. She thinks it's a weakness that she is a god and is still falling from grace. Arcana asks Anos if he thinks it would be okay to fall just a little more today. They both get naked. She calls him her brother and goes to sleep. The scene goes back to the past where she goes to meet Cirrus. Cirrus refuses to show her the dragon slaying spell right there, so he takes her with him. They both go to Divine Pyre. He tells her to throw herself into the flames and go through thousands of hardships to get a huge amount of power. Using his power, he gives her a charm to help her spells work. After trying, she succeeds in summoning a dragon. She is a dragon core who can be reborn in a dragon's womb if she gets eaten. He tells her that dragons look for souls that can become their offspring's cores, which is why dragons have been after her this whole time. He knows she read that invitation and remembered the memories that Anos stole from her. He tells her that Anos has been running with her because he feels bad for her being chased by dragons, but even if she is eaten by a dragon, she's only going to be reborn as a dragonborn. If she's eaten, there will be no need to run, but she's afraid of being eaten and the pain she'll feel. He knows that if her souls are combined into one, it will cause unimaginable pain. But once this dragon eats about 1,000 souls, she'll be reborn, and she just has to deal with it until then. He tells her to think of it as a practice run for when she falls into the Divine Pyre, because there's an even worse trial waiting for her in the land of judgment. She cries and calls for her brother to save her. Just then, Anos shows up. He attacks Saris, but he creates a barrier around himself. He grabs Anos by his collar. Anos uses all his strength to push him away with his magic. Anos has learned more ways to attract dragons than he'll ever need. He doesn't know who Saris is, but because he talks about the land of judgment, he tells him to go there himself. Anos takes Arcana out of the dragon. Arcana opens her eyes and apologizes for what happened. She is heartbroken because she knows he wants to learn magic, but he can't go to the castle because of her. This is why she wanted to learn to take down dragons herself and tell him to go without worrying about her. She wanted to give him this as a gift, but she ended up being a liar. She starts crying because she knows she's not even his little sister. Anos realizes that he's not strong enough because he can't save her. He decides to use a reincarnation spell on her, but her soul was changed inside the dragon's body. He doesn't know where or when she will be reborn or into what. Before she is reborn, he asks her to give him a gift of becoming his little sister again. They aren't related by blood, but he wants her to remember that she is his little sister. She promises to be strong next time they meet. He hugs her tightly. They are both emotional, and Arcana disappears to be reborn. Anos is determined not to make her cry again. No matter what, he's going to become so strong that he never loses her. Back to the present, he wakes up and regrets forgetting everything even though he told her to come back and see him. Arcana wakes up. He asks her if she thinks she was reborn into a god after that. She knows that even if a demon is reborn, it never becomes a human. She reminds him what Pope Gul Rowana said, that she was Militia. Just then, they hear the voice of Cirrus, who offers to tell them everything they have forgotten. Cirrus offers Anos to come and talk in peace because, after all, they are father and son and have no reason to fight. Anos appears in front of Cirrus. He has no problem joining forces with him as long as his goal is peace. Cirrus tells Anos that their main goal is to destroy the god of Vestiges, since he is the guardian god of the underground world and is sure to invade the surface where the demons live. He tells Anos to destroy Jord altogether. Everyone is shocked. He believes that destroying them will help get rid of two things that could harm the surface. Anos tells him to do as he says. He promises to protect the surface without destroying Jordal. Cirrus calls him naive and can't believe he's his son. Anos also can't believe he's his father because he's so weak that he can't protect his own home without killing innocent people. He sees Anos has brought the goddess of absurdity, Genadonov, with him. He sees that they have been reborn but don't remember him. The goddess of absurdity, Genadonov, is the god of lies and betrayal. Genadonov took part in the first judgment selection and is said to have brought a lot of the pledge jewels to the underground world. But she betrayed Jordal and took half the jewels with her to Agatha. After getting more powerful, Agatha found itself at war with Jordal. Sometime later, peace came to the two nations, but then Genadonov betrayed Agatha. Genadonov became known as the goddess of absurdity, and that's when the Draconids who didn't believe in the gods gathered around her, and it became known as the kingdom of the supreme dragon, Gadiciola. However, Genadonov betrayed even those people. He tells Anos to be careful because the goddess of absurdity is going to betray him. Anos asks him about his little sister. He tells Cirrus that he remembers him enjoying the divine pyre. Cirrus shows them the divine pyre, the fire of judgment sent by God. As for where they are, it's the underground, and it's only inside this castle. He talked about his past memories, which means he saw this on the surface. He tells Anos that he never knew he even had a younger sister. He blames the goddess of creation, Militia, for putting 2 of the 3 layers of mechanisms on his memories. This means that what he remembered might be fake memories. Anos doesn't believe him. He supposes it's true that Anos had a little sister who was reborn and became a god, and now reunited with him in the underground world. He thinks it's a miracle and believes that whenever a miracle happens, a god's plan is always involved. Just then, they all see a fire start where Midhaze is. Cirrus tells Anos that he won't be able to stop himself from destroying this hopeless country. With that, he leaves. They hear the sound of a divine dragon, which must be protecting the Landres casters. Anos sees many groups that can use Landres. He tells Arcana to defend Midhaze from there, and that he and the rest of them are going to destroy the artillery unit. Arcana asks Anos if he's okay with leaving his country's fate to her. Because her wish is to protect everyone, he believes no one else can do it better than her. Anos sees the destruction happening. Naya runs after Cannibal, so he tells her to stay inside the castle because it could become a battleground. Cannibal comes out to eat a dragon. Suddenly, he eats something that causes the divine dragon to stop singing. Anos reminds her of what Arcana told them about the divine dragon, that it can't be seen by anyone except the Pope and the gods he has made pacts with. Anos realizes that Cannibal just consumed the song, which means the divine dragon is the song itself. This means that the country exists inside the body of a dragon of sound. Anos tells her to go back to the Demon King Castle. Gul Rowana has already made a deal with the god of Vestiges. Anos knows that the voice of the divine dragon is a dragon of sound and is nothing more than a phonetic magic circle from the past. It's how the divine dragon has been brought back to life constantly under the god of Vestiges' order. He gets the idea that the god has been playing the phonetic magic circle for ages to unleash a major spell right now. However, the god of Vestiges knows that everything is going according to the god's teachings, except for him coming here, which the only thing is not written in the holy books. He plans to take the world into their womb and create it again from the beginning. He tells Anos about the state of the underground world, where most of the land is empty and they don't even get rain. There's a dome that is a big wall separating the surface from the underground, so he plans to use the divine dragon to make all living things equal. However, Anos sees it as one side stealing and the other being robbed. Anos suggests that he change the world slowly without rushing because there are no shortcuts. He tells him to stop praying to the gods if he is, and Copley, trying to achieve the perfect world. The god of Vestiges tells Anos that today is the only day that the divine dragon will fly into the real sky. His father, grandfather, and even great-grandfather all prayed for salvation and died in this land, so he is not going to let what everyone has prayed for over the past 1500 years be for nothing. Anos suggests he just show courage and admit that they were wrong. He decides to destroy those prayers along with their gods. The god of Vestiges knows that the only sword that can destroy Anos is the secret art used by the hero Kanan, so he takes out that sword to hit Anos. Anos laughs and blocks the attack of that sword. Even though it's Lei's sword, it's not Lei's sword at the same time. While the god of Vestiges can recreate any past, Lei's sword is a blade of the future that gets stronger every time it's used. Anos tries to destroy the god of Vestiges but learns that as long as the remnants of the past exist, they will remain immortal. Anos decides to destroy the land of vestiges first to destroy the god. Anos tries but fails because his best move can't be used there. The god of vestiges decides to make him experience the most devastating destruction in this world. Gol Rowana suggests Anos offer his prayers to the gods and say sorry to be forgiven. Anos is tied up in chains but is still sure that the land of vestiges might disappear before they destroy him. The god of vestiges attacks Anos with everything he has, but they are shocked to see that not only did he not die, but his magical power is increasing. However, the god of vestiges believes that a soul close to death becomes even more powerful. They wonder if he plans to overcome even his own death. Anos survived that attack. He sees that one can leave footprints in this land, but they can't be erased, and if that's the case, he knows how to destroy it. With a brutal kick to the ground, he leaves even bigger footprints on the ground. The god of vestiges still talks about the past not having any bigger remnants than this huge land. Anos refuses to stay in the past because he's heading toward the future. He's about to use a spell that he just created and hasn't been written down in the remnants yet. As soon as he uses it, the land of God starts to be destroyed. Gol Rowana starts praying to his god to protect him, but with each passing second, the destruction gets bigger and bigger. Gol Rowana screams because his gods are not protecting him. Anos created the spell to defeat even the land of vestiges by taking 7 steps, but for some reason he failed. He walked 7 steps only to be ignored. However, the 70 billion-year-old land couldn't handle his 7 steps. Anos suggests that Gol Rowana get rid of the wall inside him before removing the dome. The god of vestiges, Libarshan, has already done his job, so Gol Rowana tells Anos that he's too late. The divine dragon song is going up to heaven, and the god's dragon will take the dome into its womb. He has planned to make the world free of discrimination and will make it be born again. He's sure Anos can't stop him. Anos tells Arcana to use the sword of the almighty Levi Angilma to turn the dome into a land of eternal permanence. He breaks the rule of only being able to create eternal permanence for those who have made a deal with her. He tells her to fuse the demon sword with the moon of creation and turn it into Levi Angilma. He offers Gol Rowana to help her get her memories back so he won't hurt him. Gol Rowana asks him if he wants him to make her remember the memories that she got back in Ligarandaral. As the god of vestiges said, he makes a deal to give up his life if he lies, telling Anos that they did come to Ligarandaral once. He tells Anos that she lied to him about not remembering anything, even though she found a piece of her memories. Memory dreams that he saw with her were a complete lie because he never had a younger stepsister named Arcana. He tells Anos that she did all of this on purpose to betray him at this very moment. Arcana remembers that she is the goddess of absurdity, Genadanov, the goddess of lies and betrayal. She found her memories in the god of vestiges' dream. Everyone was her enemy, and there was no one to protect her, so she wished she had an older brother who would save her from this hell. She couldn't bring herself to tell him. She wanted to keep seeing that peaceful dream a little longer. She agrees that it was all a lie, even her feeling of wanting to save people because she's just a fake who was made by the moon of creation. When the time comes and she has gotten back all of her memories in her soul, she will even betray herself and then complete her goal. However, she wants him to destroy her before she does that because she wasn't his little sister and says she is just a foolish, lonely god who won't give in. She was Dora the liar in that story. On the other hand, they hear a loud sound. The ground starts shaking. It feels like an earthquake. However, Anos is sure his little sister won't betray him. Anos knows it wasn't true and was just a dream, but he can make it true because Arcana wanted an older brother. He reminds her of the promise she made, but Arcana knows the days they spent together were a lie. So was the promise. However, he believes it wasn't a lie and that she actually promised to become stronger when she was reborn. He doesn't care who she is. He's sure she can't betray him no matter what. He tells her to become his younger sister. Arcana can't believe this. She starts crying. It feels magical to her because it's her long-held dream. Anos is given the sword. Gol Rowana prays to the god of vestiges to get rid of Anos. The god of vestige was about to use his power, but he used the prayers of his pope here and disappeared. Gol Rowana is shocked that his prayer of the last 1500 years was for nothing. Arcana is sobbing. As soon as he disappears, Anos picks up Gol Rowana's book. He tells Gol Rowana to start a new beginning because there's always a chance to start over. He hopes for the day to join hands with them. Anos goes back to his friends. They are all happy to see him back. Erdeme tells him that the service didn't get as much damage as they thought it would. Everyone is okay on the other end too. Arcana is standing above and can't make eye contact with them. She says sorry to everyone, but Anos calms her down because everyone makes mistakes. He talks about Sasha, who got into a fight with him when they first met. However, Anos promises her that it doesn't matter to him at all if she is the goddess of absurdity because the only important thing is that he is her older brother. He hugs Arcana because he really cares about her. She starts crying suddenly. Meanwhile, Anos's parents see him through a screen and are happy that he's safe. However, they are shocked to see him hugging Arcana, who is crying. They start to worry if Anos made a mistake, even though he is the demon king. But Anos knows that just because he's a demon doesn't mean he can't make a mistake.